down the other steps.
It's go down the other steps? Cool. I'll do a, we'll do a little bit of a water park later. I didn't bring my swim trunks. It's Oregon. Like, I didn't think I was going to go swimming. So, welcome again, y'all, to the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum. I'm Das. And we're going to go on a virtual field trip today. We've been here for 2 days. This is the second of 2 days. We were here all day yesterday checking out some of the cool artifacts and exhibits. When we do our virtual field trips, we didn't just like barge into the museum and start filming stuff like, haha, look at this, I can take pictures. We actually have permission from the museum to do a bunch of the stuff that we're doing today. So our entire goal here is to show you some of the cool content, some of the cool artifacts, the cool stuff that's here at the museum. And while we walk around, we've got a museum escort with us. I guess the museum staff member, Julia, who will be taking us to some of the behind-the-scenes sort of stuff. For today, we've got really, really awesome sort of content scheduled. In the space building, of course, you can see all of these space artifacts behind us. There's so many different things we'll be able to walk around. There's missiles. There's actually a full-on Titan missile silo that digs into the ground about 3 or 4 stories, and they've got a bunch of the original launch room equipment that we'll be able to walk into later. Signal may be an issue there. They've got engine. I mean, look over this way right quick. No, like for real. We've got all sorts of engine-y bits that are just, I don't know, down inside the museum that you can check out. It's an interesting sort of thing that as we walk around, we may be sort of naming some of the engines as we get up to them. And we almost want to do like a little bit of a contest today where chat can tell us facts about the engines that we walk by. In fact, what we might do for some of the exhibits, we might actually see if Twitch chat could get us some references or some sources and submit them to us for potential inclusion on little plaques at the museum. So it's sort of an idea we've come up with. There's so many bits of artifacts around here, but a lot of them are sort of missing some of the in-depth descriptions, I guess. So as we're walking around, if you can find cool facts about the engines, sort of post them up. If it's an article, if it's a primary source, like photos of things, look at the tail numbers on planes or stuff like that, and see if you can find more information than we even have at the museum. Now, when I get back down to my regular studio back home, we'll go back and look at this VOD again and see if we can't sort of organize some of that stuff. And we talked about an idea with the museum where we might be able to actually have some viewers contribute interesting tidbits that could be added to actual plaques or signs at the museum, and you could get a little bit, you know, with help provided by Kerbal Space Academy and your name on it. So as we're walking around, be sort of thinking that today, if there's some cool information you can find about the artifacts we have here. Now, you're like, Josh, you're talking about the space artifacts, and you've been building up this whole thing all day. In the very background over here, if you swing back around this way, in the very back corner, that's where we're going to be walking first. There is an SR-71, and like I said earlier, it's not just an SR-71. Like, the first cool thing that you can probably see, Jay, like zooming in, right? The first cool thing you can see is on the back of it, the wing is up. And the engine is actually exposed. I didn't even know that the wings did that. It's not just an SR-71 sort of sitting there. It's displayed in such a way that you can see the engines in it. It's got a ton of ground equipment underneath it. There's the start cart and all that sort of thing. And then there's a ladder on the side of it. So in just a few minutes here, we'll be going over there and talking with the museum's SR-71 expert and actually climb up that ladder and check out the cockpit a little bit. Beyond that, we're going to start on moseying down this way and just sort of walk past some of the things that we have here on our way to the SR-71 so we can start checking things out. So let me get back into Twitch chat here. And again, is it an amusement park right off to the left? There is an amusement park right off to the left. Yeah, down that way, there's actually a little amusement park right. They have everything here. In fact, as we walk to the back, there's some clear space at the back where there's exhibits that are like not even filled in. There's some things off in, can I say storage? In a parking location. An official parking location in a different part of the museum that's a little bit out back, basically. So as we sort of walk around here, if you see cool things, again, this is live. I'm Das. This is a virtual field trip. So if you see something cool, ask some questions. Because I've got Twitch chat on my phone. I'm not just being rude when people are talking to me. I'm actually reading chat as we do this for our live virtual field trip at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. And again, if you're within driving distance, if you're close enough and you're seeing this, you're welcome to come by the museum and check out all the cool stuff today. Not just the space building, but the aviation building on the other side. Last announcement before we get walking. This afternoon, there's a United Launch Alliance scheduled. It's an Atlas 551 that's taking up an Air Force payload. We are going to be sort of finishing up is the wrong term because there's no way we could get through this entire building in a day. After lunch, we're going to be taking our stream over to the museum's theater. and we're going to be doing a Launch a Rocket with DOS presentation, putting Kerbal on the big screen. It's like an IMAX-sized screen that's a couple stories tall. And then, after we do our Kerbal sort of how to launch a rocket, we'll spool up the United Launch Alliance launch broadcast in real life and watch the actual rocket launch. So if it was 80% last I checked, continue to hope that we get the 80% or the 90%. Hope for good weather, hope for no wayward boats and planes, no upper level winds and that sort of thing, so we can get that launch, because it'll be the first time that I've watched a live rocket launch on an IMAX sort of theater screen. We hope it goes well, we hope that it launches. So playing Kerbal, watching the launch for United Launch Alliance on the big IMAX size screen later today. So that's sort of what we're doing. I should probably be quiet, which is never going to happen, and we'll start walking over to the SR-71 so we can see our first stuff. Launch-a-rama, Saber's the camera guy. That's right. And hey, while we're walking here, this is like a massively long walkway, so you're not going to run into anything. We've got some people that are sort of helping out with the broadcast. Gaming with Saber, Kerbal community member on the camera right now. We've got Defiant Zombie back here. Savvy Rainbow's with us as well. Julie is in the background there. She's the museum staff. There's a couple different community volunteers that have come out to help us make this sort of thing happen. Look, more Ingenie bits. No, I wasn't kidding. Right? Like, there's Ingenie bits. Is that a J2? And there's more Ingenie bits. And there's like additional Ingenie bits like around the corner down there. It's so cool because they're full-on engines that are not even mounted to the rocket. You can sort of get up to the engine and see what's going on. And then this whole thing here, yeah. It's the Titan missile and the framework for it and a bunch of umbilical sort of stuff. And it goes all the way down into the floor where they have the launch control center. I mean, probably a little bit closer to the rocket than it would have been in real life. But we'll be trying to go down there in just a bit and see what's down there. Again, there's all sorts of cool stuff outside as well. And if we have some time, this is sort of the front yard of the museum, of one of the buildings of the museum, as it turns out. Then there's also the backyard. Everybody's screaming about the A-10. If we have some time, we'll go over to the A-10, because who doesn't love to see some up close? What else do we have? Even this. No, even this, like, I love the helicopter that actually has the recovery pod strapped to the bottom of it. It's just, there's so many cool displays at the museum where you can get really sort of up close and personal with some of the engines. The Titan missile stuff is amazing. And the fact that the pod is actually strapped to the helicopter is pretty cool. I don't know, what's this, like a lunar lander of some sort? Anybody recognize this thing from anywhere? We'll be rocking around down there. I don't think that I'm going to be putting any boot prints in the sand, but we'll walk around the lunar lander mock-up as well. I believe that one's a model or a mock-up, right?
Yeah, it's a mock-up.
Yeah. Oh, get this. I mean, when I said that there were lots of rockety bits around the museum, I wasn't kidding about the number of rockety bits. It's wow. I'm going to keep on coughing. That one's, which one was that one? That's a Titan 2-4? Which one was it? We'll go and read it. All right. No, see, yeah. She's like, it's not a DC-3. I don't know. It doesn't even have wings. It's not only the rocket, but it's also the carts used to transport the thing. Do you see those down there, Saber? Mm-hmm. You can walk in between and like look at the interstage and stuff like that. So again, getting up close and personal with some of the exhibits, it's such a cool place because it's not like, oh, look across this fence like 5 miles away at the rockety bits. You can, I mean, don't actually go up to them and lick them, but I mean you could, but just don't do that because they probably don't taste good. So let's continue our walk here down to the SR-71 is our ultimate goal, and as we're walking, we're going to walk past one of the other sort of halls, I guess you could say. There's an entire set of helicopter exhibits over on the other side. We'll go through the middle here, yeah. It's just, I don't know, the guidance unit for a Saturn just sort of hanging there? I'm not sure. Does anybody recognize this engine over here? It's rockety bits, like I said. Here's the interstage. Let's walk through the interstage right quick. I'm not kidding you about how much cool stuff there is.
Also, I just want to note, we're not crossing any ropes on this one.
No, we're not crossing ropes now.
You can just
walk
we're
like walking through the interstage like, I'm not sure. Does that look like an injector plate up there to anyone? Get a little bit closer than the injector plates on the F1s that were at the Saturn V at KSC-BC. Remember how we were like standing on the chair trying to hold the camera up to look inside of them? This is a little bit closer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We should do the whole like sort of deal, but you probably saw my hand that time, right?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
There you go. So anyways, continuing our walk over to the... Here's the answer. By the way, Chad, I found the answer. Look. It's a Titan 4. You can read the sign. There you go.
And this is an actual. It says right there.
It's an actual one. No, look. Yeah,
missile.
no, it's
Right
an
there.
actual Titan 4 missile. Like it literally says it on the side right there. An actual Titan 4 missile. And I think in the back overflow storage area, there's actually one of the boosters. I think
Yes, there is.
there's it's like sitting in the back. I mean, you'll see, y'all. There's so much stuff. Again, I didn't walk around and memorize the names of every single thing. But as we walk around, if you all see something cool, be sure to post it up in chat so we can check it out.
It's interesting because
Yes.
in the other building, we had a lot of replicas of things.
Right.
Because you couldn't get them. In this building, just about everything you see was
actual-
flown somewhere. And they have amazing, amazing stories. A lot of the planes you'll notice, well, when we're out in the backyard,
Yeah.
are Oregon Air Guard. So
Oregon
they
Air
flew
Guard.
for the Oregon Air Guard, and now we have them in
And
our
it's like, what are we
collection.
going to do with them?
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
let's put them here.
Right, because
No
that's what they do.
kidding.
When the Air Force is done with them, they either have to go to the boneyard or they call museums and say, hey, do you want an F-117?
It's like, I
Right.
mean, I don't know, 'cause we got room.
I
like,
wasn't doing anything else today. Sure,
Yeah,
let's
sure,
go
we'll get an
pick that up.
F-117.
Yeah,
It's fine.
absolutely.
And again, y'all, to introduce, this is Julia. She's the development director at the museum here. If you're wondering where we are, I know we're splitting up the stream. We're at the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum. Massive thanks to Julia for getting us sort of access to this and lifting the ropes aside and all the cool stories, specifically mostly about the DC-3.
Right, absolutely.
But I'll take them.
There's
Like,
some
I love
other
it.
planes too. So,
there's some other planes in that
There's
building.
A few others.
But she's been the museum staff who's actually escorting us around, giving us access to all this cool stuff. So Julia, thank you so much
You
again.
are very welcome. Can I throw in one plug
Of
for
course
our
you can.
military service families? During the summer, there is a program. I don't know if you know about this. But
Right.
it's called the Blue Star Museums.
Okay.
And you can go online, and somebody in chat's going to find the link for me. I figured that out now.
Somebody, see, she knows.
Now I know.
Everybody says hi, by the
but
way.
it's called, anyone that's an active duty service member, it's called Blue Star Families. And
Okay.
there are museums like our museum that will let anyone who's active duty or
Right.
their family and up to 5 guests free.
In for free,
All summer
no
long,
kidding?
from Memorial Day to Labor Day weekend.
Basically all summer.
And
Yeah.
across the United States, there are museums that do this as a thank you to our service members.
Is there like a
So
list of those museums or
it's-
something?
You can pull up
Chat?
a virtual chat. You can pull up a virtual map and click on the states, and it will tell you which museums participate.
No kidding. So
It's-
Evergreen is one of those
Evergreen
museums.
is one of them. So you can come in with your entire family. You just bring in your military ID,
That's
and we
cool.
let you in. So
That's cool.
and they're everywhere that it's done. And again, it's just a thank you to our service members.
Throw
So-
in some plugs like that anytime you
Absolutely.
want.
Okay, good.
She
Good.
knows. She's telling chat to find the links.
Right, see?
She's like,
I'm
oh, well,
learning.
actually, like.
And I'm taking a lot of pictures for my grandkids.
Right.
Who, by the way, I have to mention because they're super, super cute.
Somebody clip that for her, please.
Right, absolutely.
That's another thing you can
Asher,
do.
Phoenix, Eden, and Sage. I love you. Yeah. And they call me Yaya. They don't call me Grandma.
They call you
So
Yaya.
Yaya
nice.
loves you. Yes,
It's like
absolutely.
a song.
It's- I don't
Anyways,
know.
it's a different
Yeah.
thing.
We can
All
make
right.
one up.
Let's keep
Chat.
going to the.
Chat make up a song.
Chat's going to make up a song.
Chat's gonna make up a song. And this is our SR-71 expert over here.
Yeah, so we've reached the first stop on our virtual field trip here, the SR-71 in surrounding accoutrements. We've got Gary here with us. Gary, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Say hi to everybody back home.
Hello
that's
there.
watching. Hey, how's it
Hopefully
going?
you're having as much fun as we are.
We're having a good time, and we just
Yeah.
got started today.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, we're walking around the museum, checking out the SR-71, and I was saying it doesn't do it justice to say it's an SR-71.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it's got all this stuff. I mean, I've never seen one displayed this way.
You
What
won't
is all this
find
stuff?
probably another museum in the United States that has so much equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen pictures of every museum that's got a Blackbird.
Yeah.
And none of them have this much stuff. Possibly due to the fact that we have a number of docents that work here.
Right.
That worked on the SR.
That actually worked on it.
them.
I mean, you've
One
got a
of them was
fantastic shirt
cameraman.
there, yeah.
Well, I didn't work on
You
it.
didn't know you
I
were-
worked on B-52.
You worked on B-52s.
Just down the runway from the SR. So
Right.
I got to watch them every day taking off, blasting off into space. And,
I can't even imagine.
Oh,
So you're in
gee.
charge here. Where should we start?
Yeah,
What should we
well-
talk about? Like, you're completely in charge.
Oh, okay.
We got
well,
all the time that we need. I mean, we could spend as
I
much
don't
time
know
as
how much
we want.
knowledge our public has on the Blackbird, but, it came out in 1960.
Right?
Well, the contract went out. First one flew in 1962. And to this day, 50 years later, this is still the fastest flying, highest flying production jet airplane
jet that
to
was
this day.
No kidding.
Which tells me we either got some real good secrets or we haven't done anything in 50 years.
We haven't
I
done
hope
anything
it's the
in
first
50
one.
years.
Yeah, and we got Star Trek up there, that they're not telling us. But this is a fantastic airplane, and we're fortunate this coming Father's Day,
Right.
we're going to have 19 former crew members here.
That's right.
To give us a symposium and talk about the airplane and answer all your questions. And,
No kidding.
Oh, just, and
That's
they
on,
love
that's
it.
on Father's Day here
Father's
at the
Day,
museum.
right here.
So
yeah.
the Saturday and Sunday before,
Yeah,
okay. And there's
Saturday and
19
Sunday.
crew members
Yeah.
that
and
worked
a
on
number
it.
of probably maintenance people
Yeah.
coming out too. Maintenance chief and
No kidding.
And for the students on Friday, we have, if they are in the scouting program, we're
Right.
going to do a scouting badge with the SR-71 pilots. They're going to actually run the aviation badge program.
No kidding.
On Friday. So
How would
people
you
are-
like to get a scout, like a Boy Scout?
Right. It's just here's your
Like a
scouting badge.
merit badge for an SR-70, or done by an SR-71
Right.
pilot.
yeah.
You
What?
can. You just have to sign on.
Sign off your badge by an
Absolutely.
We were like, when I was a Boy Scout, we were like whittling things.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You would
yeah.
get a badge by not stabbing yourself with your knife.
So much cooler.
As
now.
opposed to
So
getting your
much.
aviation
So much
merit
better
badge
now.
with
Yeah.
the SR-71 crew.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, and these guys are as on fire 20, 30 years later
Yeah.
than they were when they were flying these things. It's, you know, it's unbelievable to listen to their stories. Of course, their wife sits over in the corner, bored to death. And I said, "You want me to get you a pillow?" And she says, "Yeah, because you're not going to stop him
You're
from
not gonna
talking
stop him from
until
talking."
you close the museum."
You have to like usher them out, turn
Yeah.
the lights off or something like
just
that.
about, yeah.
No kidding.
They
So,
are great.
should we start up at the front? Should we start at the back? Do we have a question right quick?
A Shrubbery would like to know how many pilots are still around.
How many
How many-
pilots flew it?
Yes.
Slightly over 100 pilots were certified. Now, none of them, I mean, not all of them flew at one time.
Right.
There probably
Like
was.
over the years.
Yeah, Beale probably had about 10 or 15 pilots
Right.
in their program. Some of them were overseas. They would send them over TDY to
Right.
England and Japan, and they flew
Temporary duty.
temporary duty.
Ah,
yes,
there you go.
TDY, yes. I'm sorry, I should have said temporary duty. Yeah.
No, it's okay. We love acronyms.
Yeah.
Like
Temporary means that you might be there for a year, or
Yeah.
it might be a week or
Yeah.
two.
Talk about your shirt, Habu.
Oh, Habu.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Somebody said, "What's Habu?" I said, "Well, when they flew out of Kadena, Japan,
right?
they were on one of the lower southern islands, and there's a deadly black viper snake.
Okay.
And in the jungles or whatever, and the locals would see that plane flying over.
Ooh, Habu, Habu.
You know, so one of the pilots thought, "Oh, that's neat," you know.
Yeah.
So he went down and had a patch made.
Patch me, this is Habu on it.
Yeah, it says Habu. And he put it on his flight suit and came back, and the commander says, unauthorized, you can't wear that. So all the pilots went down, had the patch
Had the
put
patch
it
made
on.
and put it on the flight suit.
Yeah. In number, you can get it approved.
There's one here, right?
Yeah.
Is this an actual flight suit? We can like move around and look at
This is
stuff.
one of the, now, this isn't the suit that they wore in the plane.
In the plane, right.
They ran around base in
Right,
suits,
right, right.
you know.
And
So
I
when
saw
you
on
saw
the- if
an
you go this
orange
way-
suit, you knew that these were SR pilots.
Yeah, yeah.
And they got to go to the front of the line, wherever they were at, in the commissary or the BX or wherever, and they got priority by having an orange suit.
No
The rest
kidding.
of them wore green suits. You
It's
know.
like different, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. There's actually on the side over here, Saber, if you can get it, there's one of the Habu patches on the arm of the flight suit. So, or not the flight suit, one of the.
Yeah.
See how it is? He's just like, yeah, see the side, I'll turn
see,
the
see
display
this guy,
for
he
you.
turns around real easy.
Again, don't walk into a museum and be like, I need to get a better picture and grab the exhibit, please. He's got a vest, he's got all the appropriate patches. He's allowed to do that. So
And
somebody.
I get to put you in the airplane too. You know, I can't do that to everybody. Only important people.
Only
Yeah.
important. Well, I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
important. I just talk a lot.
Yeah. But this is what they wore, you know, during the day and everything. Now, when they got ready to fly the plane,
Right.
they went into the room and stripped down, put on their long johns, and of course they had a special pair of long johns that
Right.
had heating tubes
heating
in it.
elements and
Yeah,
stuff,
heating
right?
elements in. And then the spacesuit on top. Took about 30 minutes to suit them up.
Just to suit
and
up.
of course they had people that would zip them in and put them in and put their helmet on and everything.
Like a team of people to get their protective
Yeah.
gear on, basically.
Then they got to sit with the helmet on for about 1 hour to breathe.
Yeah.
And dispel all of the nitrogen out of their blood. You could take a nap while you
While you were
yeah.
denitrogenated or whatever.
Yeah, denitrogenated.
Nice.
Yeah. Then they were transported out to the flight line and was loaded on board the
So they would be
aircraft.
completely sealed in the suit
Yeah.
for an hour
Airtight.
before they even get in the plane.
Yeah, before they even get there.
Because it was basically a spacesuit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the plane flew so
Yeah,
high.
Same suit that we used on the space shuttle.
No
In fact,
kidding?
we loaned a number of suits from the SR program over to the space shuttle when they first started. And so, I mean, it was the same suit. You know,
No
and
kidding.
unbelievable. And these are suits that would survive an ejection at Mach 3 and 80,000 feet, and the pilot would survive.
You could eject?
You could eject out of this airplane.
And
No
that was
kidding?
the question they just asked. Did
Yeah.
it have an ejection seat or did it have
Yes.
an ejection capsule?
No,
And we have a seat over
they
here.
talked
that we'll
about
get
an
to.
ejection
Really?
capsule,
Yeah.
and the head test pilot said, no, he said, that's too much gear, too much weight.
Right.
So he preferred an ejection seat, so Lockheed built a special ejection seat that would get them out of the aircraft.
Could
And
eject
at
it
those
Mach
speeds.
3.
Did anyone ever have to use that?
Yes, we had, well, there was a lot of them used, but most of them were at low altitude,
Right,
low
right.
speed. But we had 3 astronauts that punched out at above 80,000 feet and going Mach 3.
No kidding.
One of
3
them was a
astronauts?
test pilot, and his neck was broken on the ejection.
Yeah.
But the pilot himself landed back on the ground in New Mexico, and a farmer picked him up and took him to the hospital. And,
How'd you get here?
Yeah.
How'd you get here?
My SR-71.
Yeah,
No
I just saw
kidding.
your airplane blow up. Would you like to go to the hospital?
It goes from the SR-71
Yeah.
to like a tractor.
Yeah, so
Like, here's your
well,
ride.
we put him in his little Hughes helicopter, and he says, and flew me to the airport or to the hospital.
No
And
kidding.
he says, I just got out of an airplane that exploded. Now I'm going to get in a helicopter. He said that I don't trust. And he says all the instruments were redlined. He says I was sure I was going to die in the helicopter. But Bob Weaver made it through there, or Bill Weaver, but he's been out here a couple of times too.
Nice.
Unbelievable stories.
Let's start walking back towards the back, and we'll sort of
Okay.
go from the back and work
Yeah.
our way towards the front.
This is 107 foot of airplane.
107 foot.
Most of that is fuel tank. It carried 12,250 gallons, or about 80,000 pounds of fuel.
Yeah?
So, it was a big flying refueling.
No kidding. And I think it didn't even take off fully fueled.
Normally they didn't. Yeah, you could take off fully fueled,
Right.
but it was so heavy that it was a stress on the tires on takeoff. So,
Yeah.
after they lost a plane when the tires blew out, they decided half a load of fuel, climb up, get up there,
filled
feed
up,
a
and then go the
tanker,
rest of the way.
Then take off on your duty.
I still have these glasses
I
on.
have heard, and I want to know if this is just a myth or not, I have heard that when it was sitting on the ground, that because the skin expanded as it went up, that on the ground it actually leaked. Like a
Yo,
sieve.
it's in leak. Yeah.
That's what somebody in chat was saying.
Wait.
It's too clean underneath the
Yeah,
aircraft.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, this isn't a real airplane because it's not leaking.
It's not leaking.
Yeah. Any airplane in the Air Force, if it isn't leaking something, it must be wrong. or broken.
It must not have fluid in it. Like
This one leaked fuel, but not excessively.
Right.
They had allowances for every point on the aircraft.
Right, where it's
And-
supposed to,
Yeah, and it
versus-
was always wet underneath, but this
Yeah.
was normal. JP7 fuel was a specially formulated fuel just for the Blackbird.
no kidding.
Because you got to remember, we're storing the fuel in the fuel tanks.
Right.
The fuel tanks got up to about 600 degrees.
600 degrees.
Yeah.
Regular jet fuel ignites at about 200 and some degrees.
Right.
So that wouldn't have been real safe to have regular JP4 in the fuel tanks.
Sitting in the fuel tanks. No
so they
kidding.
formulated a fuel that ignited at 800 degrees. Now you have a problem. How are you going to light a fuel?
How are you going to light it?
Yeah, matches isn't going to work.
We wanna be in
that
charge.
Bic isn't going to work.
I don't think anybody got behind
Yeah.
the thing with a sparker or
Yeah,
anything.
no,
Like,
yeah, you don't use that lighter.
Yeah.
So that little silver bottle up on the top contained a chemical called triethylene bromine,
Yeah.
or TB for short, and it exploded when it came in contact with air and burned at 3,000 degrees.
no kidding.
So when they
It's
got
like a-
ready
like
to
a
start the
starter
engine,
for
they'd
the-
wind the engine up and they'd turn the fuel switch on, and at that moment they ejected a small amount of TB into the combustion chamber.
Yeah.
Boom! And it would light the fuel.
No. So tell us more about this whole thing. This is an actual engine?
This is an actual engine.
This isn't like a mock-up or anything like
No,
that. This is an
no,
engine.
This is one of them. We got the other one sitting over there on a stand.
So we
but-
can get closer to it
yeah,
over that way.
yeah.
No kidding.
But this is an unbelievable engine. It's the only jet engine that was ever developed that transitioned from jet engine to ramjet in flight.
Right.
So, it was unusual. Pratt & Whitney thought they're going to sell 1 million of these things to all the airlines.
Yeah, exactly.
Airlines don't fly at Mach 3, so it's kind of hard to...
Sometimes I wish they did, but
Yeah.
apparently that's expensive.
Yeah,
I don't know.
when you figure this airplane flew from Los Angeles to New York in 64 minutes, I can't get to the airport in 64 minutes.
You'd
But,
spend more time in security than
yeah,
you would
yeah,
fly to the other airport.
trying to get through the line to get on the airplane. So it's an unbelievable engine. Pratt & Whitney was in charge of the engine. Ben Rich, who was Kelly Johnson's second in charge, he was in charge of the air induction and the engine assembly together. And he came up with this thing. He says, it took 10 years off my life. It was so dang complicated and so much trouble. But he came up with this thing. Unbelievable engine. I mean, the spike. Now, this airplane's got a little spike on the nose
the little
of
spike.
it.
You can turn it very quick. Yeah, grab it really quick.
This is an F-104
right.
Starfighter. Lockheed built this, too. But this one has a spike on it, but this spike moves in and out.
So that's crazy. Like, I never really understood this, but the engine is back here, and there's a lot of room in front of it.
There's a whole big area.
Is that more engine, or is that intake,
no,
or what do we call
it? Intake. There is no fire, no flames, no fuel in there, and yet the engineers tell you that that part produces 56% of the thrust.
Just in how it gets...
I said, no, wait, there's no fuel, there's no fire. Now, how can it produce thrust? He said, well, it sucks the airplane through the air. I said, you're telling me the SR really sucks? And the pilot laughs and he says, yep, it sure did.
No kidding. Did we get that in context? Like, do you have to back up something? Or just, like, the amount of engine that's over here? And then the amount of intake that's in front of it?
In there. So by regulating the amount of air that came in the front, you could balance it along with the amount of fuel that
no kidding.
And you got a supersonic
Let's
airplane.
watch up to the front at the spike.
I did that. See, now I'm learning something.
See? She's learning things.
Now,
this has wings, though. This has wings. You're supposed to...
Now, she pushes on that spike.
It's almost a spacecraft. Like,
this spike is fully extended now. At about Mach 2, the spike unlocks and starts moving back.
It moves back in.
And like a big plug in a bottle,
the
spike comes back and actually restricts the amount of air coming through.
Yep.
But it opens up this inlet much bigger.
Right.
So it's sucking more air in.
It's got more area to get the air intake, but it's it also sort of like the flow as it hits the tip of the spike, it sort of tunes it so the flow's like going straight into the intake.
So at this point, the shock wave, most shock waves are outside the engine.
Right.
It tears the engine apart.
It's not good to have a shock wave in the engine a lot of times.
This one locked the shock, positions the shock wave about 18 inches, 20 inches inside the inlet.
Yeah.
Now you got to slow the air down from Mach 3 down to less than Mach 1 before it reaches
before it
the
actually
engine.
enters. Did you get inside the engine some?
Yeah.
Like, can you like?
Did you crawl inside the engine, get a picture?
Like, just put the camera up in there right quick.
Yeah.
No
so
kidding.
I mean, with some unbelievable ingenious development, he came up with ways of regulating the amount of air coming in, bleeding it off.
Yeah.
And
slowing it down because you need the oxygen in the air to blow
you
up,
need
right? You need to oxidize.
I said, well, you're at 80,000 feet. I said, there isn't much air up there. He says, it's sucking 100,000 cubic feet per second into that inlet.
What?
I said, boy. I said,
what?
How does that compare? They said, that's equivalent to 1 million people all inhaling at the same time. I said, and exhaling back there.
Yeah, really hard. Like,
blow hard
actually
back
breathing
there.
like gargling with jet fuel or something.
Just don't light a match while you're gargling.
Don't gargle with jet fuel.
Yeah, don't put jet fuel. It tastes terrible.
It tastes terrible.
Sure you.
I don't want to know how you know that. So the other cool thing, we always love seeing, I call it battle damage, but it's like wear and tear on things. If you come up to the impeller blades, blades?
Oh, this is your compressor blade.
The compressor blades, thank you. Not an impeller, but a compressor. Look at the iridescent sort of. Can you get that on the camera?
Oh,
you
on
see
the far
how
side?
it's got this sort of.
Now
does it show up?
Yep.
This engine ran extremely hot. And regular steel or titanium even would have weakened at the temperature these engines were at. So Pratt & Whitney had to develop an engine using some exotic metals.
Right.
I can't even pronounce some of them, but very exotic, combined with titanium and other nickel. Nickel's a very good one.
Yeah.
Because it's a high temperature. They came up with an engine that could withstand 800 degrees here.
Yeah.
About 11 or 1200 degrees at the combustion chamber, and by the time it got to the afterburner, it's about 1700 degrees. Inside the afterburner is about 3100 degrees. That melts anything made out of regular metal. So.
It's just the craziest thing because this is an actual engine that actually flew. It's not like a mock-up or something. It's not like, oh, this was a spare part we never used. And you can see sort of the bluing on, I don't know if that's the right term, Chet can correct me, but just sort of the iridescent
and,
coloring.
And when you heat metal, it does that. You'll
Yep.
see instruments or tools that have been heated and it turns that blue tint.
Yep.
This titanium is one of the great metals that the more you heat it, the stronger it gets.
The stronger it gets and the
So-
prettier it gets almost
Yeah,
too.
and when this airplane, after it flew 20, 25 years, it was flying better and the metal was stronger when
No
it quit
kidding.
flying than it was when they built
It was like temporary.
Yeah.
Tempering is the wrong
Yeah.
term, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
it tempered the metal, all right.
And even little things like this, like if you can get to Saber, it looks like these blades actually change or something. You
This-
see how there's like,
this-
it's almost
yeah,
like a control
this one-
service.
yeah.
He just grabs it, like I didn't want to touch it.
Well,
I'm like,
you can't adjust them because
Yeah.
but there is a band back in here
Yeah.
that rotates and it alters the.
It changes kind of the pitch of.
Yeah, the pitch of the air coming in
No
and
kidding.
slows it down, and that was to help reduce the amount of oxygen or the amount of air passing through the engine.
And I still can't even believe that this is the intake of the thing, and then the
Yeah.
engine starts here and goes back.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
never knew
it's-
that because I've
it's-
never seen one sort of opened up
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
The other
You
thing I'm going to
probably
point
won't.
out for the Kerbal fans, right?
Yeah.
For the Kerbal fans, look at the top of it up there, Saber. It's literally the same pattern as the pre-cooler in the game. So
Yeah.
the pattern of the vents up there, that must be what they copied
Yeah.
for the actual part we have in the game. Because we have an intake like this in our video game.
Oh,
and it's
wow.
the same sort of grid pattern
Yeah,
for the
that's
vents
great.
up there.
That's to help reduce that air coming in. If it
Yeah.
was too much, they could bleed it off over some of those, or pass it through the
No kidding.
through the cowling and cool the engine. And you know, I see why Ben Rich just went nuts. You know, trying to develop this because when they first developed the engine, they tried to start it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get enough air into the engine to start
Right.
it. And somebody said, "Well, we need more air." So the guy goes up with a big chisel and he cuts a hole in the top of the cowling,
Really?
allowing air to be sucked in. He says, "See, it worked.
There,
And
more
now
air."
We got more air." Now you got to figure out how to plug that up.
Yeah,
they,
no
They
kidding.
put these bypass.
So something like
doors
an
in.
active vent sort of system or
Yeah.
something like that, which is interestingly the exact
Yep,
same thing that it does
just
in the
like your
game.
airplane flies.
No kidding.
Now, do you get to fly the SR?
Do I get to fly it?
Yeah.
I've made one.
In the game.
Yeah,
In the
so you
game,
can
yeah.
actually make
Whoa,
one, and you
wow.
have some of the parts. You have like engines that are
Yeah.
inspired by these engines
Yeah.
that really don't
Yeah.
get going until you get to a certain speed
Yeah.
and altitude. And you've got these intakes, and we've got the shock intakes like this.
Yeah, and it's controlled by
Yeah, exactly.
Here, what year did they build this engine?
the engines. Well, Pratt & Whitney started developing it
Inside.
for the aircraft in the contract went out in 1960 for the Blackbird.
Okay.
And, but they didn't get the engines finished for a couple of years. The SR was ready to fly.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the first
Didn't have the engines done.
J58 engine. So they took one of the engines out of the F-104, or two of those in, and test flew it.
Tried to see how it would go.
And they got up off the ground and
Yeah.
it flew. I think they got it actually up to about Mach 1
Yeah.
with the J79 engine. Well, then they finally got the first J58, so they put that on one side and the 79 on the other side. And
Wait,
they-
really?
And they flew it with two different engines.
Two
Well,
different
that worked
engines?
okay. Pratt & Whitney finally got the second engine. So, yeah, about 1962, they finally got all of the engines and the aircraft combined together.
Yeah.
And the first successful test flight of the Blackbird was in, I think it was about June of 1962.
1962.
He was supposed to do nothing but just take off
Yeah.
and fly around
Yeah.
gently. Well, the first flight he had some control problem.
Right.
Had to bring her back down, but they corrected that. Second flight he was up to Mach 2.
No kidding?
You know, right away.
It seems to be a theme with these test pilots.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
Push it to
well,
the
we're
limit.
just going to taxi it in the water, and then, oops, it took
Whoa,
off.
He just accidentally took off, and that's kind of what happened to him. Huh? He said he got up to the takeoff speed, and whoa, all of a sudden it lifted off. Well, I'm doing good.
Let's
just
go.
Keep going with it. So
Well, we
he,
talked yesterday about the fact that this is less than 60 years after the Wright brothers.
No Yeah.
kidding.
So 1903 we got the Wright brothers,
Yeah.
and less than. And I'd like to point out for my children.
I'm
and
going
my
to get out of the
grandchildren,
way because I want y'all to see the engine.
This plane is older than me. I'm going to point that out for my kids.
Oh, that's terrible.
I like to say
That's
that
terrible.
just
Yeah, I
because
know.
it gives us a reference. But
yeah, when I was in the military and I got ready to retire, they said, "Well, Sarge, when did you come in the service?" I said, 1962. Wow, I wasn't even born yet. You know? I said,
rub
that
it
makes me
in,
feel old.
rub it in. But yeah,
No kidding.
60 years. We went
So it's
from-
60 years from the Wright brothers. Like we
Mach
looked at
3.
the model of the Wright
Yep.
brothers over
Yeah.
there. This literally like bicycle parts
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
wooden pieces with cloth strapped
Yeah.
over it
And
to
no
this
pilot's
thing.
licenses.
Yeah.
No pilot's
There didn't have
licenses
any
because there were no
pilots,
licenses.
so-
Were there like balloon pilot licenses or
I
something? I don't know.
Would balloon pilots
Balloon-
There was no
Yeah.
FAA,
They
that's
were-
for sure.
No.
Like they didn't have to fill out a form. Like
There was no, right.
You had to be full of hot air to fly the balloon.
Well done.
No,
well
can we
done.
keep going around this
Yeah,
way? Because
you bet.
God, I don't. There's so
Here's
much
the bypass tubes. There's 6 of them, and this bypasses air from the compressor.
Right.
Skips the jet engine and dumps it in the rear. And the jet engine's only putting out about 20% of the thrust at that point. This afterburner was a big one.
No kidding. I mean, the design of stuff like this, I like how it says, "Don't step on this." Like, I'm probably not going to step on that.
If you're
but that would
crawling up,
actually,
don't step.
God, that would bypass the. This is the main part of the jet engine here.
Yeah, it was
And
right
it would
in
just
here.
give you more oxygen back here to dump into the afterburner.
Yeah, and then we dumped in a whole lot of fuel, buckets and buckets.
Buckets and buckets.
Yeah, right here. These are the fuel injections.
So these are the fuel injections for the afterburner?
Yeah. And dumped in raw fuel and lit it, and you got 35,000 pounds of thrust out of this engine. And at the time, this was the most powerful engine ever built.
No kidding. Jet engine, or?
Yes, that's the most powerful jet engine. Yeah.
No kidding.
Now the new ones, the big 747.
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
are putting out about 100,000.
Sure, but they're not going Mach 3.
Yeah. One of the pilots told me, he says, "This is the only airplane, the faster you flew, the less fuel you use." I says, "Oh, well, if you flew fast enough, you wouldn't use any fuel."
You wouldn't use any fuel.
He said, no, it didn't work quite like that.
So the interesting thing, and I keep making the game references, that's the same way that these engines work in the game.
Yeah.
So the faster you get going, the less it starts to sip the fuel.
Yeah.
So the trick is to get going high
Get
enough
up
where there's
and
less
then-
drag,
and
but still
then-
enough air, and that's... There you go, chat.
So you got
Inspired by
the real
things.
thing in your game.
Oh, that's what when I'm talking to the camera, I say
Yeah.
chats because that's the people who
Chats,
are
yeah.
chatting right now. So if you want to tell them something, just
Come
be
on,
like, listen
chat.
up, chat.
Yeah. Chat with me, huh?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Let's do this right quick. Are there any questions? We're sort of back here by the engines. If we have any questions, put some things in. I'm going to scroll through right quick. You keep telling us cool stuff about whatever you want
Okay.
to tell us about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if there's some questions. And if you guys see any questions, let me know if I missed anything.
Killmeister asks, did they need to ignite the fuel, or did the pressure self-ignite?
No, they had to light it
They
because
had
it
to
was
light it.
such high ignition fuel. That's what the TUV or the triethylene bromine was used for, was to light the fuel.
Right.
Now, once you had it lit, then it sustained itself.
It would just keep
Yeah.
going. So you
But
light it
there was
one
also-
time.
There was also an injector right into the afterburner area.
Right.
Just to make sure that when they went to afterburner that it lit. So there was another injector that squirted a little bit of TB. And when you look at the video back here, you'll see a little blue-green flash.
Right.
And that was the TB igniting in the afterburner.
Nice. We
chamber.
see those with rocket launches a lot of the time as well, because some of the engines are actually
Yeah.
lit by like
Yeah.
T-tab on the
Yeah.
SpaceX engines, and we always look for the green flash at the
Yeah.
beginning of the launch because that's the ignition fluid, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
to get the fuel going. No kidding.
Unless it's that hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah, exactly.
Brelani wants to know, how long could the afterburner be used at a time without risking the engine or running out of fuel?
This is the only jet engine that could run continuously an afterburner and not damage it.
It was just designed to be an
It was
afterburner.
designed to burn continuously, and this plane flew about from takeoff to landing, and probably 70% of the time was in afterburner.
No kidding.
Most of the jet engines, you run 5 minutes and you're starting.
You better
to,
shut it down.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
damage the engine.
So opposed to like our video game stuff, we're just like, just firewall at the entire
Firewall
afterburner
it,
the
baby,
whole
yeah.
time, whatever. It is like this engine could actually do that, but sometimes when you're in a fighter plane game or something
Yeah.
like that, you're not really supposed to do that constantly.
Slow it down.
No kidding.
Raycors wants to know, what is the time from turning it on, prep, to liftoff?
Turning it on to liftoff is the question.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
Pre-flight time.
Well,
Nice.
it was a long. I mean, the videos when you see them, the pilot just jumps in and boom, fires up, and away he goes.
Yeah.
This was a high maintenance, long time pre-flight check. I mean, the crew chiefs were out probably 3 to 4 hours before the aircraft was due to take off.
Right.
You got to remember, the oil for this thing was so solid or so dense that it solidified in the fuel,
Solidified?
in the tank. So before you could start these engines, you had to pump hot air into the engine.
You have to like defrost the airframe.
yeah,
from,
defrost the engine.
Yeah.
And so
From-
it
from,
took,
like, regular
it took 2
temperature.
to 3 hours of pre-flight before the pilots could get in it, and then they had to do their pre-flight checks and
Yeah.
everything else while the engines are running and everything. And probably about another hour after the crew gets in, he's finally ready to
Yep.
push the throttle forward and take off.
No kidding. Another question?
Yep. Service hours for the engines.
Service hours,
well,
like how long they would go.
How long before?
Yeah, before it
You
had
either
to
take it out and rebuild
The
it?
engine itself was very reliable. You could probably get. I haven't ever seen any actual statistics, but
Yeah.
they said they could fly for numerous flights on the engine, where the afterburner area, this casing, and inside,
You
if
come
you
around
look
this way.
inside, you'll see a ceramic coating in here. And you got to realize this area back here got to about 3,400 degrees, and so
Wow.
the ceramics would start peeling off and the metal would start failing.
No
They said
kidding.
after about 7 flights they would have to pull the engine and pull the afterburner off and put a new one on. So
So it would be like your brakes on your car or
Yeah,
something. It would
yeah.
be used over time.
and the engine's good, but your afterburner's got to be changed out every few
No
flights. And
kidding. Is this all right? This looks like a replacement part or something. It doesn't look like there's any wear and tear on it.
this was a fairly new engine
Okay.
here. Yeah. Now if you go over and look at our other engine, the inside of this looks really worn in.
Okay.
Ceramics is coming off and everything.
We'll have
So
to
it's
do that.
Yeah.
When we
We'll
walk
go
over the other way, remind us, chat.
Yeah.
We'll look at the differences between this one, a fairly new sort of ceramic coating, and the more used one over there, and sort of see because as it was flying, it was
Oh,
using
yeah.
the ceramic.
Yeah,
Like
and
the
it
ceramic was sort of
starting to
ablating
burn
off.
stuff off and peeling and chipping off and everything.
No
So
kidding.
that's a ceramic coating that helped to hold the temperature down. But you got to remember, about 500 feet behind this airplane, you were still at 1,000 degrees.
The exhaust temperatures.
Yeah. You know, so it put out a huge IR balloon out
No kidding.
The maximum flight time for the aircraft?
there. Maximum flight time. Well, you got to remember they refueled in flight. If you didn't refuel and you ran the fuel tank completely empty, this plane could get about 3.5 hours of flying in it.
Yeah.
Normally, refueling every 2,000 miles. You wanted some reserve.
Right.
It took a lot of fuel to get up to altitude.
Right.
And then you had about 2 hours of flying, and then you had to meet a tanker and top off
top
your
off
tank
or
to
something.
get-
Yeah, yeah.
So now you could just keep refueling.
It's not like pilot
The
fatigue.
plane
at some
can fly
point.
forever.
Yeah, if you keep refueling it, yeah.
If you had oil, and these fuel tanks had to be pressurized with nitrogen
Right.
gas to keep it from igniting in the fuel tanks.
Ah, okay.
We only had enough nitrogen stored on board the aircraft for about 11 and a half hours of flying.
So it would refuel off of a tanker,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't refuel the nitrogen.
It wouldn't
would just
refuel the nitrogen.
and it would keep
Yeah.
using the nitrogen to
so
pop up the
nitrogen
tanks.
was good until you ran out, and then you either had to fly subsonic or you had to land.
You had to land.
Yeah,
At
one
some
way or
point you
another
had
you're
to
going to land. Yeah.
As we head this direction, I want to point out that this on the wall over here, you see
Yeah.
the Michael King Smith Education Institute.
Uh-huh.
So if you are a high school student and you live in McMinnville, Oregon,
Right.
you can go to school here.
Wait, you go to
Right
school
here.
here?
You go to school
Right
here.
there.
You go to
like,
school
Like you
here?
walk past this every day. That's how you get to your school.
Yeah, these kids
Those are
don't
your
think anything
stairs.
about walking
What?
under
So
the
these are your
SR.
classrooms up here.
Yeah.
If you look up, you'll see the classrooms.
So there's actual high school classrooms here that
we
kids
have several
come
hundred
to.
students. They're all kids who are interested in engineering that go to school here. When Mr. Smith built the museum, he built that space dedicated for students to learn more.
No
We were
kidding.
talking yesterday about how many different things he did for students and for kids in our area. And so it's a high school. It's part of the McMinnville School District, and you can go to school there.
You can go to school. Like I grew up in the middle of like a cornfield, and it was like, here's a tractor. Like,
Yeah,
And then
you
the
and
ro-
I got to build cars or work in
Exactly,
shops.
And
yeah.
now the
They
kids
get
come
to do
through, They do
engineering.
robotics. This is the robotics lab. They do robotics after school.
No
We have a
kidding.
TV studio area.
There's a
So
TV studio.
There's a
area?
TV studio.
Well,
We should
yeah.
come in and talk about streaming or something. Like
Yeah.
that.
You should. Wouldn't that
We
be
could do an
fun?
entire like session on.
They've moved that back to the high school now, so we don't get to watch them making movies.
Aw.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it was
we
fun
recorded a
though.
lot of stuff.
No
here.
kidding.
So, yeah.
So I mean, it's high school classrooms. We were
Right.
saying, and there's the windows up there. Those are the
Yeah,
classrooms
they
up there.
can look out.
And you always see like
daydream.
the whole thing where it's like the daydreaming, like looking out the
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
This class is so boring.
And watching
you
the
look
birds.
inside the museum and you daydream about the rockets and the planes and stuff like that, as opposed to the
Absolutely.
parking
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So these kids.
And these are the top
Yep.
students in the school. You know,
Yeah.
I think you had to have a B average to get into the program.
Yeah.
And you had to maintain a C while you're
So it's
in
not
it.
just anybody
Yeah.
can just
No.
sign up for it.
No.
You have to apply
But
for
their
the special
teachers
classes.
are engineers. most of them hold doctorates.
Yeah.
So, you know, the students can pick up an associate degree in engineering before they get out of high
No
school.
kidding.
I had one of the
I went to the wrong school.
I had
Mom,
one of the,
Mom, you
send
raised me in the
to
wrong
Newman.
place.
Send me to McMinnville. I want
Is
to
there
go
like
to
a
school.
maximum age for enrolling in the high school?
I think you have to be a sophomore to get into the program.
Can I like rescind my
Give the rest of
diploma?
it back.
You won't pass for
Well,
a sophomore.
I could shave. I look a lot younger if I shave.
Shave your head? Have a
I almost
mohawk?
did. Yeah, I almost did. Let's keep going around this way.
Now, this
Look at the back of
engine-
the intake.
Yeah, this engine would have slid right up into this compartment, and the mount bolts are up on the top, so there's attachment pins in the top of the engine and on both sides that hold the engine in there.
I've never seen this before. Like you can see all the way out the intake on the front, and the engine's like sort of out of the way, like transverse off the side like that.
And this, to my knowledge, this is the only SR
Right.
that's exhibited with the wing folded up.
Really?
We can't get it down now.
Prove us we can't get it down now.
Yeah, it'd be a big drop.
Don't get it down. We don't want it to to go down.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
No kidding.
People think, well, that's not a wing. That must be a tail.
That's the
sticking up
wing.
there. Yeah.
No, look,
That
I didn't even
holds
understand
out
it.
this way. Yeah.
There's the tail, like the vertical stabilizer there, and that's the wing that's going up like that, y'all. Just like
And that
walking
holds
across the
down
museum.
this way to reach out almost to the 104.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now the control surfaces weren't out on the outer wing.
Right?
They're in here.
Okay.
You know,
They're just right here, chat.
Yeah,
Like
they're
this.
right here. And it didn't move very much because this airplane flying at Mach 3, you didn't make dogfight turns.
Yeah, you're not, like, turning.
It took about 75 miles radius to make a turn.
Your
with this
defensive
thing.
maneuver was go faster.
Go faster.
Yeah. That was your defensive maneuver. It's
Yeah.
like missile, go faster.
Yeah.
Like
Either that or change direction or something.
Yeah, exactly. No kidding. And again, it's like as we've done the disclaimer 100 times, we have like special access here.
Yeah.
If you walk into the museum, don't go and like, oh, I'm gonna like
I
do
want
a
a
pull up
piece
on
of
this or
this.
something.
Yeah.
No.
Now, I don't know if the camera can see it, but there is a sawtooth pattern underneath here.
Can we get that?
I'll have to get closer for it.
Yeah. If you get up close.
Here, I'll get out of the way.
Yeah.
There is a
It's hard to
sawtooth
see.
pattern. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see it.
Now, the sawtooth, that's titanium. This is a plastic material, honeycomb plastic, and the radar hitting it would come through the honeycomb material, and it would bounce around inside.
It gets kind of trapped
and
inside.
kind of trapped, and eventually you might lose a little of the radar signature.
Yeah.
But that was part of the stealth design of the aircraft, and this wraps all the way around the outside of the airplane.
No
vertical tail.
Yep, I see it.
The nose of the spike is that same plastic material, not carbon fiber, because they hadn't developed that.
Right, they hadn't developed that yet.
Yeah, this is
It's like
asbestos and epoxy. And,
It's asbestos and epoxy.
yeah,
like I
stuff you're not
said,
supposed to breathe. You know?
don't lick the artifacts.
Yeah.
It's for a reason when we say that. Don't lick the asbestos plastic panels on the
Yeah.
SR-71.
Yeah. And you can look underneath. You can see the corrugated titanium.
Yeah, you can
sheets
sort of
under there.
see.
Yep.
You'll get that back that way.
Yep, you can see it.
The lighting's real good for that. but-
This is a great angle because you sort of
Yeah,
see
because you can see that real well, and that was to compensate for expansion and contraction.
Okay.
If it was an
Because it would
absolute,
heat up.
yeah, if it was an absolute flat sheet, it would warp when it shrunk or expanded. So by corrugating it, it allowed it to give and
flex to it or
take.
something. Yeah.
This airplane has no rivets in it.
No rivets.
Yeah, these are all screws holding
You're
the
right.
panels on.
Look up here, Steve. Look, they're all screws. They're like special screws, actually.
Yeah,
They're like
oh, yeah.
little tornadoes.
And they're titanium
Yeah,
screws.
little
Yeah.
titanium screws. Do you see how it's sort of a tornado pattern? How much zoom can you get there?
Oh, we can also just do this.
It's like, you know, you can walk into the bathroom in a place and they have the special security screws. The SR-71 pioneered that concept. No, I'm kidding. I made that up. No kidding.
So that helped to reduce the radar image. The shape of it reduced it the biggest. The chime area, that flat pancake shape on
Right.
the nose, that provided about 90% of the radar absorption or deflection. You know, so this whole airplane, 107 feet of airplane,
Well,
About like the size of that cabinet coming at
From a
you at
radar
80,000 feet.
then you have the massive IR bloom behind it. It's like, oh,
Big
the plane's
desk
way
is
back
coming
there.
at us, yeah.
What's happening? It's a really big hot desk coming
Yeah,
after
hot
us.
desk. So I mean, by the time you picked it up on the radar, they probably had about beep, beep, 2 beeps on the radar
Yeah.
screen, and the bird was gone.
Like, what is that thing?
They
Let's keep
estimate there was probably close to 1,000 SAM missiles fired at the Blackbird.
Yeah.
None of them came close
Even
enough
came
to
close to
ever hitting the aircraft.
No kidding.
If they were to have gotten close enough that they thought it was a danger,
Yeah.
the 2 white units over here on the left-hand side that
Okay.
you see down along the edge there, those were radar jamming units. They're
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, up in
right
the front.
here. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I
right
got
in
you.
the fuselage.
We'll walk closer to those in a
Yeah.
minute, right?
Yeah.
They were radar jamming units, and Lockheed had developed, well, or whoever built the units, they had built a radar jamming unit that could jam, defeat every known radar signature in the world.
No kidding.
Yeah, so, you know, the Russians just finally quit turning their radar on because
Yeah, they're
they
like,
knew that
whatever. Now
we
you're just
were
going to know where our radar installations
yeah,
are.
yeah. So they quit turning theirs on, and we said, okay, you know, we won't do anything to threaten you.
No kidding. Let's keep walking around
Yep,
this way.
yeah.
I see we've got the start card over here. Oh, and here we go, Chad. It looks like
We got a
there's
big
some,
hole right here in the back of the airplane.
Okay.
In the tail, and that is their fuel dump. And often, if they came in with an emergency and they still had excessive fuel on
They could
board,
get rid of some weight by.
they could dump it in some farmer's field, or out over the ocean, or up in the Sierras. Or, you know.
So this
But,
is actually they were talking about
yeah.
up here. That's like a fuel dump.
Yeah.
No
And they had to
kidding.
get the load down to about probably about 10,000 pounds before they could land.
A
So-
spider up there. Get off the SR-71,
Yeah.
spider.
Yeah.
Go away. Here, sit on this chair. Not the SR-71. Little tiny spider.
Now,
No
the
kidding.
parachute that slowed it down
Right.
was about 20 feet up on the fuselage, right about in the middle of the wing.
Okay.
And that came out as soon as they touched down. The rear wheels touched. They popped the parachute out, and it.
It's like a
was
drag
about
chute
40
to slow it
foot of
down on the
drag
runway,
chute,
yeah.
and slowed the plane down so they didn't have to lay on the brakes and burn them up.
Yeah. Right.
Then when they got down to about 50 miles an hour, the pilot would jettison the chute.
Just the
and some poor
chute.
maintenance guy would throw it in the
Have to
truck.
go out there and put it in a pickup truck. Like,
Somebody go
Hold that up. Put it
somebody
in
go
there.
get the chute. It's like, yeah, I'm the guy who gathered up the
Yeah.
chutes from the SR-71 when they would land.
I
And
went
see,
out and
there's-
got one of those one time, and I thought, that's just a little chute, you know. And I put it in a little Dodson pickup.
A Datsun
and I'm
pickup?
I'm shoving parachute and shoving parachute. This thing's a lot bigger on the ground than it wasn't behind the airplane. Wow.
This is a great shot of
Yeah.
inside.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can see exactly what it's like without the engine.
So this
Yeah.
one doesn't have the engine in
Right?
it.
This is the one that
The
goes
other
out over
engine's
there.
displayed over
There
there.
you can look right straight through to the inlet.
So this is with it. It's not the wing isn't up. It's like
Yeah.
the service hatch or whatever you want to call it is in the vertical position, so you can see the normal tail and then the wing horizontally, and then the big hole where that engine and I
Yeah.
guess that goes all the way up to the intake, huh?
One of the features of this thing is this cone assembly here on the
Right.
outside. Under the extreme temperature, this thing would heat up and it would expand out this way.
Right.
From sheer heat.
Okay.
And the crew chiefs would come back, or the pilot would come back and land, and the crew chief come out and look, and he said, "You overtemp my engine." I said, no, I saved it with, he said, "See these little devices right in here? These were called turkey feathers."
Turkey
And-
feathers.
Yeah, and they're just a little strip of titanium that fits in there with pins holding it in. Well, if this thing got too hot and expanded out too far,
Yeah.
they'd lose these turkey feathers.
Really?
A couple of them. And so the crew chief could tell pretty well that they'd overtemp the
No
engine.
kidding, because they'd come back
Yeah.
missing some
Yeah.
feathers in the.
Yeah, they plucked the feather right out of the back of that
No
turkey.
kidding. See, I always thought like, oh, to make more thrust, this like it's smaller whenever the
Yeah.
engine lights
Well-
up. This actually gets bigger.
Well, the internal part back.
Yeah,
further
back that way it would.
Inside that was controlled by the engine. And
Right.
there was a hydraulic actuator that actually closed down the throat to give
Right.
you more thrust. But these just was for expansion.
That would heat up so freaking
Yeah.
hot that it would
'Cause,
just
I mean,
be
it's
yeah.
3,000 degrees in here, so
No kidding.
you had to have some expansion capability. And the bypass doors sucked in extra air to help cool.
Oh yeah, there are. You can see
Yeah.
right out the big bypass up there, the vents in the back.
Yeah.
No kidding. So the interesting thing here, I guess, for our game tie-in, we have the little bypass doors like that on our engines. You can see them and you can see through them, but that's not even the engine. That's just the very back of the engine
that's
that you
the
see.
exhaust area.
No kidding. And then it's just, our engine is invisible in front of that part. You just like snap a little nozzle on.
Can you see your engine in yours?
No, you can't. It's an invisible
boy,
engine
you better
part.
get an engine.
Yeah, we have the intake up at the front, and we have this nozzle, and usually
the fire coming out back here.
Fire coming out the back, and then we put fuel in that part there. To make it, it's like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah,
That's
and
where
there
the
was
engine's
fire.
supposed
Yeah,
to
there
be.
was flame and fuel dumped in here, and it burnt. Now, if you see pictures, you'll see shock diamonds out behind the engine.
That's right.
That was unburnt hydrocarbons in the fuel, and because it's supersonic, it formed in the form of diamonds.
Yep.
And if the engine was really well tuned, perfectly tuned, you could count about 11 or 12 of these shock diamonds out behind.
No kidding.
Really neat at night or just at dusk when they're
You would
taking
look
off.
at it and you'd be like, all right, 1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, darn it, he's
needs to
gone.
be tuned a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit out of tune.
Yeah.
No kidding. Let's keep walking around here and look at the start cart.
Which is fantastic because we're talking about how advanced this thing is and how incredible it is. The start cart, you would think, would be equally advanced. I
It's
mean,
like
come
a
on now.
spaceship start cart or something.
Completely. But what is it really? What's the engine for the start cart from?
2 Buick Wildcat.
2 Buick engines.
You bet.
Let's come around this way.
Balanced and, you know, and
I'm just
forward,
I'm stepping over the cable, the wire.
But they shortly, in the history of it, they ran out of Buick engines. I don't know if Buick company did or just maybe the Wildcat engine. So they went to a Chevy big block engine on it. But
It's literally just 2 engines right next to each other.
And the exhaust comes down here.
Yeah.
And,
It comes out the side.
Right there. You know,
There's
there isn't a foot of exhaust pipe.
Open header.
Yeah, and you got fire coming out about 6-8 foot out from that starter cart.
No kidding.
Right underneath the aircraft, because this whole thing had to be pushed underneath here.
Right.
And this big starter dog was hydraulically raised up and locked into
That's like a gear, it looks like, right?
Yeah, it's a big tooth gear, and that locked into the transfer case in the bottom of the engine.
Right, that it would spin up the...
And through a series of gears, it would start turning the engine, and you know, and of course this thing's running at about 5,000 RPM, just screaming, fire flying out of it, and you know, deafening around these things.
So somewhere under here, there's like an access panel that they'd open up, and they'd put that up into there and connect it to the engine.
Yeah, he had a lever on the control panel that he'd lift, and this would hydraulically go up. And they'd align it. You can see it wiggles around.
It moves back and forth a little bit.
And that would engage with the engine, and then they'd proceed to fire that baby up to, whatever.
However many RPMs they would fire it up to,
5,000-6,000 RPM on that thing. And these things are just screaming like that and making, you know, noise like thunder. And then
I can't imagine. I mean, just the open headers coming off the side of that thing.
Oh, I know.
It's like there's not a muffler at all on it.
No muffler. Just unbelievable.
It's like what you're like on an airfield. Like, come on, put on your hearing protection.
Anytime you wanted to start an engine, an aircraft, you had to have one of these out there. They would start one engine, then shut this thing down, and they'd roll it around to the other side,
one side and the other.
Start the other.
No kidding.
These were very inconvenient to have to haul around to other bases.
It's even got it on here. It's like for air shipment. This card is designed for a G4 app.
Yeah, you had to tie it down on the airplane. And if it broke down out in Texas or Norway or something like that, you had to transport these to the base to get the plane started. They finally came out with this air turbine.
Oh, wow.
Condensed, you know, all of that powered down to this.
Just this?
Yeah, just this. And then they'd hook 2 great big air hoses in here at high flow.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that would spin this turbine up in here, and this would engage.
It's the same sort of gear that's on the top of the...
same gear as that one. And this would pop up and engage with the engine and rev it up. And you can see it on the video. It shows coming out of the bottom of it is condensed air, you know. And you know, and it's
kidding.
Much quieter
than that thing with the open headers on the side of it. It even looks like, since the engines are next to each other, I guess the exhaust from the other side of the engine comes out this side. So you got all 8 cylinders coming out there. And then the other side probably has the same sort of thing.
Same thing.
I love this. It says service engine with SAE 30 oil.
Well, all oil, you know, in the military has got a mil spec number. Here it tells you which one to use.
It's like, it's a Buick
Yeah.
engine. Just go down to AutoZone and like,
Yeah, get a quart of that oil.
Get a couple. It's a
When I was
quart.
at Beale, on a weekend, they
Yeah.
caught a crew chief that was trying to steal one of these engines and
Yeah.
put it in his Buick.
Put it in his Buick.
He had the engine out of his car, and he was in the process of trying to put one of these engines.
Trying to swap them back and forth.
He's now probably swapping engines in Leavenworth, but they'll try anything in the military.
No kidding.
Now you notice, look at the edge of the wing.
Oh yeah,
Big
look at
dip
that.
in it.
Here,
I
I'll
don't
walk
know.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see the dip right here. See the dip?
Somebody will come in and say, "You got a dip in the wing." I said, "What did you do? Did you run into that or something and bend it?" And people are just, I didn't mean to. This was a design feature of the wing.
Yeah, that was intentional.
The air coming off of this wing throws the shock wave back towards the fuselage
Right.
rather than out off the wing tip. So it reduced the amount of shock wave coming off of the wing
Just
tip.
little. There's a couple
It's a
little
little
features like that
Yeah.
on the plane. I know the nose is the
Yeah.
same sort of way. Up
Yeah.
on the nose,
And
you can
the
tell
same way.
an SR-71 from an A-12
Yeah.
if its nose is wrinkled a little
Yeah.
bit, right? It's
Yeah.
the sort of thing.
One of the pilots who was flying along, and he says, "I got an emergency. The nose of my airplane is starting to wrinkle and peel off, and quick, get it on the ground."
Yeah.
He got back down, and he's so panicked and everything. Crew chief comes out there and takes a big hammer and bonk, 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 bonk. He straightens out the titanium. And he said, "Oh, he does that normally."
It's supposed to do that. It's supposed to do
Yeah.
that.
I'm sure it scared the heck out of them.
No
So
kidding.
here's our ejection seat.
We have more stuff. Ejection seats.
Yeah, this is not an ejection seat out of this aircraft.
Okay, this is a different ejection
This is
seat.
a real old ejection seat out of I think an F-94 fighter. Really old.
Yeah, it doesn't
89.
say, yeah.
F-89. It says on my sign
F-89.
right
There you go,
here.
F-89,
Yeah.
okay.
Scorpion.
Yeah, the Scorpion, we got a model of the Scorpion out here.
Okay.
Well,
In the
it's in
backyard?
pieces in the backyard.
Yeah.
But a very early one, the ejection seats in those days had basically a cannon that
It just
blasted you
shot
out of
you
the
out?
cockpit. Yeah, and
No
so
kidding.
extremely probably
This-
nerve-wracking to a pilot.
This looks like it's the sort of thing that you play jokes on new pilots because it's got
Yeah.
like casters on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's like strap in and we're gonna spin you around.
spin you around, and then you pull that handle.
Then you pull the handle or
Yeah.
something like. when
Yeah,
you're
these
disordered.
just shot you up a ways, and then you were snapped out of the seat.
Yeah.
There was usually I think
Oh, it
they
would actually
called
kick you out of the seat.
A butt snatcher strap that basically ran from here underneath you and hooked in, and once you separated the aircraft and that strap
Is under
pulled
tension
tight,
or something,
and
it just straightened out.
Yeah, and it
I
just
see.
threw you clear of the seat. But
Probably bruise your tailbone in the
yeah.
process.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. And you lost about a half an inch of height in ejection. One of our guys is about 5'8", and he says, "I used to fly in F4s." And I said, "You were?" I said, "You ever have to eject?" Well, once. And I said, "Oh, only once?" I said, "I figured you were 6 foot before, He says, "Yeah, okay."
Is this?
But,
I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about the ground equipment that's around this jack. Is this
Yeah.
like a generic aircraft jack? Did this come with the plane? Like, do we know?
Well, it was kept in the tool shed, probably with all the rest of the stuff. But if you had to change wheels, that could go underneath and lift the strut up.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the wheels on this aircraft is you could change any one of them independently.
Okay.
You didn't have to take
You didn't have to
two
take the
of them
whole
off
thing
to get
off.
to it. So
So
you
I
could
just-
pull. They were split axles, and the two axles could separate, and you could drop the center wheel, or you could shift it to the other direction and pull the outside one off.
No kidding.
Originally, they were magnesium rims, just like you're in your sports car.
Yep.
Now, but you're familiar with magnesium and what happens when it comes in contact.
It's a good way to
with
start.
friction,
Yeah.
catches fire.
It's a good way to start fire.
And we lost, I believe, 2 Blackbirds when the tires blew, excessive weight, and it went down. The rims caught on fire, and pieces went up through the fuel tank, caught the airplane on fire, and it burnt on the runway.
No
before it.
kidding.
So that's when they redesigned the landing gear and the rims, and then beefed up the tires and put 425 pounds of nitrogen in the tires,
No kidding.
and started flying with a half a tank
The
of
same
fuel.
sort of thing. Look, Saber, if you can get around this way. Look at the wear and tear on the tires. Like, these aren't like, mock-up tires or anything like that. I'm not sure that it would have flown with the one
No,
tire there.
well,
That's-
yeah, they've flown with these 2 outside ones.
Yeah.
The right inboard is probably worn beyond limits.
Yeah, look at that.
But,
Like, You think your car tire has some wear and tear on it?
This was good for about 17 landings on a tire.
No
And then
kidding.
you had to change it, and it was only a couple of $1,000 per tire.
Only a couple $1,000
Yeah,
per tire.
cheap tires.
Nice. There's more. I feel like, can I be the official like
Yeah,
SR-71
you're the
spider web
the
duster?
monitor.
Just I'll come through like once a month and I'll
Yeah.
just dust off all the cobwebs and stuff.
Now, if you notice, the wing is extremely thin, so
It
when
really is.
Yeah. So when this landing gear folded up, it folded right into that canister there.
Yep.
And that was a cooled chamber. There was air-conditioned air that pumped into there to help keep the tire.
To keep the tires, because the skin would get ridiculously hot, right? No
And
kidding.
the strut is the largest single piece of titanium that was ever machined. That started out as one solid block of
Look
titanium.
at this. Saber, come around this way and look at this thing. This is all one solid block right here?
Yeah.
It looks like it goes all
Couldn't
the way
be
down
poured
to here.
in this shape. It was
Yeah.
a solid block, and then put it on a lathe or whatever. And
So that's a
lathed it
big
down.
piece of titanium right there, y'all.
Huge. Yeah.
God. I mean, just look, it's
Yeah.
the central part, and then these parts are actually part of the same piece, all
Yeah.
the way out to there, like the
To the
axle
pivot
for it
point,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, the pivot point.
And then the lower part is titanium and slid up inside. Now you got to put some kind of an O-ring in there to keep the hydraulic fluid.
Yeah,
from-
up in here.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And regular rubber would have melted, so these had aluminum O-rings in there that
Aluminum
aluminum,
O-rings.
well, an
kidding.
aluminum alloy.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Would withstand the temperature, but unbelievable.
It's just, I never even knew that they had to air condition the tires to
Yeah.
protect them from the heat.
Oh,
It makes perfect
yeah.
sense once you
Yeah,
say it.
because
But
I mean, boy, if you got an airplane that's heating up to 600 to 800 degrees, the rubber melts.
yeah. And this
Lower
is,
than-
I mean, you said the wing was thin. I mean, this is basically the top skin of
Yeah.
the craft right here,
Yeah,
right?
that's
It's
the
not
top
any thicker
skin.
than this.
Here's the fuel tank in this area.
Yep.
There's
In fact,
fuel
look,
tank in here.
Saber, if you come over here, you can see some daylight through here.
Yeah.
Where that's the top
Uh-oh.
of the wing. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a little red.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So you can see right through the top right that way. That's how thin
That
the silly
is
thing
the top
was.
of the wing. I mean,
It's-
that's
Are your
one
gear
layer.
up? Like it looks
Yep,
like some sort of
there's a-
sensor or something, right?
There's a switch in there that tells the pilot your landing gear is up.
Yep.
Now you don't want to see that light come on when you've got the switch in the down position. And,
No kidding. And even like the back of this, look at the detail on this. There's some sort of like sealant on the
Yeah.
back of the screws.
well, look at and it's quite thick. I mean, the thickness through here is probably about 4
it's like an
inches.
insulation thing. or
All
something,
insulated in here.
Right? No
Yeah.
kidding. So every one of those screws would be screwed in the back of it.
Yeah. And then caulked over to keep
Yep.
it from backing out or whatever.
No kidding.
Now this airplane's been in here for about, well, since 2002. Well, not in here, but
Right.
we've had it since 2002. It was moved over here in 2008 when we opened up the Space Museum. And it'd been sitting here a long time, and all of a sudden, underneath the aircraft was a puddle
Okay.
right here underneath the intake. And I thought, what the heck, I stick my finger in it, it's about like molasses,
Right.
real thick. And I thought, but now I know there isn't any fuel in it. We took the fuel out.
Yeah.
What is
It's
it?
a good idea when
There's
putting
a
it in the
hydraulic actuator down through here, and the seals on the actuator probably finally gave out.
So the part that would move the cone back and
moved
forth?
the cone back and forth, it probably leaked out, and it formed a puddle. Very difficult to clean up.
All right. Look,
Yeah.
Somebody was saying
Yeah.
that it must not be real because it's not dripping.
Yeah.
Actually,
There
it
it
has
is.
a little bit of
Yeah.
hydraulic fluid or something
Yep.
coming out the bottom of it there. And you can see where it's been sort of cleaned
Yeah.
up. So, how long has this been in the museum?
Since 2008.
Since 2008. In this museum
It
here.
was over in the Air Museum at
In the other
2002.
museum or the other
Six
building.
years- 6 years over there. and-
Okay. So it's been sitting here for almost 10 years now,
Yeah.
and it's still got a little bit of a
Yeah,
drip
a
to it. Like,
little
I'm not kidding, Chad. I don't. Will it focus on that? Like, I've got some SR-71 hydraulic fluid on
I
my.
hate to tell you, but that's highly corrosive. It'll
Yeah,
hit the tip
exactly.
Of your
Here,
finger
let's. I'll wipe it on Saber
Yeah,
over here.
right there.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, here, see, look at there's the same.
Oh, the same
pattern
radar stuff, right?
all the way down the leading edge.
I'll say I'm going to deal with this by wiping it on my blue jeans.
Perfect.
And if I have a hole in my blue jeans because of that,
Yeah.
they're probably worth more.
Gary, what's this?
Wow, probably one of the best kept secrets of the military.
Yeah.
Next
Military
to the Manhattan,
secret.
No.
next to the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
When we built the atomic bomb, Lockheed built this thing. if you remember back in history, Gary Powers got shot down over Russia flying the U-2. Well, the Blackbird was going to be the replacement for the U-2.
Okay.
He gets shot down. We get caught. President Eisenhower says, okay, we got caught flying over your country and spying on you. We promise not to have any more manned flights over your country. Kelly Johnson said, oh, manned flights,
yeah.
We built an unmanned drone. That wouldn't violate the agreement. So he built the D-21. It's a ramjet-powered engine, built very much like the Blackbird, same material, titanium, some stealth capability, with the idea of launching it, and it would fly into, at this time we were looking at flying into China.
Right.
Because China was starting to detonate nuclear weapons out there, and we weren't sure what they were using. So this was going to spy on China. They built it with the idea originally of flying it, launching it off of the top of the Blackbird at Mach 3 and 80,000
Well, we've
feet.
seen those before, where they have the drone up on the back
on
of the
top. Kelly didn't see that that was an extremely safe mode of launch, but we'll try it. The first three successful, no problem. They pitched over, the drone flew off and flew quite successful. The fourth one, he flew level and launched it, and the drone hit the shock wave coming off of the top of the airplane, came back down and hit the back of the Blackbird, pitched the nose up in the air, and both of them disintegrated. Crew punched out successfully, but they lost the Blackbird and the drone.
No kidding.
Kelly said, well, I said that wasn't a good idea. Let's try something else. So they equipped these things to be launched off the wing of a B-52, along with a big
underneath the wing, like kind of an
with
X1
a big rocket engine to propel it up to the launch speed or the engine speed. And they launched roughly 20 of these things. They hadn't really perfected the guidance system.
Yeah, the drone. It's not like today where you could probably fly one from your cell phone sort of thing. Yeah.
So, I mean, this was going to be launched. It was a one-time use. Yeah. It would launch, take pictures, come back, drop the film canister and the guidance component, and then the drone would just fly off and self-destruct. Okay. $5.5 million loss. Wow. Every time they launched one.
Every time you launch one.
They launched 20 of them and only got 2 successful missions out of it.
Really?
So they said,
not the best way to go about it.
Maybe if we stuck with it a little longer, we might be able to solve the problem, but we're not going to. So they tossed these things out there in the sand out there in Arizona in the boneyard.
In the boneyard.
Nobody found them for 20 years. Some photographer stumbling around during an open house found these things and photographed them, and that's the first knowledge that the public had of the D-21
no kidding
program. Next month I'm going to do, I'm doing a talk on this and how they developed it.
Really?
Lockheed even built the rocket propulsion unit for it, and unbelievable.
So
I can't imagine.
Docents, among the other amazing things they do is they do weekly programs that we record and then that we put on so people will have access to them. So
really?
We'll be putting them onto our website so people can see them. So if you can't come to the museum, you can
still watch them.
Right, talk about
but you can see it live.
Right.
Like if you're there, you can actually see it.
If you're
we're trying to get it put on our website so that people can
And wouldn't it be cool if those were streamed too?
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Would anybody watch that?
What does this mean? Heart and soul.
Oh, that is a badge that Evergreen came up with.
Okay.
And it is basically kind of telling you how much time you spent as a
You
volunteer.
like earn a badge?
You get the basic one after 1 year.
Yep.
Then you get the yellow stripe for every other year.
Right.
And after you get 5 years, you get a
red stripe.
A red strip. So
you've been here for...
I should have 4 or 5 more stripes on here, but they're slow at recognizing your time.
And how many hours do you donate a year?
A year? Oh, jeez. I hate to think it in a year. I do about 16 hours, sometimes 24 hours a week.
A week?
Out here. I do Tuesday and Fridays out here.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like this on Saturdays I come out.
So this is his day off.
This is his day off.
We have to be done with him by 3 o'clock or we'll be in trouble with his wife.
By 3 o'clock, you're having 3.5 hours left.
She's going to come looking for you.
So we'll be in trouble. Yeah. So that's what's great about these guys. They
no
kidding.
Going
to be out here. So he came out just to talk to all
Thank
of
you again for walking us around. We're still going, right?
Yeah.
We're not letting you go yet.
Yeah.
We're not letting you go
you're not
yet.
through yet.
No, we've got till 3. The wife
This
said
is
so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There, just
that
take
is
that
not
off
a
real quick.
cheese slicer.
It's a cheese slicer.
Yes. You fly right through a block of cheese and it'll cut it in. This was one of their transmission antennas.
Okay.
This is a VHF antenna. The one up further up is a UHF. But that was their communication with the tower or with the refueling tanker. They seldom ever communicated with anybody because they required to keep radio silent.
Right.
But that was it. And that probably put out the largest radar signature of
the
any
whole
part
thing.
of the airplane.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is probably stainless steel, and the radar is bouncing off of this.
And even that sort of thing, like you'd have to engineer the specific antenna that's not going to melt while you're flying at Mach 3 at 70,000 feet or whatever.
Yeah, so it's I think we've got to
Put the protective cover back on. Does that thing...
No, it needs some work done on it.
Was it just sort of like...
It's supposed to screw down and tighten up against it. And,
It was almost just like bound in there, I bet you, right?
yeah, see, there's
Oh, there's a piece of cardboard.
yeah, somebody shoved cardboard in there.
Maybe the piece of cardboard to keep it up there.
Yeah. How about some super glue?
Yeah. That looks...
Cardboard
Let's see here. All right,
slid
we're going to
off.
need a volunteer to just stand here and hold this for the rest of the day.
Yeah, just give me some super glue.
Did you break it? You promised
Yeah,
Jerry you
probably
wouldn't
broke
break
it.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, cardboard slid off.
There you-
Yeah.
Then don't touch it.
Yeah.
So you were asking about his patches. Have you given him one of yours?
Not yet. No, we'll get him one whenever we go back to the front.
Oh, okay.
We have an extra patch that you should see.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I need more patches now.
You do.
Who doesn't love patches, right?
This aircraft, of course, was a reconnaissance.
Right. It doesn't have any weapon points or hard
Lockheed
points.
tried
or
to
anything.
sell the Air Force on a fighter and a bomber version.
Oh,
A fighter version?
and
Fighter.
a bomber version.
What does
And
that
a
even
bomber.
mean?
Now we never produced a bomber version.
Right.
They did build 3 fighter versions called the YF-12A.
Okay.
And it had a slightly different shaped nose on it. And they tested it out. They put a Phoenix missile in the bays in here. And with a huge radar system in the nose, and they knocked aircraft out of the sky 50,000 feet below them and 100 miles away,
What?
10 out of 11 times. So it was an extremely effective fighter.
No kidding.
Air Force didn't want to buy a $35 million airplane that they can't brag about.
Has like one missile on it too.
Yeah.
Like you got one
well,
shot.
I think they had capability of putting 4 Phoenix missiles in.
Really?
Yeah. So, and they turned around and asked, the old general, I said, oh, do you want any reconnaissance aircraft? And he said, we don't have any. He said, no. Okay, give me 31 of the SRs.
Give me
Well, it
31.
wasn't called an SR then, but it was a reconnaissance.
Yeah.
So we did develop reconnaissance for the Air Force.
Right.
And this would have been the Pyrex glass window that the camera photographed
Right.
down through. Now you can't screw it in there, although the corners are screwed
Yeah.
in. The glass is held in by just basically glue.
No kidding.
Had to have been some good glue to hold glass. But a Pyrex glass set isn't going to distort and warp from the heat. And then this camera, if you turned it around
Right?
and put the gold nose right over this, it photographs straight down. This is the highest resolution camera that we had. Slightly large film, a little
the
more
film
than
for it?
35 millimeter. That's the length of the film. Oops.
No kidding.
And I think I got some excess
You got a little
out
bit
there.
of yeah, there you go.
About 1,700 feet of film,
Nice.
and it fit down through a
1,700 feet?
1,700 feet.
Like a quarter mile of
Yeah,
film?
and then it fit down through a focal plane shutter.
Yeah.
2 plates closed tight around the film to
Yep.
keep it absolutely flat. The focal plane shutter goes across and exposes the film.
Yep.
While the plane is flying a mile every 2 seconds. I said, well, wait, I know that shutter isn't that darn fast. I said, how did you keep from blurring the pictures in
Yep.
flight? Well, that was simple. Readings from the cockpit,
Right.
speed, altitude, and everything else is fed down to the computer in the camera. And the camera, there's a parabolic mirror up in the front of this thing that
Right.
can move. That mirror would move just a tiny bit, just
To keep
enough
it
to
from
keep
being
the
blurred.
image perfectly focused for that third of a second that the shutter went off.
No kidding. It's a technical objective camera, y'all. It's
Yeah.
an HR HR-308B, if you want to Google that.
Yeah, Google.
Technical
You probably
objective
won't
camera.
find it when you go
Yeah,
to
I
Google.
would be interesting if it came up, an HR-308B technical objective camera.
It might tell you, yeah, that's a camera, but the
No
technology
kidding.
of it. I mean, look at that circuit boards there. You know, big old pots and everything.
And this is from the 60s, the 70s.
Early
I don't know when this
50s,
was.
or late 50s for these cameras.
Kidding.
But so then the film would come back. They'd download this whole camera, take it into the shop, take the film off in the dark.
Right.
This is normally black and white, so you could use a safe light in there.
Right.
And then cut it off in 100-foot lengths and process it. You know. And hopefully you didn't screw up the film.
Yeah, you
somewhere.
think your job at the photo lab's
Yeah.
bad. Imagine
Yeah.
like processing 100-foot
And
pieces of
This
film.
was the highest resolution camera. This could see, they said it could see a 4-inch item on the ground at 80,000 feet.
Going Mach 3.
Yeah, Mach 3. If everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Now, if it's clouds or fog or dust or something like that, then
Sure.
you couldn't fly these things.
In the
Later
same-
on in the mid-70s, they came up with radar cameras.
Right.
And they sent out a radar beam. It came back and it actually put a line on the film.
Right.
But being radar, it could go right through dust storms.
Yeah,
it could
yeah.
film at night, whatever. And in the late 70s, they were using radar cameras entirely and hardly ever using the optical cameras.
So not only do they...
These pictures, does that demonstrate what it took?
Yeah, this is a very, very poor example of its capability. Yeah, but it's an example.
No kidding. And it's the same sort of thing, like you know, you talk about the camera on your cell phone, like all of the circuitry and stuff like that. The cell phone's probably more powerful than all the circuitry in this entire thing. Now, more
Yeah.
capable or more
There's-
resolution or whatever.
There's my
probably
camera
not.
shooting an image down through the tube.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh no! So the camera is up here, and the film was all the way back
Yeah,
there.
no,
So that's
no.
all the focal stuff and everything. I guess for the
There's a mirror. There's a lens in here, a mirror that reflects the light off it from vertical to horizontal, and passes through a series of focusing mirrors and focuses it clear down there about 4 feet onto the film.
Yep. And so not only do you design this using the state-of-the-art technology of the time, so that you have a camera that can take pictures going with the altitude and the speed and everything like that, you have to be able to mount it in the plane.
Then you got to put it in the plane,
so
and
that it can
hopefully
survive
the film
the
isn't
speeds and
going
the
to melt
temperatures and
while
everything.
you're at 600 degrees.
Even the film, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, just unbelievable. And Kodak developed one of the cameras. Tiaka did another one. Honeywell developed another camera. It was a series of different cameras.
You have like a camera bay sort of deal.
Yeah.
You use whatever you
and
fit
there
the
was
camera
a
bay.
number of camera bays from the nose all the way back to that window there.
Yep.
That could carry up to 5 different cameras on board
No kidding.
in a mission.
So this
now
is the
the
payload
early one.
this is the payload of the
This was
plane.
one of the
This is
payloads.
the payload. It's not
Yeah.
a missile. It's not whatever.
Yeah.
This is the and then some of the jamming equipment, I guess, would be the payload. But
and navigational units
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But
no kidding. So
Yeah.
we continue to go this way.
Yep.
now this could rotate
Oh, it does rotate. Nice.
depending upon whether you wanted straight down below the aircraft
Or a little bit of
or
oblique off to the side.
outside.
Yeah.
But this camera could film 100,000 square miles of terrain every hour. So, every hour. Yeah, and it flew a number of hours. So
What?
there had to have been a lot of film back there.
That's almost a quarter mile of film, I think, right?
This kind of gives you an idea. This picture on the top.
Got it?
Yeah,
there we go. We got
shouldn't have touched it. Yeah. Is a contact print directly off of that piece of film. Now, so it's about 10 by 10 inch. They took 1 square inch down here.
Right.
And this is a big solar generator down there in Arizona that focuses all the light up to the top of the tower and creates electricity. They took that square inch and magnified it 16 times to get you this image.
So this is off the, and then you could magnify it to get that sort of...
Now, they only went 16 times. This film is capable of probably being blown up at least 100 times.
God.
And this is a photograph at very low altitude.
Yeah.
I'd say, low, 20,000, 18, 20,000 feet, because you can see a lot of detail up here and houses and everything. You wouldn't have seen that at 80,000. It's just been flat land. But that gave you a good idea as to what the camera was capable of. One of the first test flights of the camera, they flew over San Francisco.
Right.
And everything was really clear. There was no haze, no
Right.
fog.
That's
nothing.
surprising.
And they flew over one of the golf courses, and they said, "Oh, looky, we can see the men down there on the golf course."
On the golf course.
And one of the guys says, I think I can see the golf ball out in front of him. And the other
No
guy said,
kidding.
"Oh yeah, what brand of golf ball was it?"
What brand of golf ball is it? Like keeps upping the stakes
Yeah.
sort of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're interested, we could go up here.
We could,
we're
I
if you
think.
want to.
You aren't.
We've
No.
been like slowly but surely like
Working
walking
our way
around
around
the
to
entire SR-71.
Yeah.
And we've reached
ultimate.
sort of the front of the SR-71 again.
And,
Yeah.
and again, this is a great time to give that whole, because I work for the museum.
Here's the deal, look.
Right.
Caution,
You see the sign?
do not enter.
All right? You see the sign that says do not enter. I mean, normally this ladder's not even here.
No,
Yeah.
right?
no, normally the ladder's outside.
Only for important people.
Yes.
Only for important people.
Yes.
Now, we do
again,
not keep a ladder up next to this aircraft because college
Normal.
students can't read.
College students can't read.
And over in the Air Museum, we had college students going up and climbing in the cockpit. I said,
No kidding.
"Don't you see that? It says do not enter." Oh, we didn't think that applied to
You
us.
didn't think it meant us.
Yeah,
Right.
us.
No
yeah.
kidding.
And
So-
applies to somebody else.
As we said multiple times, we have actual museum staff with us.
Yeah.
Excuse me right quick.
With a
Yeah.
magic badge.
We have the magic badge.
Yeah, the
we
magic
have the
badge.
actual staff, and that's why we have permission to do this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to a museum, if you're visiting stuff like this, don't be jumping over the cables and stuff like we've been doing. Don't be climbing up the ladder and moving the ropes and stuff out of the way. Again, always respect the artifacts. Like you come to the museum, you want the artifacts to be here for everybody to see. So you climb up in the cockpit, like, oh, whatever, we just climbed in the cockpit. If a million people climbed up in the cockpit's not going to be in the same sort of situation. So what we're doing here, we're going to get up into the cockpit of this SR-71, and it's because we have special access to the museum. Massive thanks to the museum. Now, if you want to sit in the cockpit of an
Yes.
SR-71 at the Museum of Flight up in Seattle, they
do
have
have a mock-up of
They
it.
have a
They-
mock-up
they
of the
absolutely
cockpit.
do.
Not
It's a
Yeah.
mock-up. It's not an actual cockpit, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you can get and that's an actual public exhibit
Yeah.
that you can crawl inside and sit and see how sort of how
And see what
cramped
it's
you
like.
are and stuff
Yes.
like that. So if you're looking for stuff like that, sometimes museums will have
Right.
like a here's a climb into the cockpit sort of thing. But this cockpit, you're not allowed to climb it. Just I'm
Now,
allowed to climb
There
it.
is one option here. We have a flight simulator that was just put in. the
Right, that's
museum.
right. We flew it
And that
yesterday.
one you can get in and fly it.
Yep.
Don't they have an SR?
I believe they do.
Ah,
yes.
you can
Yes.
fly the
And it
SR-71.
turns you up. No,
It does.
It turns you upside down. This airplane did not fly upside down.
No.
It didn't make rolls or do loops or any of those things that simulator can do. But
Yep.
yeah.
No kidding. So we're ready to go up?
Yeah.
We're ready to go up. Are we ready to go
Are
up?
you ready? Yeah.
That's a big one.
So we do have enough room up here for
For a
a camera and everything, yeah. And if you want over this way, Jay.
I'm gonna drop the strap down.
Thank you.
Sorry about that noise, guys.
I don't want you to have to climb under the chain. to get in.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So, it's got like names
Very,
and stuff on
very
the side of it.
standard type instrument panel. I mean, if you looked in any one of the fighters at the time, it probably had the same round dials, the same instruments. Back seat might have been slightly different because he had a couple of flat screen
Right?
projection screens back there, but all the instruments, dials, everything else, same thing that you'd probably find in an F-100 or an F-4 Phantom.
Yep.
Same thing. It's going to tell you engine temperature, RPM. You know.
All the same stuff. So these, I mean, like I said, it's got some names on the side of it. This is like a service plane. It actually flew.
No,
it did stuff,
it
right?
Flew. But these names were not on the airplane that flew.
On the airplane that flew.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
gotcha.
put these names on. The two on the other side are the two early test pilots that flew the Blackbird.
Okay.
These two are two of the last crew members to fly the Blackbird. Bozak happened to be one of the last pilots to have to eject out of his bird
Okay.
out over the Philippines, and
Do we know anything about the missions that this plane flew? Like it was
Yes.
active for some amount of time, and
they
it was.
flew a lot of missions. But at least we have record that this one, during the Israeli-Egyptian 7-day war,
Right.
Egypt was getting intelligence from Russia.
Right.
Israel was not getting anything. They had no idea what the forces were or anything else. So without telling Israel, the SRs flew about 5 flights over the Sinai Peninsula.
Really?
And just to prove that whatever Israel was saying was true, we flew over their territory too and photographed their
To make
battlefield.
sure everything's- yeah, no
because when they
kidding.
said, well, we lost all of our fighters from the Egyptian fighters, we wanted to verify it. So
Yeah.
we flew it over. They didn't know it was us, and they fired SAM missiles at
Like, all right.
our Blackbird. But
No kidding.
So this one flew, I think, 2 missions over during the Tet Offensive over there, and
This one was deactivated for a while too,
Yeah.
and then it was reactivated as one of the
Yeah.
3 planes, I think, for...
very, very fortunate. This one flew with the Air Force for about 20 years, 20-some years.
Yeah.
And then NASA wanted to do some research and testing on high speed, altitude,
Right.
and everything else. So we loaned this one to NASA for a couple of years.
Just loaned it to NASA.
Yeah, loaned it. Yeah, it still belonged to the Air
It
Force,
was still
but
Air
we'll
Force.
let NASA
Let
use
NASA
it.
use it for a little bit.
And so they had their own pilots and everything.
Right.
They flew the Blackbirds for a number of years, 2 or 3 years. And then they retired them, and they were all out of commission then. And then Desert Storm came around, and General Schwarzkopf says, we need some reconnaissance that we can't get from
Any other
spy
way,
satellites.
or whatever, right?
Somehow he talked Congress into appropriating $100 million to put 3 Blackbirds back into commission.
Right.
Ours is one. 2 of them came out of NASA's. The trainer had an extra cockpit up
The
here
bump
on
in the
top,
back or
yeah.
whatever, yeah.
And hello, Captain, and and this one, and so those 2 and one of Lockheed's from the Skunk Works was activated.
So this is one of the last ones to actually
One
fly.
of the last
This
ones to
actual
ever fly.
plane. It's
Yeah.
not like the SR-71. It's
Yeah.
this actual
Yeah.
plane flew during a desert.
Unfortunately, we didn't have any pilots any longer because
Right.
they'd all retired.
Right.
They weren't certified. NASA was the only people that had pilots that were certified. So NASA gave up their title or whatever and re-enlisted in the military. They gave them their old rank back again, and
Yep.
so they were trained or were certified to then fly Air Force missions.
No kidding.
Never got to fly because the Air Force didn't get around to supplying fuel for the Blackbird. A year later, President Clinton came down and said, all Blackbirds are to retire, never
Right.
to fly again.
Never to fly again.
This one went back to Edwards and set for the next 5 years
Yep.
until we acquired it.
Well, I'm glad y'all acquired it
Yeah.
because I'm about to climb
Oh,
into the thing.
yeah.
And
So there's
Now, you can be, as the crew members would say, that guy up there was just the pilot.
right, just the pilot.
This guy back here was the spy.
Yeah, so there's-
if we
there's 2
get shot
different-
down, you shoot this guy. I'm just a taxi cab driver. Yeah. So you can be the spy and
Okay. Is there anything special about getting in there? Like, where do I step or anything? Just step on the seat or
try
what?
to step over and
Yep.
probably into the seat. And
Right,
then
it's okay to step
straddle
on the seat?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just don't
cool.
pull the orange handle.
I won't
or
pull the-
we'll pick you off the ceiling.
Yeah, please don't. Please
We'll
don't do
scrape
that.
you off
Yeah.
the ceiling.
Yeah, I might lose my permission to bring more people in after
No
that,
kidding. So I'm going to hand this to somebody. Can I
I
hand
will
this to
hold
you?
this,
There
okay.
you go. Thank you.
Okay.
And it's okay to like grab over
Yeah,
here?
Yep. yeah.
All right. Like that. And I'm just going to like that.
They were not easy to get into. I
No
mean, especially
kidding.
with a full spacesuit on.
Now,
I mean, I've
have
got my blue jeans and my t-shirt on
Yeah.
right now.
It's kind of special that you're here today, but I just met Rocket Man 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Nice.
Right? He's here, and I'm going to let him be the taxi driver.
Nice.
He's got Jeb, so if you want to go up there and...
We're doing a little bit of an outreach moment here, y'all.
And I'll send them to you.
No kidding.
Yes, get in. Heavens.
Lockheed
Go ahead.
designed the ejection seat for this one.
Right.
I'm not sure if they actually built it or,
I will
you know,
hold him
but
until
they
you get in,
designed
yes.
it, and it was
you go.
designed
That's
to
what I would
sustain a Mach 3 ejection.
Yep. Stand on
This
the
would pop out.
The whole
Yeah.
canopy just pops off.
blew off.
It almost, I mean, the canopy looks like an armored sort of tank
Yeah.
canopy or something.
Yeah,
It's
this
not.
is about, the glass is about roughly 1.5 inches thick. It's 2 layers of Pyrex glass with
Yep.
a air passage in between. So the outside temperature is probably, of glass is about 800 degrees.
Yep.
Only, probably 250 on the inside. So you can toast your cheese sandwich.
You
on
still,
the
yeah,
inside.
you'd have to like heat up your lunch or something.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing like you wouldn't want to take off a glove. You couldn't take off a glove because you're in a pressure suit.
Well, it was the spacesuit glove.
Yeah, that's
which
spacesuit
is probably asbestos in the glove too. But I mean, yeah, you just didn't want to touch.
You don't want to touch the
glass.
sides of the thing. So you're sitting here, and there's no controls.
No,
Back here. There's
yeah,
nothing,
this
there's
is
no
in the
stick or
pilot's
anything like that.
compartment. This guy's the spy, so he's operating the cameras and the jamming equipment and reading the checklist off to the pilot,
Yeah.
and he's doing any communication with the tower and the refueling tanker. So,
Kidding.
and he had all of this equipment down here on the side that gave him the
Yep.
the operation of the cameras. And
So like all the camera equipment and stuff down
Yeah.
here. There's like a remove before flight thing that locks out a bunch of stuff.
Now you got to remember the seat had about 5 pins
Yeah.
with that red flag hanging down that says remove before flight.
Right.
You had to make sure you got all 5 of those out because that seat isn't coming out. One of those
Oh,
pins
without
is left.
that.
So
This is just all
he'd
like-
get in and they'd strap him in, and cinch him down and everything, and then the crew chief would pull the pins and he held the 5 pins up and showed the
Showed
guy
that all the pins were
verification. Then he handed them to the individual in the aircraft, and he had a pocket in the side
Oh,
of the...
really? He had like a place where he kept the 5
could
pins
store
or something?
Yeah, because I mean, if you landed at the next base, you better have those pins.
You better have the
You got to
pins,
put
nice.
the pins in before you can get out of the airplane.
Yeah, there's a couple little like storage bits and stuff over here. Some
Yeah.
little lights and stuff, and I like this up here on the front. I don't know if you can get it, if you can safely move around.
Yeah.
There's like an alert.
Yeah, the big red light over
Yeah, it says alert, and then there's something to let you know that the pilot has ejected.
Yeah.
So just in case you were wondering, there's a light that says, pilot ejected.
Yeah.
So just so you know, your pilot's not here anymore, and then it says bailout.
Now, the story I told you about Bill Weaver
Yeah.
punching out of this thing, he survived that. About a month later, he's recovered, and he goes out to fly another SR.
Yeah.
He puts another individual in the back seat. He says, he tacks out to the end of the runway. He hits the throttle and accelerates down the runway, and the light comes on in the back seat.
Yeah.
His backseater says, "Bill, you there?
You
Bill,
there?"
Bill." You know, he says, "Yeah, what?" He says, "Oh, you are there." He says, "My pilot has ejected light came on." He says, "I just want to make sure you were still here." He says, "Yep, I'm still here."
No kidding. All right, I'm going to point this out, and I'm going to make up something right quick. There's a big blank spot
Yeah.
in the front here, and I wonder if there's not something. It's like it's got just
Might
a
have been a flat screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably like a computer.
something else in there that's been removed. Like there's just some blank spots here, or something like that. No kidding. So this is an actual flown SR-71 that flew I don't know how many missions and years and stuff like that.
This one had about 1,660 hours on it. So
1,660 hours.
1,660, probably 1,200 was at Mach 3.
No kidding.
Has the second largest number of hours of any Blackbird that flew.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to be in this thing and looking out the window. I mean, you can see the
You
curvature of
didn't
the
have
Earth.
time to look out the window.
You did have time to look out the window.
And you notice.
kidding.
Let's see if I can-
Yep.
You have a curtain.
A curtain.
Yeah.
There is literally like a
Yeah.
little curtain
Yeah.
that you can
And
pull
the
up
curtain
and
that
it
pulls up
velcros.
and it velcros.
Yeah, it does velcro.
Because when
in
he's
there.
in there running his instruments,
Yep.
you don't want all that
All the
sunlight
extra
coming
light
in
and
and
stuff.
flooding it. So he
Yeah.
would close it off and just concentrate on his instruments.
And it's got like a little bit of a rear view mirror there too,
Yeah.
so you can see, I guess, out the back of the plane.
Now, in flight, you're up there flying at Mach 3. There's no real reference
Right.
as to the horizon out
Right.
there. So they had, in the early days, they often had the plane tilting, and he didn't know where he was at.
Yep.
So they came up with a laser beam that was in the front seat, but it fired a laser beam across the cockpit.
Right.
And if that laser beam stayed absolutely horizontal.
Right.
So if it looked like that laser was tilting, I'm flying crooked
Yep.
now. So there was a couple of...
There's a little laser emitter right up there.
and a little rear view mirror.
Yeah, the little rear, I imagine
Yeah.
you could see like the tail or something
Yeah,
with that
you
thing.
could look
Yeah.
back through the glass and see the tail. 'Cause
Yep.
You can't see.
And you wouldn't be able to like lean
Yeah,
forward and like
yeah.
check your blind spot or whatever in
And
the
for
SR-71.
pilot, there was one other thing. Up in the top of the pilot's
Yeah.
compartment is a little periscope
Really?
that he could push up through the hatch.
Yeah.
And it had a little mirror up there that would...
So he
show
could
him
look straight behind himself.
Straight behind.
Because this is before we had the cameras and stuff down there, but
Yeah.
like touch screens and like backup cameras on your car or whatever. Like, no,
Yeah.
you push up the periscope and you look back.
He had a backup camera, but it was a,
Yeah, it was a
little
periscope.
periscope.
No kidding. So back here they were just operating all the
Cameras,
surveillance equipment and
yeah,
stuff like that.
communication.
I see like
the
communication
jamming
stuff,
equipment.
jamming equipment,
And they were usually localized. Cameras up here in this
Yep.
section, jamming equipment here, radio communication over there.
Yep.
Circuit breakers usually clear back behind
Yeah,
you.
back. I can see a bunch of like
Yeah.
buses and stuff back there.
Yeah.
A couple little gas systems or something you'd plug into. No kidding. That's just.
Unbelievable.
It's even got some, so you can see how much fuel you have. You can see your altitude and the speed and that sort of stuff. The range in miles. There's a regular little clock, just in case you need to know what time. I mean,
Yes,
what time zone are you even in? Like,
Yeah. One of the pilots says, he says, if you don't believe in time travel, fly one of these. He said, I took off from New York and I landed in Los Angeles
Yeah.
2 hours before I took off. And I said, 2 hours before. Oh, 3 time zones, 3,000 or 2,000 miles an hour. Yeah, you could cover all of that and be ahead by 2 hours.
I mean, you stick to like a UTC or whatever, the military time that they're using, the one time zone. It's not like as you're flying, you're like, oh, I gotta change the time again.
Oh, yeah.
Spring forward, afterburn back or something. I don't know. Like,
Have I moved backwards in time?
exactly. Which way was I going again? We're over Arizona. Why don't they?
In 1976, they flew one of these aircraft from California to London for the
to London.
Duxford Air Show.
Okay.
That's a big air show that they have over there, kind of like the Paris Air Show.
Right.
So the crew took off from L.A., flew to New York, 64 minutes.
Yeah.
Then refueled in the air and came around and went back over New York and flew over London.
Yeah.
An hour and 48 minutes later, and then 2 weeks later they did a non-stop flight from London to Los Angeles in just under 4 hours.
No kidding.
Just like 2 minutes under it.
I can't even imagine. I mean, I know that like NASA's working on new quiet supersonic planes and stuff like that, and I wonder if one day we'll have supersonic air travel where you can go down. And we had the Concorde, right, which flew for some amount of time.
Very noisy. But Lockheed has just got a new contract for a supersonic quiet aircraft.
I've seen that.
So
There's like news about that.
It looks more like a lawn dart.
Yep, it looks like a lawn dart. Nice. I wonder if in my time you could go and get online and book your ticket for your supersonic supersonic flight to Mars. Nice.
Yeah, we're going to Mars next.
Oh, no kidding.
in the air, it doesn't matter.
God.
And then this was kind of a balance. I mean,
Right.
it probably weighs a lot.
It looks. I mean, it looks like an armored
Crew
tank.
chief would pull that little red support rod out.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah. And
So is it
then
like
this thing-
accidentally
and
hit
he
it with
just simply took it, pushed it down. He held it down while the pilot had these locks that would lock into the canopy and hold it down.
Okay.
And then there was an inflatable seal that fit in here.
Oh,
that
yeah, okay.
Made it absolutely airtight.
Airtight. Because I even see like there's a cabin pressure switch over here, and you can choose between 10,000 and 26,000. I guess that's feet cabin pressure or something like
The
that.
pressure at 10,000. Or,
Yeah. I was gonna see if I could grab my phone right quick, and we would read some
Who's
Twitch
got a
chat.
phone?
Yeah, where'd the phone go? Anybody know?
Oh, she's so good.
Oh.
I've been answering live questions.
Yeah, no kidding. I wanted to like thank you.
Actually-
didn't really get to meet
Oh.
Rocket Man 1 2 3 4.
Hey, Rocket Man 1 2 3 4. How's it going? I'm Gus.
He came out here just to see you guys today, so I thought, what the heck?
No
Might as well
kidding.
walk in with
Yeah,
you.
I've been viewing for a while. I think you've inspired me to be an aerospace engineer.
You hear that? You inspired him.
I saw, it was before 1.0 in KSP, I watched your Gemini, it was like live stream, it was on
Yep.
Twitch. That was the first thing I've seen of space.
Yeah.
No kidding.
There you go.
Well, see, Twitch viewers stick with it, and you might sit in the know.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
might
so
get
much
to
for
sit in
coming.
the front seat.
That's
of
so
that.
cool.
Eventually, will let you sit in the SR-71.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get good grades. There you go.
Get good grades. Did you ever think that, like, by watching Twitch, you'd sit in the cockpit of the SR-71?
Never.
Never.
No.
He's here with Grandma. He actually was standing over there.
Yeah.
Don't bother them.
Yeah.
He was
No.
very, very polite about it.
Yeah,
So,
I was
yeah.
trying not to bother you guys.
Are you sure you're on Twitch? You were polite? And you were nice? Are you sure? Twitch?
He's the only polite Twitch.
Exactly. We
I
appreciate-
checked the logs. I didn't see anything.
That's so cool. Yeah, you checked the logs. You looked up his username first to see if This is amazing, man, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
No kidding. Well, cool. I'm glad you were able to come out today.
Yeah.
I'm going to read some Twitch chat right quick. Let's see here. We're going to look and read what Twitch chat has to say here.
Really quick, while you're
This
doing that,
is-
I see the fuel probe back here.
Yeah.
How quickly could they fuel in flight to a full tank?
They could put in probably they measured it in pounds, and they could put about 40,000 pounds, so that would be about 6,000 to 8,000 gallons of fuel in about 12 to 15 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, you notice that's a pretty good hole down there in the front.
Yeah.
It's probably got about a 3-inch pipe, and it's pumping it at probably 1,800 pounds per square inch of pressure. So it's pumping it into those tanks really fast.
Wow.
And there was a computer that regulated where the fuel goes to balance out the aircraft. This plane had to stay centrally balanced in flight. If you shifted the fuel too far to the rear, the nose got real light, and that's what happened to the guy whose plane came apart on him.
Oh, really?
He was testing that aspect of it. You know, how far can we shift it back? Well, he started around and started.
I want to,
make a
let's see if we can
bank.
get like an SR-71
Probably not the
selfie.
wisest thing to do a bank with
So
the,
rocket man.
Center of gravity.
Here,
too
look.
far
I'm gonna
back,
see if I can
and
get
the
us both
left-hand
out the
engine,
side of the SR-71 here,
went
right?
out.
You ready?
Oh.
When it did, it
Yeah, there we go. That's a good idea.
the plane
1,
came
2.
apart.
I'm gonna take
There
a
wasn't
few.
anything he could do, and he thought, I'm dead.
I'm gonna
Wow.
hand you my camera.
And he came to, and his face shield had frosted
take a
over,
picture,
and
like,
he
up
was a
this
little
way if you
incoherent.
can.
You know?
Nice.
And, it's all
See if you can get us both
white
in.
and
I'll lean up
everything,
you.
and
I'll
it's
lean out the
dead
side
quiet,
here
and he thought,
and see if you got room to get us
I must
both.
be dead.
Oh, wow.
This is heaven. It's not too bad. You know? Then it dawned on him, well, wait, you know, I feel myself. I am alive. And he reaches back, he can't feel the ejection seat, so he knows he's not in the ejection seat. And he was debating on whether to raise his face shield, but you know, if you're too high, you're going to suffocate. If you're too low, and the ejection seat doesn't automatically open your parachute, you know, you're going to hit the ground. So about the time he was trying to decide it, boom, his parachute deployed.
Wow.
He landed successfully. But
That's not there.
he said that whole plane just literally tore apart. And when they found the debris of the aircraft, the ejection seat was still in the aircraft.
Really?
He hadn't ejected it. When the plane came apart, literally ripped him right out of the aircraft.
Wow.
Successfully. You know. Wow.
Here's what I'm gonna do. Watch.
Get it while you can,
Hi,
Dust.
EJ.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I thought
There
you
you
were
go.
going to stick your tongue out of it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
it's,
I got
it's
it.
one of the other
So
guys
he
that
asked
we
about it up
invited,
there.
but
Yeah.
for some
Notice
reason
the
couldn't
nav
make it
balls?
out.
Remember when people have asked about these nav balls? So this is not floating in liquid like you would think.
Right.
It's servo driven.
It's
So
servo
there's
driven.
2 little motors inside there that turn it.
No kidding.
Yep. It's like a reverse trackball. Yeah.
It's a reverse trackball. I'm trying to get like. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you know the rest of the plane and stuff like that.
Yeah, the other thing you see is this glass window there. That's the
Out the side that way?
window.
Here, I gotta see if I can.
This whole airplane is flown by remote control inertial system, and they would just before the plane was due to take off, they would take this panel off, take it off, and this inertial unit would be dropped down in there. It was still running. Point, drop it in, hook it up, put the cover on, and turn it back on because it took about an hour for that thing to come up to speed, go through the fine alignment and the alignment. Then it had an astro tracker built into the top of it, so that glass window, the unit could lock on the stars overhead.
I was wondering if that's what it was for.
Because the inertial nav has an air of about a mile per hour. With an SR, that's unacceptable. So they equipped it with an astro tracker that could lock on the overhead stars. And it was so accurate that pilots said that they would come back and land after 4 hours of mission. Guidance you had them within 30 feet of where they took
Wow.
off.
Nice.
So, very accurate.
It's very cool.
And it could track stars in broad daylight. You know, so,
Really?
yeah.
Well, I guess if you're up high enough, yeah.
Yeah. Well, even on the ground.
Oh, really?
If you're down in a tunnel, you can go down in the bottom of a well, you can see stars in broad daylight.
Oh, okay.
Because of the lack of ambient light. So this thing was able to track stars in the daytime.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's
Getting caught up, Dust?
Yeah, I think I am. I was just reading some chat right quick and seeing sort of where we were. I'm gonna tweet from the cockpit of the SR-71 like, yeah, you know.
You may be the only person who's ever done that in an actual
You know what I mean?
SR-71.
I'm gonna be like, in fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. I had to take some pictures and stuff like that. Let me, I'm gonna send this out right quick. Has special permission.
That's
Rex
fine.
Next, thank you for the tweet there. Everybody that's putting up like clips and stuff like that, I really appreciate you guys. Like from where I am right now, I'm not making clips or whatever, right? But I really appreciate everybody who's sort of hanging out and watching. I know we've been sort of on a just looking at all the cool stuff this entire time and not reading chat as much. I am trying to like pop back in and read a little bit of chat. But this is like we're in the wing of the Spruce Goose. We're like up on the bridge. We're like standing on top of the thing, and then up here we're it's like personal attention right there, you know? Like, there you go. God, I mean, everybody that's doing tweets and stuff like that, I just retweeted a couple things. This is literally one of the coolest things. Like, I hope that it's the sort of thing that y'all enjoy. I mean, I can't tell you what every switch in here does. I'm just sitting here like, But I'm going to do it. I have a special message that I will send out right quick and see if I can record something for you. Here you go.
And for reference, for anyone that is just tuning in, he's not just in any plane. He's in an SR-71 at Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum.
Oh, let's listen.
And then what's your pilot's name? Rocket Man? Rocket Guy?
Rocket Man 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Up here we've got Rocket Man 1, 2, 3, 4 getting a private lesson.
Now to go into Afterburner, the pilot had to take his hand off the top this way,
I'm
reach
just going to tweet
underneath,
that out.
lift it up.
Right there.
And it was
If one of the mods could do last tweet in a second. These are the coolest, I mean, I don't know. These are the coolest pictures. This is the coolest thing ever. And
This is it. You're done after this.
I told you, show up to the museum, right? There's, not only is there a discount code.
That's what he did.
Folks, you got to put some hearts in chat for the Evergreen Space and Aviation Museum. I mean, setting this sort of thing up, it's... A lot of times we get sort of like, oh, you're going to like show up and do like crazy stuff, like some sort of shock video or something. It's not what we do at all. Like, we're always respectful and stuff like that, and I hope we are at least. And the fact that they trusted us to give us this sort of access, all the things we did yesterday with the Spruce Goose and the DC-3 and just getting inside of the planes and stuff like that, and then sitting inside of an actual flown SR-71. Seriously.
We can go home.
Put some hearts in chat. We do what?
We can go home. We're done.
So we can go home. All right, I'm done.
Can't beat it.
Stream's over. I don't need to do anything. I'm just gonna like close this and go to sleep in here. I'm just gonna hang out here for the rest of the day. You guys can carry the camera around if you
All right.
want. I'm
Oh,
just
look,
gonna...
there's some stuff. Here's some. Oh, wait, SR-71.
Oh my gosh. Let me pop back over to Twitch chat right quick, and I'm gonna read chat for just a second. I'm logged back into chat. Chat, what do you think of this? Like, is this the sort of content that is cool to see on Twitch? It's like, oh, it's not video gaming. It's like, yeah, I know. This is not a video game. This is not gaming content. I love sort of walking around. Absolutely going to this place someday. Mimey, thank you for saying that. I appreciate all the hearts and stuff like that in chat, y'all. This is just, again, if you're wondering where we're in McMinnville, Oregon, and this is a museum. Sitting in the cockpit of the SR-71 is not a normal thing. We have special access, but they have all sorts of cool stuff. We haven't even gone to the rest of the building. We've been live for 2 hours just walking around the SR-71, is what we've been doing so far. I don't even know what to tell you. We need more streams like this. Vest says this is amazing. This is very cool. You love it, Doom Machine. How's it going, Doom Machine? We need to come out to NASA Armstrong, right? So things are on the plane. Oh, all the other things. Thran Maru, when we get out of the cockpit and we go back down to the floor level again, we'll look again at some of the things like the start cart and the turbo start and the camera packages and surveillance packages and the jamming packages. The wing of the thing is up. Like, the wing is up and you can see the engine. Can we see it from here?
You can see it from back here, yeah.
Why are there two tails on the left side? Or whichever side you want to call it, Twitch chat. Why are there two vertical stabilizers back there? It's because one is the wing folded up, so you have access to the engine. You can see the J58 sticking out the side of the thing. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you about this. You have a picture on your SR or on your phone. Right by the beach house, you do the best, need more of this. Twitch is Twitch, you need your own TV show. Or the SR-71 is the best looking plane ever. I mean, I can't argue right now, it'd probably crush my arm.
Julia might.
I mean, it's not a DC-3. Can we, like, dial it into, like, a date range or something?
The best looking jet.
The best looking jet, there you go. No kidding. Sitting in an airliner cockpit was just as neat as an adult as it was as a kid. What you're doing takes the cake. Wasn't that the coolest thing? I think they still do it, where you're a kid and you're boarding the plane, and if they have time or whatever, they'll give you the little sticky wings, and you go up and you look at the cockpit and stuff like that. I remember doing that when I was a kid. We won tickets on a radio station. to fly up and see a Dallas Cowboys game. And one of the earliest memories I have as a kid is we were getting on this plane, and me and my little brother, Profiler, who watches the stream too, they took us up and they took us up to the cockpit, and we're looking around as little kids who had planes hanging from the ceiling and models we had made, and the little gliders you make and that sort of stuff. And just seeing the cockpit of the commercial airliner we were about to ride up from Corpus Christi to Dallas is the coolest thing. I mean, I don't know what even to say about that. There's nothing that I can really say. It's just access to things like that and things that sort of inspire young kids to, I mean, up in the front seat, right? To get involved in this sort of stuff.
Because what we're doing here. I mean, that's what people have to remember is everyone thinks you have to have a mentor that's from your field.
Right.
You just have to find somebody to watch who does something they're really passionate about. And that's what's up with this kid. So 20 years from now, he'll be the one flying into space and going doing because of you.
I don't want to fly into space.
You don't want to fly into space.
I don't want to fly into space.
I find that utterly terrifying. I just want you to sign the
He's like, I'll build the rockets. I'll build the rockets. He's a smart kid.
Does that sound good? Okay, that's what we'll do then. Yeah, he's building your own spaceship.
No kidding.
Yeah.
This is just the coolest thing ever. It really is, y'all.
I'm so
It
glad.
really
I
is.
think it's the coolest thing. I'm sorry.
You don't want to back up here and back off the ladder.
Yeah.
Whoa, I thought there was...
Gary,
So I keep getting handholds, like,
Yeah.
didn't you say there were no rivets on the plane? What's this row down here? Right under the names.
Yeah.
Well, on the titanium, there are probably rivets, but
Okay.
from the plastic
good
on
catch
down.
there.
Well, I'm not trying to be like, oh, you're wrong.
Yeah, well, actually,
I just
sir.
wanted to-
Like,
To replace the plastic ones are replaced quite frequently.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
we almost had to record a video of that.
Hold please.
You're
just
flying
like-
with a girlfriend, huh?
Yeah. Okay, Tom.
Oh.
He needs to be in the front seat. He's
Yeah,
not
he
allowed
come-
to be in the front seat,
Come
actually.
here on Father's Day, you'll probably meet Blair Bozak.
No kidding?
Here's the last.
Oh, really?
God.
How about
Here.
this person?
Tom McCleary, I don't remember seeing him. He may have passed away.
So that's what y'all are talking about. Again, to reiterate, at the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon, on Father's Day, they're going to have a bunch of SR-71 crew members here. I think 17, was it 17? 19?
19.
Hold on, I'm
19
gonna
crew
check.
members that are going to be here that are going to, for 2 days, I think,
Yeah.
talk about the SR-71 and sort of give
Answer questions.
experience
show
and
videos,
anecdotes,
all those
stories,
good
and
things.
No
Invariably,
kidding.
we'll get somebody out in the audience that says, my next door neighbor used to fly the Blackbird. Oh, what was his name? This was a very tight, close
Yeah,
group.
exactly.
Oh, it was John, or Fred Hayes. Yeah. I knew all of them. Fred Hayes
I knew
is
all
not
of them.
one
I don't remember that name.
Oh, I got to
So,
go back and...
I mean, I'm a father, right? And if you're looking for a cool place to take your dad for Father's Day,
Oh, wow.
and you're up in Seattle or you're in Oregon or something like that, I mean, if your dad likes planes, this would be a pretty cool Father's Day trip, honestly.
Well,
And
we have
he-
the airport, so if you're a private pilot, you
That's
can,
right.
And we'll
just
transport
fly
you.
in
We'll-
here and...
You like the
come get
museum
you
will
at
send
the
a car
Yep,
to pick
we'll-
you up at the
yep,
private
we
airport,
will.
the municipal airport that's across the way. The McMinnville Municipal Airport is across the way. So, if you just happen to have access to a plane that you can fly, you can land and they'll pick you up.
We're helpful that
No
way.
We
kidding.
might let you land right out here in the Spruce Goose landing strip out here.
There you go.
The
There you
Spruce
go.
Goose landing strip. Was there a really big puddle out there? Or-
Yeah.
No kidding. Twitch EDU is the bomb. I like it. I do like it.
If you look back, they say, well, this airplane doesn't have very much wing.
Oh
If you
my
look back
gosh.
there, there's 700 square feet of wing surface. I mean, that is humongous. Pilot said this thing flew almost like a glider. It was,
Yeah.
had so much wing that they come in and flare it out. And landing speed was about 225 miles an hour.
No, 225 miles an hour to
That's pretty
land.
slow for a jet airplane.
No kidding. Baranovich, I know, right?
Yeah.
So you got to check out one in Mobile, Alabama, but to sit in it,
Yeah.
look, when I started streaming, 3.5 years ago, this is no clue. Like, I thought we were just going to play some Kerbal and be like, oh yeah, to pitch you press the W key or whatever.
Sit in a Cessna.
Whatever. That would be y'all, I guess. But I never would have imagined that this is the sort of things that museums would let us share with people. You know what I mean?
Only certain people.
Exactly, only certain
allowed.
people. it's just such a cool thing. Like I'm reading chat, and every time I'm reading chat, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. There's like cool stories and stuff, but I want you all to know that we're here and we're sort of reading what you're saying and get the good feedback and the questions and stuff like that.
We're actually answering your questions.
Live from the seat of an SR-71. Like, I'll be your host.
At 70,000 feet, and I'm doing Mach 3.2.
In my at 70,000 feet, I'd have to put my hat backwards. Yeah, just the hat. I'm missing the rest of the stuff.
2 years ago, one of the backseaters that was here, he was probably about his 80s, and he says, "Do you think it would be possible for me to put my wife in the back seat?
Yeah.
And then let me sit in the front seat and get a picture of the two of us?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'm sure it's all right." You know, so we eased her into the back seat, and we worked him into the front seat.
Yeah.
Got out, got the pictures. There wasn't a soul around when he came up here. I turned around, there must have been 100 people all waiting to get in the cockpit. I said, "Nope, you got to be a former
like all of a
SR
sudden,
pilot
nope.
crew member
You have to be a former pilot in order to.
To get in.
No kidding, y'all. Some other questions. This is a no kidding stream. It really is a no kidding stream. I know I say no kidding a lot. I've been sort of like not saying dude as much, but no kidding is my new.
You skip the dude.
Yeah, you've got to be kidding me. Is there an X-15? They have an X-15
Yes,
hanging
it's
somewhere?
outside.
There's one outside right now.
Yeah.
Or right behind us. Or
X-15.
yeah, the X-15 is like right behind us here. Yeah, some people.
It's not a real one. It's a wind tunnel model.
That's a wind tunnel model.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
there
was
you
built
go.
for testing and everything, but never flew.
No kidding. Pitches W. I was like, wait, W-A-S-D. Exactly, Trevor. That's what I was thinking. Sylvian, so do they have an X-15? I don't know. Let's turn the camera around.
Right.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Please get the camera.
And what's nice about our X-15 is when it was sitting on the ground in a stand, one of the former pilots that flew it was here for the grand opening.
No kidding.
Joe Engel, and he signed the side of the cockpit. And 2 weeks later, we hung it from
You
the
hung it
ceiling,
up.
and nobody
else can sign it. Nobody can see the signature.
Yeah. So he's got to come back, and we're going to give him a big paint brush and have him put his name on the bottom of the airplane.
It's on the other side, right? It must be on the other side.
Above that yellow writing.
Yeah.
Joe Engel.
In fact, yeah, you can barely see it from here. Joe Engel.
Can you get it?
Yep.
Oh, it's right under his name.
Right on.
Zoom working there.
Yeah.
We will document this for the museum.
There you go. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wasn't he taking off on the shuttle,
Yeah.
Joe? So
Well, he was supposed to fly the. Joe Engel was going to be the. Yeah, he flew on the shuttle, but he was supposed to have been one of the crew members for the Apollo 18 mission, and when they canceled it, he got bumped. And,
yeah. So at the risk of bragging and sounding like my job is cooler than yours, so you could go on the government as a museum. We have access to different things that the government that's surplus, so like NASA surplus. So I'm on this site one day and I'm going through and you can look at space shuttle things and all these different things, and I find a shirt that was flown in space on chat. Please tell me which one it was, but Joe Engel was one of I think 3 people on that flight. Yeah. But it's just this shirt that was flown in space by these guys. I mean, it was
and
one
he
of the
threw
3,
it in the garbage, and they pulled it out.
And so they just mailed it to me. Like, here's your shirt. Yeah,
See,
exactly.
I know the page you're talking about, and so many days I'm like, what can I say to be like an educational institution? Like, give me a space shuttle tile to show off right quick.
Well, you guys came in through the entrance, the big brown bowling ball hanging from the ceiling.
Yep.
That flew in space twice with the Russian space program. It carried instrumentation. When they flew it the second time, they said, well, that's pushing our luck. We'll retire it. We'll send it to the salvage yard.
Right.
So the guy running the salvage yard thought, maybe it's worth a few bucks.
Yeah, maybe it's worth a few bucks.
He put it on eBay.
He put it on eBay?
eBay. And Mr. Smith bought it off of eBay.
So Mr. Smith, the guy that sort of started the museum, I guess, right? Bought an artifact off eBay, the flown Russian.
I said, oh my gosh.
No kidding. Can you get further this way, Annie, and sort of get the gauges, or how far this way can you get?
Well,
it's
it's
connected to the backpack. Yeah.
You just got to lay over.
There's only so far. Because some of the people in chat wanted to see some more things. So, like, to point out some of the stuff that was in there, this is like flight information. It's got like the altitude, and it's got the fuel remaining, and clocks, and that sort of stuff. Over on this side, I can't name every single thing. On this side over here, it looks like it's there's some camera stuff, I guess. This says face heat. There's a cabin pressure switch. UHF, that would be a radio sort of thing. Camera angles. Yeah, the red lights. Yeah, you don't want to see alert. pilot ejected or bailout. If you see bailout, you should probably be doing something. If you see bailout and pilot ejected, you should probably be doing it quicker.
Yeah. You know you're alone in the aircraft.
You know you're alone in the aircraft.
And you do not have a control in the back seat.
No kidding.
You're just a free taxi cab ride.
There's one up here. This is liquid oxygen. It says MR per second. MR per second. What would MR per second mean? Chat, what do you think MR per second would be? And it goes from 30 to 50.
Probably maximum rate.
Huh. I don't know what that would be. Yeah. There's a camera angle, so there's a left and right camera angle. And it's just like, it's like they're sort of spread all over. Like, here's a camera gauge, here's your liquid and oxygen gauge. MR per second, chat, tell me what you think about that one. All the alarms, I know. The missing thing, I was talking about the missing piece being here. And so clearly there would be a screen, like some sort of screen in here, and that is not in the SR-71 anymore. Probably for good reason. When they,
Part of the classified.
yeah, exactly. When they send it to the museum, they don't have that in there anymore. Down on the side, on this side, you said, I see some radio stuff.
Yeah.
I see some system select. That's a bunch of radio stuff, actually.
Yeah, that's almost all radio.
Yeah, there's even more radio stuff up here. Over that way. Little storage compartments. This is where you put your snacks. All
You'd
right.
be surprised there's radio system on here because they're supposed to fly, with no radio
completely, yeah, no
communication,
kidding.
But they still had to be able to pick up. One of the stories that they have on the internet is this. An SR was flying over the Midwest,
Yep.
something like that. And the story is that, a little Cessna flying over says, ground control, this is Cessna 26, would you give me a ground speed check? And the tower comes back and says, yeah, you're doing 186 miles an hour. Well, there's a Navy or a Marine fighter plane flying an F-18 in the air, and he's going to be a smart something.
Aleck.
Yeah.
Smart Aleck.
And he says, ground control, this is aircraft, blah, 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 blah. Would you give me a speed check? Well, they know that he's got an instrument that tells him how fast he's flying. But yes, aircraft so-and-so, you're flying at 592 miles an hour. Oh, thank you very much. This is, Tango 24, thanking you. And the SRs are listening to this on the radio, and the pilot up front thinks, I know I'm supposed to keep radio silence, and he's debating whether to break that radio silence. And about the time he's ready to break it, he hears a voice in the back seat say, ground control, this is Aspen 24. Would you give me a radio check? And there's a little pause, and the tower comes back, and he says, yes, Aspen 24. He says, we show you at 1,960 miles an hour. And the backseater says, my instruments show us at close to 2,000. And the tower says, yeah, but your instruments are more accurate than ours. Thank you very much. And so I asked the pilots, I said, now, I know you don't break radio communication. That's a story that's made up, isn't it? And the guy gives me a great big smile, and he says, no, he says, in that case, he said, that was my backseater that responded.
It's the classic SR-71 copy pasta, like the story you hear when you're talking about the SR-71. No kidding. And so somebody posted up in chat what they thought the MR per second was radiation. Like millirads or something like that. Might have been the radiation that you're taking. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, because at 80,000 feet.
Nice, Eon. Eon got a picture of his kids sitting in front of the Twitch stream right now.
Yeah,
no
that could
kidding.
be. Yeah, Millie Rankins.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
no
that
kidding.
would be true.
I'm
Because
still...
at this altitude, you don't have all the filtration of the atmosphere filtering out radiation, and they did pick up radiation.
I mean, so the statistic is when you're in a commercial airline flight, right? You get a specific increased exposure on a 2-hour airline flight, right? Because you're up further out of the atmosphere, you get a little bit more radiation. So it would make sense. This thing cruising
was probably about equivalent to one X-ray.
Yeah, something along those lines. I wouldn't doubt.
Astronauts now considerably higher.
Yep. I wouldn't doubt that the higher you get, because this thing would cruise at double the altitude, more than double the altitude of a commercial flight. So there would be more. I could completely believe that. I mean, prove us wrong, Twitch chat. Like, prove us wrong. No kidding.
That's gamma radiation coming from the sun.
Yep.
Filtered out by the atmosphere.
In ours, yeah. Thank you. This is really great live. Yeah, we are live. Like again, I said we are in fact live. I've got Twitch chat on my phone, sitting in the second seat on the SR-71, the back seat on the SR-71. So you're right. As Louisa was saying, it's got the radiation gauge and it's got the liquid oxygen. Truly, it's a spacecraft.
Yeah.
Like it's almost a spacecraft.
Well, you had a separate oxygen bottle that supplied air to the cockpit, into the...
It'd go up to 10 liters of liquid oxygen, it looks like,
now,
on the
the
gauge.
ejection seat had a bottle in the right-hand, or on the left-hand side of the seat that supplied oxygen to his space.
To his breathing oxygen or something like that.
And then once he ejected and he separated from the seat, then he had a small little teeny oxygen bottle built into the side of his spacesuit that would not only pressurize the spacesuit, but give him enough oxygen until he reached the ground.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Bad News Baron. You down for a multi-stream? Like, I know I'm kind of weird and I don't play a lot of, like, Gang Beasts or whatever, but, I mean, would this be an okay multi-stream for some flagship people to do? I don't know. I mean, y'all make the call. I keep trying to drag people in the flagship. I have, like, a group of people that I stream with, so we all do streams. I'm sort of one of us that does this sort of stream, and so I keep trying to drag them along. I'm like, come to the museum with us and check stuff out. So always trying to sell them on the idea of tagging along with old Das.
Come stream with me.
Yeah, come stream with me. The games are fun and all, but
I hate to be the total buzzkill.
we're gonna have to be moving here, aren't we? Yeah.
I'm fine
No
sitting
kidding.
up here the entire day.
But we have to remember that Gary's wife, I made a promise.
We do.
That we would have Gary home.
And so I was like, oh, that's so far in the future, it's not going to be a problem. And now,
You've been sitting in that seat for an hour.
have I been sitting here for an hour?
Yeah.
What?
Wow. See, time does go fast.
Time flies when you're this high.
Yeah, exactly.
SR.
It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
No kidding. So we are not done streaming by any stretch of the imagination, but we are going to, somebody's going to pry me out of this cockpit and make me leave and go look at the other 200 exhibits that are in the museum. We might have to come back to look at other exhibits at some point, because it's currently 12:30, so we have a little under 3 hours before the launch window for the United Launch Alliance launch, so we do have to get over to the theater and get set up for that, and we have a couple other things that we want to walk around here. I mean, honestly, this is amazing. We may have to cut some time short on some of the other exhibits, but I want to see if we can make it over to the Titan silo too.
We haven't done collections.
We haven't even done collections
We
yet.
haven't seen a backyard or collections, so.
I wonder if we're doing anything tomorrow.
Yeah, I wonder what that'll be.
Not in the morning.
We have an A10 in the back park.
There's an A10 just in the back, like it's in a parking space.
Desert Storm Survival.
No kidding?
It got its tail practically shot off.
No kidding?
They brought it back, landed it, repaired it, put it back in operation. It flew for it. Desert Storm. Went back to Arizona, flew for a couple more years.
Yeah.
And then DARPA,
Yeah.
a secret organization, acquired our aircraft and used it to test a unmanned ground support aircraft.
Really? Like a drone
Drone
A10?
A10. So the controller on the ground that is observing the target, he can pick out the target, he can direct the A10 to the site, pick out what weapon he wanted fired, and fire it directly on the targets, you know.
No kidding.
So,
Here's a jeb right quick. Can I hand this to someone?
You can go ahead and call the trailer for that A10. I've got a parking spot at home.
Oh, you do? We had a hell of a time getting it here. I fought like a son of a bee to get it. Nobody wanted it. I said, you don't want an A-10? I said, that's the most fantastic airplane next to the SR. I said, besides, I worked with it 4 years. I want it here.
I'm getting out.
You're going to try.
Yeah. B-52 then.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm also right next to him.
Yeah. And then we did ask if we can, once y'all clear out, if we can get a little bit of footage in the front cockpit there, so people can sort of see. Yeah. Right quick.
Yeah. Only trust somebody.
Over 50.
So we'll start sort of moving out. I'm just going to stand here until y'all.
40. Now it's got to be over 50.
Absolutely.
There you go.
There you go.
The SR, or the B-52,
All right.
conceivably.
And we'll move up this way, and we'll get you all the way up that way.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when y'all start to go down, be safe.
Go ahead.
Grab the handrails and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm hopping in RSO.
Yeah, nice. And we'll see if we can get some footage of the front cockpit there. Good chat. Pull the lever is how you get out fast. Nice. All right. So just real quickly, look. All right, here we go, guys. I'm actually not going to sit in the front. So next time I come back, I can be like, well, last time I didn't get to sit in the front. No kidding. I just can't even imagine that. I mean, it looks like it's Pyrex. It's like, it feels like bulletproof glass because it's so thick.
Yeah.
No kidding. So here you go, chat. You wanted footage of the front seat on the SR-71? Don't hit the ejectors. Nice.
Nice big
I don't
yacht.
want to get out. I really don't want to get out. I'm not going to pull the lever, chat. Yeah, the pilot ejected sight light should have come on right quick. So, anyways, chat, again, I don't know what y'all think about this, but I hope that you're enjoying the up-close zoom on the cockpit of the SR-71 here. Wow. Is that a Thrustmaster stick? It's the Thrustmaster stick, very nice.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorite things about this plane is just how analog it is.
Yeah, no, it's
You had to adjust everything
not a bunch of
yourself.
touch screens and stuff like that. This thing was flying in the 70s, right?
Yep.
God. This is super cool. You will be avenged, chat. I hope you appreciate the content here. I hope you're liking what we're doing. We are going to move on because we have more stuff to look at here, and also we promised we're going to eat lunch today at some point. So let's start to.
Oh, we're gonna eat today?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah. So we'll start backing out, and we'll meet y'all back down on the ground
Hey,
again.
everyone make sure to thank Evergreen and Julia for
Yeah,
making this
absolutely.
possible. Because not everybody gets to see this stuff.
Yeah, you got the chain. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down first.
Sure,
and then
go ahead. Just gonna enjoy the view up here a little bit more. Look at this, guys. So let's go pretty quick through some of this stuff. So try and get a look at some of it. Also, again, for anybody who wasn't here yesterday, I just want to apologize for the backlighting in this. The exposure is really tough to work with in this building because there's windows on both sides. So it's a very tricky situation to try and light people, but also the exhibits behind them. All right, so let's head down before everybody else is like, hey, we want our turn.
Oh, how's it going?
When your toys in the car.
There will be open on Father's Day. I know.
How's it going? Hi, Kendra.
Nice to meet you.
I'm a couple of days workers.
Best workers, y'all live nearby. We'll be able to yeah, it's just, I mean, we were sitting there for an hour. We're at work.
2 years ago,
So
I
Eon
did that one.
did all the TV.
Yeah, sorry, we had a couple of crew members at the cockpit. I turned around, there must have been 100 people on the ground. No, we did it in the cockpit. Sorry. I believe 15 after 5, it was closed up, I still had it.
What? Doug? You bet, Doug.
So let's,
So Das is interacting with some viewers that came, so I'm just going to get some random pans here, including the X-38, which I believe was in development in the early 2000s. Just to be sort of a escape lifeboat for the astronauts at the ISS. It came back on a steerable parachute for its actual landing.
do like an outro for the SR-71.
Sure.
Is this a good sort of spot? Does it look
Yeah,
good in
this
the
is great.
background? All right, cool. This is good. This is good. That's being charged now. All right. So again, chat. Here we are. We just spent over an hour in the cockpit of the SR-71.
And 2 hours around the airplane.
Yeah, we've been
you learned all the
streaming.
things you didn't really want to know. Huh?
I feel like we could use an entire day here. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna have to come back at
easily.
some point and get even more information about it. If you're wondering where we are with the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, it's in McMinnville, Oregon. The museum has given us special access to some of the exhibits. Yesterday we streamed from the aviation building, which is the Spruce Goose over on that side.
Got in the cockpit.
Over
Pretended like you were Howard Hughes.
I was crawling in the wing wing yesterday of the Spruce Goose.
Wow.
It's the scale of that thing. And then today we're spinning it in the space building over here. This is one of our virtual field trips. So we're live on Twitch right now. Like, I'm actually reading chat, and I can see, he knows. He's like, yeah, chat. This is our guide, Gary, who has been sharing us information all day. This is so fantastic.
I know.
I
just
like,
love
I know.
talking about this airplane. You know?
No
Somebody
kidding.
said, what can you tell me about it? I said, how many hours do you want to stand
How
there
many
and
hours
listen
do you
to
want
me?
to? How many battery hours do we have?
Battery hours. Yeah.
So thank you so much
You
for
bet,
taking
yeah.
us around, all the
Good
stories
to have
and
you on
information.
site here and
so cool.
live broadcast. Boy, I'll have to
Imagine.
gotta find your site and get it loaded in my telephone.
We'll send information over if you want to check
You
the
got
video
it.
out
Okay.
or share it with people. By like, hey, check it out. I was on Twitch.
Because I
Like,
never know how to load those things in my phone.
Yep.
We'll have
Except
all
the
links
things
and
I
stuff.
don't want on my phone and it gets in there.
Well, and he has a name now.
Yeah.
Chat gave him a name.
Chat gave him a name.
SR-71 Gary.
SR-71
Oh,
Gary.
okay.
We've got Spruce Goose.
Absolutely.
I gotta have a shirt made that
SR-71
says
Gary.
SR-71 Gary.
And DC3
You've got DC3 Girl, SR-71
DC.
Gary, and Spruce Goose Bruce from yesterday.
A whole bunch of
So that's what we're doing. We're about to go and check out some other exhibits. Thank you again. I'm going
You
to shake your
betcha.
hand one more time.
Thank you.
It's such a good time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we will
Thank you,
continue to
Gary.
mosey around.
Okay.
No kidding.
You can go home before
Now you can go out and check out the
No,
A10.
The chat's probably going to like yell at us if we don't get out there at some point. We have maybe after the rocket launch we'll walk out there.
Yeah.
No kidding. So
Now
we're
I tell the little kids, I said, you know, if that thing, if you launch it, and it crashes, you got to come up with enough allowance to pay for it.
to pay for it. Nice.
They said, well,
The other engines
we
over
launch
there,
it. I
right?
said, there's no door up there.
There's no door up there.
Yeah, we have the other.
That's the other engine. So while we're on our way walking this way, let's walk over to the
it's in the rear of that baby.
Yeah, no kidding.
You'll see just. Now the big tall guy was at the front desk, John Jennings. He's a rocket engineer.
Okay.
And he helped build the rocket engines and design for the Saturn V rocket.
Okay.
So all he can talk about is rocket
It's the rocket engines. Nice. I like it. The propulsion engineer.
These are just jet engines.
So this is another one of the
Yeah.
SR-71 engines here.
Yeah. And see, they number them so you know which one.
So you know which one
you
it
don't
is.
get
Nice.
the wrong one. Yeah.
But this one also came out of that plane right there, right?
It came out of the right hand side.
And the same sort of stuff. Like it's not like mock-up equipment or whatever.
Yeah.
It's got the bluing and the titanium alloy blades and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's actual equipment that did a. Look at this.
Here you can come around.
Come
to the
around
other
this way,
side
look.
of the engine and see.
Look at the blades. They're numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have like numberings on all the blades and fins and. God. It's real equipment. It's not. This is not like a model or anything like that. You don't need to paint it, and you don't need to make it to scale because it's for real.
It's full scale.
All the. I can't even
Fuel
explain to you what all these
control,
things do. Yeah. Those look like
And
fuel
and
lines.
the oil tank.
This is an oil tank.
Yeah. That's that one that turns to a solid.
Yep. And you have to heat it up so it'll start flowing.
They got a hold of the company and says, hey, we need an oil that can withstand, like 800 degrees.
Yep.
So they said, yeah, one of the companies, I think it was Penn Oil, says, yeah, we've got an oil. He said, okay, send me a sample. Sent it to him. It came in like a cardboard carton.
Yeah.
And it went to open it up. It was solid.
It was just
like
solid.
a block of charcoal. He says, well, how are we going to get that in the engine? He said, well, you got to heat it to, 400 or 500 degrees, and then it liquefies. He said, well, after you put it in the engine, what do you do? He said, then you got to heat the engine to get the oil solidified again. So.
No kidding. You got to
Unbelievable.
see the ceramic in the back. The bypass tubes again. Like this is.
Now-
Like this is how close we are to the thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
there's no chain
there's
around
no
this.
chain or anything. You just
I mean,
walk right up to it.
no
You can
chain.
be like, look at this. We have to get EJ out here because he would be like,
Look at it. And as you said, most jet engines, the rear end closes down.
Yep.
So all of these this whole thing will then close
that,
down.
this is the part that closes down a little bit, and this is the
there's big
ceramic
actuators
coating.
here on the side that pushes these forward and clamps it down, and you can see where all the ceramic coating
Yeah, the
has
wear and
started
tear on
peeling
there.
off pretty heavily.
Yep.
I suspect with this much damage, this engine, all of this up in here would probably, the afterburner have been the next thing to have been pulled
To
out.
be
of
pulled
this.
out and refitted or whatever.
Unfortunately, we didn't have to worry about that when we picked it up because we weren't going to fly it out
It's
here.
fine. Put it over there.
Yeah.
We're preserving it.
Yeah, we took the airplane apart down at Edwards and took the wings off and transported it up I-5 and stopped at gas stations along the way and uncovered it and let people...
No kidding. It's like,
"Whoa,
check it
wow,
out.
yeah." And then covered it up and brought it on up I-5 and
No
parked
kidding.
her out here. And we had a little kid had bought a little model airplane of the SR.
Yeah.
You know, oh, he's walking around so proud with this. And he gets up to the back door, and the door's up about 10 foot tall.
Yeah.
And he's looking at looks out. The eyes got about that big around. There's the real thing. And he looks down.
This model up to the
wow, there's my airplane, Daddy.
No,
you know?
I'm kidding.
Oh, blew him away.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
God.
Now you won't experience that in any museum.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to cut you
Okay,
loose.
you
We're
bet.
gonna have to cut you loose.
Yeah.
See, there's a bigger one.
Yeah.
That one puts out a lot more.
Exactly. There's like
horsepower.
more engines.
Yeah, that one puts out probably about 110,000 pounds of thrust.
This
This
is
was only 35.
this is one of the ones off of the
Off the
747.
747 out here.
It's related, yeah. 747, 767, the DD-10, and the A300.
But
And
being
again,
a
you just walk right up to
turbofan-
this stuff, y'all.
Yeah.
Just
Now,
don't touch
when
unless
we
you have
had
permission.
This thing sitting outside, the wind was blowing.
Mhm.
Anyway, you could hear the clankety, 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 clankety. I said, what's that? They sound. Oh, we've got it locked now, but
Yeah. So it won't spin anymore.
because we don't want anybody putting their finger in there and lose a
Yeah,
finger.
exactly.
or a digit. This thing was freewheeling.
Switch
with the
paperwork.
wind blowing through it. It's just sitting there spinning on its own.
Yeah.
And wow, look at that thing going around.
No kidding. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is the coolest
Hey,
thing
man.
ever. We're gonna go over
Come
and
back
check
and
out.
we'll cover the next.
We will.
airplane.
We can spend a day like with
Next,
like the
next time we'll
engines
cover
here.
the A10 Warthog, and I can talk for 2 hours on that one.
Oh no, my poor arm.
Yeah.
Whatever shall we do? Another 2 hours of the A10 Warthog
You
in
could
the
sit,
bed.
well, I'd say you could sit in the cockpit of
Yeah.
that, but ours came without a cockpit.
It just,
There's no
there's
seat,
not
no
a place to
instruments,
sit in
no
there.
nothing.
No kidding.
And DARPA had it. That's why it's all.
Put a folding chair in there.
A
Yeah,
folding
we'll put
chair,
it-
like I'll just bring
yeah.
like a lawn chair and we'll put it
And
in there.
we'll hang a pendulum in there so you can
You can
tell
know
whether
if you're-
you're right side up or upside down.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
So we'll walk around this way.
I think we're going this way.
We'll
Okay.
figure out our way
Follow
out.
her.
Yeah. Thank you. Again.
Follow the leader.
God.
Just gonna get a shot at the vectoring system really quick. Check that out, guys. All right, now we gotta go.
Right here on the front of my forehead.
You can trust.
Yeah. And the other one was B-52.
Peace the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Just bomb them.
We'll see you next time.
You bet.
Thank you again.
Here's a satellite tracking camera.
Look, I don't know what we just walked past.
This is a satellite tracking camera.
Satellite tracker.
It's the satellite tracker. There you go. It's a telescope from the.
And then,
Some caution tape on
All right.
and then we all know this.
What is this?
An MMU, Man Maneuvering Unit.
It's a cosmonaut MMU. It's USSR Russian Model 21KS Cosmonaut Transference and Maneuvering Unit. And it's an Orlan DMA spacesuit.
It's a lot bigger than the
It's
US
just
pack.
there. It's just hanging out, chat. We gotta keep on going. We will, Killmaster. We'll definitely make sure Gary gets his patch. Like, we'll make sure Gary gets his patch. We're continuing to walk this way.
More engines. We need more time.
Engines, what are you gonna do? Down is over this. Yeah, here we go. We're
Yep.
just gonna have to keep walking because we can look at every one of these engines.
Including way in the background, you can see the M1, which was designed in the 60s to go to Mars.
I'm a little bit flustered right now, honestly. I mean, this engine looks familiar over here. This is like a Bobcat. The Bobcat from Kerbal is the name in Kerbal. Oh my gosh. But our eventual destination is this way, chat. Look, we're going. Does this look familiar for making history? I don't even know. Continue walking. Our eventual destination is right here, over this way. It's an actual Titan II missile.
You mean the support pillar? Oh,
Oh,
wait.
the support pillar?
Wait. I can't even.
No, spoiler, sorry, that's a Titan II. They have some umbilicals and stuff going out to the side. Are those actual umbilicals? I don't know. But the coolest thing, if you come this way, is you can look down. Please don't drop my camera.
I'm holding on. It's looped in.
And it's got the actual clamps, it's got the suppression system and everything sort of down in there. And then underneath us right now where we are, there's a sort of control room. Now, I don't know that if we have enough time, to actually try what our idea was. We might just
Well, we
walk
can-
down there with the 4 modems. It is underneath us, so there's a floor. The signal down there isn't great. Originally, our plan was to have one of the modems up here and run a long Ethernet cable down into there. I don't know that we have the time to actually get that set up. So this might be what we want to look at right quick. I'm going to see if we could just walk down in there and see the actual control room, because the control room does a simulation. Like, it goes through the countdown and stuff like that. You press a button on the wall and it's like T-minus 5 minutes until lunch. And I want to see if we can't capture that down below. So we'll see if the signal holds. Again, in the interest of time, we're not doing our whole setup here. And if it doesn't actually work this time, we'll just have to come back in.
Absolutely. Right.
Not get distracted by the SR-71 for 3 hours.
And a few other things.
They'll have to put a tarp over it. Like, we'll come in and they're like, why is there a huge tarp over the SR-71? It's like, so you won't go over there and just spend time walking around it.
Absolutely.
Let's see if we can walk down into the missile silo here.
Right over here.
So it's an actual missile.
It is.
It's an actual missile.
It is, and it's
just
one
let
of,
you get by us
I
here,
want to
yeah.
say 3. Did we decide how many of these were left?
Oh, 6 of these now sit in museums.
6
There's
in
6
museums.
of these
Okay.
in museums. Okay.
And what's the thing I have in the backyard?
You have the
It's a booster.
Boostery thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
motor to the Titan 4 effect.
There you go. Look, I mean, wait, let's get some gratuitous zoom on hatches and panels, like the access destruct initiator. There on the side of the rocket. Chat loves it when we zoom in on panels and
Because
stuff.
panels are fantastic.
I know. So it's got the conduit that has some of the electrical wiring and stuff going on the side of the thing. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm mistaken, and I know Chad will correct me. That's like the racetrack that has the wiring and stuff in it. But we're going to see how this works. We're going to see how our signal lasts as we walk down into the...
Into the cement.
Into the cement. We're literally walking into a cement hole in the ground, which is not great for cellular reception. But we do have 4 different modems. Let's see what we can get here. At the forehead, we get that, 2810s. Only 3 hours. I'm not sure they could make me leave the museum.
It's hard sometimes.
It's 10 until 5. So what you're looking for is a membership to the museum, right?
Right, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to give this a minute to stabilize right quick and see if our signal is maybe get... I don't know if you should stay closer to the door, get some like radio bounce or something. What is this made of? That's drywall, which isn't too terrible.
4,500. Well, there's concrete on the other side. Yeah.
There's concrete on the other side of it.
4,800.
4,800?
Yeah.
How is this? Chat. We're like down in the actual... This is actual equipment, right? This came from...
I believe from Vandenberg.
I think this came from Vandenberg. Oh, you know, just pull this out of the way right quick.
Because we have Julia.
Yes, there you go. Again, we have a pass.
Magic badge.
And let's the magic badge.
It went up to 5,000.
And let's wait, we're up to 5,000.
Oh, well, okay, it's bouncing around there. My
It's
bad.
bouncing around.
Yeah.
How does this look, chat? How does this look? Is it pixelizing? It's 5x5? Seems okay, Killmeister. He needs, he needs to stand in the door or something. Let's see what we're doing. We're like
I'm
sort
going
of
to try and
walking
go to
around.
the corner.
I'm just seeing what I can find out about it.
Just
In case you wondered, there's a little manual.
Yeah. Let me, here's a manual, right. The Propellant Transfer Study Guide for the Titan III missile.
300, 4,200,
How does that
4,000,
look, Jay?
the 3,000 and dropping.
Yeah, remember, it doesn't drop right when you lose the signal.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Well, I'm just seeing how far down it goes. 2,300.
Yeah.
Okay, it's stabilized around 2,300. Actually, almost 2,400.
Oh,
So I'll just stay away from.
the launch control, yeah, nice. The launch commander and the launch control, no kidding. I've seen one, yeah. 5 of 5, 8 of 10.
So
We're sort of making sure that this is all good to go.
Here's the Kerbal crew.
So we're literally taking the Kerbal crew and we're manning crewing the different stations. We've got Eon on AFLAC and SOC. Does anybody know what this means?
That's insurance, right?
It's insurance. It's launch insurance. That one's not labeled back there. You're manning Defiance manning the printer, I think.
So these mics are live.
That-
I can hear you.
That gets
Wait,
5,000.
what?
These are connected together.
And they're live?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Nothing. I don't mind.
You can talk into a...
You can listen.
Are you sure?
I can hear them when they're moving there.
The museum has used this in the past because that's what this giant notebook is.
Yeah?
It's about, we run...
Like a
we do
simulation
school groups
of-
and things
you
like
take
that.
a school group
Oh,
through
yeah,
and you-
which is why everybody gets to sit down in here with you.
I think I've lost it. I think I've lost it. I lost it.
No kidding. I'm still okay on the signal. There's a TV play. Have everybody as a controller. Nice. Is that station over there labeled?
Yeah, we're.
TNFS. TNFS. There's an S commander. There's an AFLD. A VMA. There's an MD.
Yeah, I've lost it.
We've lost chat
I'm gonna-
completely.
That's just me, though.
We have a.
Everybody else still good?
Officer and
I'm going to go back up to the front and see, because it stabilized on 2,800.
They've got a book too.
The books for it. So apparently this whole room goes through like a launch countdown, right? And since we've got all of our Kerbal crew sort of crewing the different stations here, this is where we should play KSP. I don't know. We might have a cooler place to play KSP. We can go over here and press the button and see if we can start the presentation.
Oh, that's going to
Okay,
be loud by the camera.
even up here, it's 2,700. Just I'm just testing.
So,
I'm just testing
as
it.
we can hear, but the
So
She-
look,
she
we've got
already
the
hit it.
countdown going, right?
Oh, that's cool. Like,
Check 439. Check 439. 440 in work. 440 is in work. For item 440, record 377.43 PSIA. 377.43 PSIA. Check 440. Check 440. 441 in work. 441's in work. Check 441. Check 441. At item 442, BV readiness check. FCC. Go. LCM. Go. Ground station. Go. TNFS. Go. PACE. Go. AER. Go. GE. Go. VMA. Go. CC. Go. Check 442. Check 442. 443 is in work. 443 is in work.
Roger. BVN is acceptable. Record 0.4 e to the 6.
T-minus 4 minutes. The check out on that one. This is the Air Force Launch Controller. We are waiting for an update for 443. We will hold on the remaining steps until we get that update. Check 443. Check 443. Check 444. Check 444. Check 445. Check 445. 446 in work. 446 in work. LCR status 447. Check 447. Check 447. Check 446. Check 446. This is AFLC on countdown net 1. Conducting a clear launch poll. Please respond when polled. BOC. Go. FOC. Go. SOC. Go. LWO. Go. MIF. Go. Go. ROC. Go. LD. Go. ND. Go. Spaceless Commander. Clear to launch. Thank you, sir. AFLC check 448.
I have to like read the manual. Now's when I should be doing my study. At T-minus 3 minutes, it's like, I better, wait, what am I supposed to do?
Check 450.
It has all
Check
the different
450.
steps.
Check 452. Check 452.
Initiating STS test command on mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. +1, +2. Remove STS test command on mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, +6.
You know what this is, chat?
RFC range green. Check step 468. RFC range green.
It's got all the different things, so the people at the different positions know what to say. So you can sit in here and you read through it, and you can do all this, and it tells you what.
Check 434. Check 434.
No kidding. So you
Decimal
go
1
through
times 10 to
here.
the 6 inch pounds.
that's written in Comic Sans.
SOC, satellite vehicle armed and ready for
Why
launch.
is it written in
Check
Comic
step
Sans?
435.
Copy, check
Did you
435.
see the manual?
Yeah.
And it has, like, all the
Sorry, I'm a
different
graphic
things you're
artist.
supposed to say.
427, record.
It's okay.
358. I record 358.24. Affirmative. Check 427.
SOC checks 435. NOAA M is locked, cocked, and ready to rock.
Check 435 for the SOC.
Is it
Mark,
changing?
T-minus 90 seconds.
Changes the lights.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I keep trying to see, like, when there's time to talk, I'm like, oh, let's talk about it right
Yeah.
quick. But
Mark,
it's
T-minus
Dust.
75 seconds.
there you go. 60, 70, close to 75
Yes.
seconds. Nice.
We'll switch to the one on this. Make it go a little quieter, or is that going to go louder? If I switch that
no,
one?
it's,
Commit
yeah,
sequence
it's only
will
goes
start
down.
on my mark.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure.
yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Check 475. Check 476.
I feel like the printer's behind it.
T-minus 45 seconds.
Like the printer should be printing stuff out with the old dot matrix.
Label maker.
Label maker?
Yeah, you have to spin it to change the letters.
Annabelle Grace is go for launch. T-minus 30 seconds.
still about 5 seconds off, it looks like.
Well, you know.
Yeah, it's
the
good.
guidelines are
Yeah.
more than the rules.
It's real- we don't want anybody to know when we're actually launching, right?
It's a secret.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus flares off. Plus 2. Plus 3. Way at liftoff. Plus 5.
Rocket launches are loud, chat.
CC, please move 488 to 489. This is the FLC. Begin test pilot. The FLC checks 487. Countdown net 1.
Do what?
All stations begin test 21.
No kidding.
Check test 479. CC, this is the AFLC on countdown net 1. This is CC, go ahead. Please close test 20 and open test 21.
That's cool.
If somebody said open streams, ears destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. That's the coolest thing. So normally, assuming people can still hear me, I think we brought all of our people with chat access down here. Is it still running, or does it just look like it's running?
So I can see active chat.
Okay, you can actually see active chat. Everything's still good, right? Okay, good. The stream is still good and that sort of stuff. So normally there's like you can watch this, there's a button on the wall you can press and you can see the whole countdown. And I'll say like we see the countdowns when we watch a rocket launch, right? And it's sort of like, oh, they're serious about it, but those guys sounded serious.
Yeah, they really do, don't they?
Those guys sounded serious. Do we know if that an actual audio recording?
I believe it is, and I'll have to check.
We can confirm that, yeah.
Tell me this one, but I'll find out.
But that sounded like
It sounded like an Air Force.
completely legit. It's at some point somebody said thank you, sir. Like go to launch for the commander, I guess, and they said thank you, sir. I don't know if that's an official, like an actual recording. The other cool thing that I was sort of talking about here is that I guess you bring school groups and stuff down here sometimes,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
And they have a countdown manual for each of the different positions, right? So I was sitting at the launch console monitor position here. The Rocket Man was sitting at the launch commander?
Yeah.
The launch conductor, actually. The launch conductor console next to me. And so all these different manuals have all the different steps of the countdown. So I was thumbing through, I was like, oh, congratulations, as a member of the launch team, you're in the control room with the equipment necessary to launch a Titan II launch vehicle. And it says that you're going to go through the procedure, and it actually has all the different steps. So who was doing, there's Air Force positions, there's Lockheed Martin, there's what is this, Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, nice, coordinates all countdown activities, nice. But as you go through, it's got all the steps for all of the tasks and what each position would say. So instead of listening to it, we could have been like, attention, SLC-4 West, begin launch countdown. Time is, and you would announce whatever the time was. Every one of the stations has a binder made up like this. And it would be fantastic if at some point there was someone who actually knew a lot about this.
Right, wouldn't it be great? But
I know.
here's your overview of the
Yeah,
launch.
there's the overview of the thing, yeah. You guys remember the launch team, you're in the launch control room. Yeah, exactly.
So it tells you what it condenses it down to.
Your location is SLC-4 West, Space Launch Complex 4 West, Slick 4 West.
Slick 4
It
West.
actually says that on the sheet. Pronounced Slick 4 West is what it says. At Vandenberg Air Force Base, the Central California coast, you spent the last 3 months testing and preparing the missile for launch. The countdown's about to begin. So it says like the time and the temperature, and there's a slight breeze blowing, but it won't affect the launch. Like it's a whole like role-playing situation to come through, and
Picked up on it.
that's so cool.
This equipment is from Vandenberg.
This
Pretty
equipment
sure
is from
this
Vandenberg.
equipment is
Yeah.
from Slick 4 West.
Yes.
Which,
No
check it
kidding.
out, that's where SpaceX launches.
God. And it even gives you like your starting status.
Yeah.
It's like the booster vehicle is tested, the satellite has been attached to the booster, etc., etc. Propellants have been loaded, ordnance has been installed. Like all of those things are good to go. you know, like D&D or like role-playing or whatever. This is like space nerd role-playing.
Well, and everything that is done.
It's the best type of role.
It is. Everything that's in here, all of the manuals, everything, they were all created by people who actually were at Vandenberg and made sure that everything was 100% accurate. So, yeah, it's a pretty amazing.
You're ready to buy it.
Yeah, and again I say, yeah.
I think we now own a
That
lunch
part is
complex.
tricky right there.
That really is.
For Kerbal, put it all up there like that. There we go. Nice.
Yeah.
So anyways, that is, we wanted to get down there and go through that really quickly. It's nerd role-playing.
It is.
It really is, like the sort of nerd role-play. We do know, before people in chat pointed out, we know that the clock was like a couple seconds off. The countdown timer up on the wall, synchronized with the computer and audio and stuff like that. It's for security, so nobody really knows when we're going to launch exactly.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. Where are we going next?
I think we should go down and see.
We
how
should go
launch
down
this
further,
thing. Yes.
all the way down to the base, and we're about halfway down. And again, bear with us on this. We are checking the signal. We had like a plan with the long Ethernet cable, but we're going to see if we can go down even further and get to the very bottom of the Titan II, down this way. Again, I'm going to say it again. We went past the rope because we've got Julia with us.
Yes.
That's why we're allowed past the rope. She has the pass. If you come to a museum, don't be hopping over ropes and stuff like that unless you have permission to do so. You just behave. All right, just behave. Please behave. And we'll walk out this way. And let's see. We don't know how the signal's going to hold, but let's walk down this way and see if we can get down to the second level. Look. And we'll see if Good Chat comes back up again. Chat's still running. Nice. Press space to stage. I'm just now getting some of the chat messages. What does that say?
4,700.
4,700?
4,800.
Well, it's getting better in the lower
Well, it's
Maybe the Titan's a big huge antenna.
maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yes, to 4,800.
No kidding.
Still 4,800.
Are we still good?
And we're on one. I mean, there's still a little bit of delay with it, I remember.
Did you put... Look at Jeb.
Oh.
She's got Jeb up there, sitting on the hold downs for the Titans.
Hang on just a second. See if I can do this.
It's still 505. Gorgeous picture, rock solid connection, nice. This is too cool.
Yeah, still 4,800, so we're good in here.
It's still good to go.
Still good. Also, there's, again, no ropes.
Yeah, there's no rope. This is like, walk over this way. Have you ever wanted to get really close to the business end of a or I guess, which is the business end? I mean, for some amount of time, this is the business end, and then for another amount of time, that would be the...
I think for, like, jet fighters, the business end is the front.
Is the front?
Weapons, whereas the rocket, this is the business end. This
the
is where,
exciting end?
This is where the money's
first
made.
exciting end, I guess. If you ever wanted to go, the rock goes from down there, best camera. No, I know, right?
Specifically because Julia's here.
Yes, specifically
only because Julia's here.
Since
you
didn't do the hover hand that time either.
Yeah.
Julia's here. You said we have a pass.
You said you were not going to do that on camera.
No,
Sorry,
Jeff
Chet.
officially declared the rocket his rocket. Nice. So we are probably 3 stories down right now. This is, again, the launch sort of silo, I guess, the launch position for the Titan II. All of the equipment is actual equipment.
Yes.
This is a real rocket. These are real engines. All of the gear in there was actual equipment from like a launch command room. The hull is a replica, though. So the hole, they didn't move the hole from Vandenberg. They dug the hole. Everything's real equipment except for the hole, which is a replica. Laugh at my joke, please. It took me forever to come up with that joke. And I've been saving it the entire stream to make the joke. Anyways. Party in the front, party in the back. I like it. Business all around. I like that as well. This is bonded cellular, Clark Gable. This is bonded cellular. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This isn't an active launch facility, but Titan II was designed to launch from a silo. There you go. I don't even know what to tell you other than just take the camera and walk around the, like get some sweet zoomed in shots.
So, I will add, earlier, chat kept saying, oh, it's a warhead.
Right.
Not this one.
On this one, it's not a
this
warhead.
One, when they were all decommissioned, this was one the last one left.
And this one didn't launch.
This is a science vessel.
This is a science vessel. This doesn't have a warhead on top. It would be a science vessel, Eon's saying. Wait, what was the joke? What do you mean, what was the joke? Oh, that's so rude. Look, come on.
Well, and the best part about this is there are all these little teeny tiny data plates.
Let's get like all the, I mean, look, it's actual equipment. Like the part number, the serial number sort of, it's etched into the side on the little tank. It says fuel in on the little, it looks like a surge tank or something like that. Even over here, yeah, there's little data text.
We wouldn't do this unless we were here, but
Yes, exactly.
There's your O-ring.
Look at the, here, get around that way. There's an O-ring data, the assembly date, the comp, look at that. In all the little teeny tiny Aerojet. Here's a really good one, look at this. God. The stock number, the part number. Because this is actual equipment that was supposed to fly. This isn't like a mock-up, it's not like we got it close enough. This is actual equipment with all the little lockouts and tags and everything on it. I mean, even down to, we're just going to get gratuitous zoom for all the different tags. That's what we call it, gratuitous zoom.
Well, you have to, there's some more over here.
Just find as many tags as you want to zoom in on. And,
also our tinfoil.
Yeah, our space tinfoil, nice.
I space tinfoil.
Chev riding the rocket.
Yeah, you have to. Let's be honest. Stay still, Jeff.
There you go. Stay still.
Stay still, Jeff.
No kidding. The speaker, the microphone can pick this up. While we're down in here, it's actually playing like ambient, like hisses and like pops and stuff like that, like on occasion, and it just adds to the ambience of being down here in the bottom of the Titan II. Jem is just riding on the floor. No kidding. Bit rate's still good. 4800 still. Yeah.
Guys, look, I don't even need to zoom. Like we could just get close to it. It's just the light gets cut out then. In a second, like, I'll be down here. Great. Okay. It's quite an echo chamber under here. Which I know. No. Are you ready? Yeah. Hang on.
So, I'm not an actual rocket scientist, chat, But I would tell you that this is not exactly the position you would want to be in when this thing was about to launch. Again, don't do this sort of wacky stuff. This is a little wacky. But you can see the injectors and you can see the coolant or the cooling vanes and that sort of stuff on the outside of the bell. It's really echoey up underneath here. But this is not the correct position to be in. It's like, like a mechanic roll underneath the rocket. There's literally nothing in here to wrench. It's like no user serviceable parts underneath there. I wanted to see what it looked like up underneath the rocket engine, and all the pieces are there. Oh, gosh. I don't know. What's up, Twitch chat? I see Twitch chat right here, right? Oh, all right, I'm going to get out of here.
How did you spend your Saturday?
Yeah, exactly. Could we get the camera in there at all? I don't know. The camera might be too big. That's up to you,
so.
Saber.
Yeah, I can switch here.
Okay, we're gonna see if we can get the camera underneath there.
Now, I won't be able to see very well, so I'm kind of going in blind with this.
Yeah.
I'll give you directions.
You got the camera. Oh, nice.
No, actually, no, we're good. I can still see the screen.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. And look.
All right.
I can even zoom.
Well, this one's not from memory.
Julian, Jen.
Oh, there's and we have information.
Nice. You're zoomed all the way in right now. Nice.
No big deal, just under a rocket.
I see people saying stuff to EJ. I think he's given up following us.
Oh, I think EJ unfollowed me. Yeah, there you go. Take a picture. Why would we take a picture?
So, Mike.
We have a thing. Look, y'all.
Who has been watching you upstairs.
Aha!
Has some information and wanted to make sure we had the right information.
Nice.
So he's going to tell us a few things about.
Here's Jeb, Mike.
Jeb.
Thank you very much. So here's the deal. They were watching us upstairs, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go down there and tell them what's for." Thank you for coming down.
You're very welcome, sir. When I have people down here, I tell them certain things about the rocket that I think is a lot of fun.
Okay.
For instance,
let's swing around this way, and we'll put the camera over this way with the rocket behind us. Yeah, this is what we need. We need someone to come and tell us what's the deal.
Can you give me an idea of what this is? What this part of the rocket is?
Be an exhaust for a turbo pump?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always tell people only a cool rocket has a dual exhaust system, right? But this is actually...
Those are the straight pipes. Like we put the straight pipes on this.
That's right. Absolutely. But they actually take fuel from the engines, the actual fuel, and put it in the back here, and it explodes on contact. It's called hypergolic.
Yep.
And the exhaust gases, which is about 1,000 pounds of thrust out of this
Coming
alone.
out 1,000 pounds of this?
Out of this.
No kidding.
Goes through the turbines and runs the fuel pumps.
Those are the actual fuel pumps. It's like the turbo pumps for the...
Each fuel pump runs about 5,000 horsepower per side just to pump fuel for 2.5 minutes.
For 2.5 minutes. 5,000 horsepower per pump. There's a pump on the other side because we got the dual exhaust, right?
Right.
And that's just to pump the fuel to the engine fast enough that you can blow it up and get your actual thrust.
Exactly.
No kidding.
Now it's pumping about 2,000 pounds of fuel per second.
No kidding. Per engine? For each pump? Or sorry, per engine, I mean
I think
per side?
it's both sides.
Both sides together. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. This gives us enough to produce 450,000 pounds of thrust between the two engines for a 340,000 pound rocket.
Kidding.
Now the other thing that I love about this, you guys were taking pictures of tags.
Yeah.
I don't know if you zoomed in on this
Yeah,
tag
we can
here.
get it.
But you notice what the PSI rating is on that tag?
1,500.
1,500 PSI for a fuel line.
For a fuel line. It's a 1,500 PSI fuel line. This, what is that, 3 inches, 4 inches diameter?
Yeah. Now, with this 1,500 PSI, you may have noticed this rocket doesn't have any fins on it.
Right.
So how do we steer a rocket without fins?
We've got some gimbaling.
We have some gimbaling. We
Yep.
have some engines that will
What
actually
the-
move. What? I get the kids down here.
Are you kidding me? What?
I ask the kids if they want to show off their muscles, and I get them to push the engines.
I wasn't expecting that. All right, you got me by surprise that time.
But if the engine has to move, and this is a straight pipe, how do we make sure? It's got flexors.
Okay.
That flexor, if you watch it while I move the engine,
with 1,500 PSI.
With 1,500 PSI.
And it's got flexors in specific positions. That would be when it gimbals one way, and when you go the other way, can you do it the other way?
Absolutely.
Push it that way.
We got
You get a flex at a
flexors on
different
this side over
position.
here. Have the same thing going on.
No kidding. And it could get all the amount of gimbal that
It won't come together.
needs. Yeah.
They won't come together.
They won't come this way, right?
5 degrees each direction.
5 degrees in each direction. No kidding. God, so you know a lot about this. Did you work on this sort of stuff?
No, I just was a kid in the 70s with model rocketry.
Yep.
Growing up, liked it. After I got into the Army, my dad was a volunteer on the Goose.
Yeah.
He said, come over here and do this, so I'm doing this.
No kidding.
And I got a lot of good mentors down here that taught me a lot about this. And then there's some of the books that you mentioned upstairs.
Yep.
Went through some of those about what
like reading the manual and
parts
stuff.
of the engines are about.
No kidding. I can't believe it. I can push it, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
It takes a bit of force to push.
Yeah.
Were there some pistons that would have been connected right here?
There's your pistons.
Yeah, so that's
Push it around.
Is this one fixed?
You can push it that way.
You can push it that way because that one will go in, I guess.
Well, the big thing is there's a stock up there for some reason. It will go both ways.
It will go both ways,
now
but
there's
right
a
now
stock
it's
up
blocked.
there.
Okay. I didn't know if that one was like freed up or something like that, but no kidding. So you would have 2 of these per engine.
Right. You have one here, and
right?
you have one right
like
here.
90 degrees apart from each other.
There's the other one.
Yep, there's the other one back up in there. And with those 2 sort of degrees of motion, you could sort of, I guess I would say pitch and yaw or whatever,
Yep.
move it around. Like do the hula. We should put a hula hoop on this. Do the rocket hula hoop.
And again, you just let him do this.
Yes.
Yes. Green vest.
Green
He's got
vest,
the
green
best.
vest,
Yes,
yeah.
he's got the best. Okay. He's got the official permission.
And
Here's another-
if the kids get a little wild on this, they start pushing it and get that bouncing, I say, if you knock it over, you get to pick it back up.
You get to pick it back up. It's like, look, don't come to the museum and like ride the engine bell, like you're riding back and forth. Don't do that, okay?
No.
This is another interesting line up here. It's labeled Hydrazine. So 80 psi Hydrazine line. Where would that? It comes out of this bottle, it looks like, and goes up into that pump. I don't know.
Well,
Chet, does anybody know what that's for?
Have you noticed that this bell over here is different?
It is
than
a
this
different
one?
bell, yeah.
Have you looked up inside that one?
No, I haven't. I'm going to.
There's a coil in there, and the hot gases that are coming out of this heat the coil, which pressurizes the tank at the top.
Ah, okay. No kidding. It is. That was just like a straight pipe, and this one looks like it has a hairdryer or something in it, honestly. No kidding.
So from my research on the other rocket engines for ULA, hydrazine would be your starting.
This is how it starts it up. Again, you have something that's more volatile to get the fuel going. Okay, gotcha.
And there's actually supposed to be a canister right here
that
has a slow burning explosive in it that actually gets the impeller spinning. So they fire this off first, then this gets spinning fast.
Oh, that's what's missing right here, right? That's what we.
Now, if you look on the Titan 4 upstairs, you'll see it.
The one that's laying down, right? Okay. No kidding. Yeah, that's just like straight up in there.
Yep.
And that's just the exhaust.
That's just the exhaust for the fuel pump.
No
Only
kidding.
the fuel pump.
That's just the exhaust for the fuel pump that's going through to drive the turbos, and this would just. No kidding. I mean, just this level of equipment, like the fact that it's preserved this well.
Yeah, this actual rocket was in a hole in the ground with a warhead on it from 68 to 86.
No kidding.
So when you go back upstairs, you see the black nose cone upstairs.
The black nose cone.
That's what used to be on it.
It's a warhead.
In 86, they took the black one off, put the white one on to put, hey, you know, we got a satellite launch vehicle. Anybody want to launch a satellite? They didn't launch it, of course.
Right.
So we said, hey, we'll display it.
Right.
Yeah, we'll display it. So when they built the museum, of course, they put the hole in, they put the rocket in, and then they put the glass front on it.
Yep.
So if the Air Force wants it back, they get to figure out how to get it out of here.
Figure out how to get it out.
We did not get this off eBay.
Yeah, no, this doesn't come off eBay, yeah. It sounds like the bad plot to a movie where it's like, well, there's a Titan at Evergreen, let's go and recondition it to launch into space and save whatever, you know?
You see the red pants there?
Yep.
There's missing pieces. It ain't
Yeah,
gonna
there
go
are some
anywhere.
missing pieces. No kidding. It's just the big struts and everything that sort of hold the engine in place. It's not putting all the load on the bottom of the fuel tank.
No.
It's on the frame of the rocket, the outside shell of the tanks there to distribute the load. The force, because with these things, do we know how much thrust these would make?
430,000 pounds between the two of them.
430,000 pounds of thrust, not pushing on the bottom of the fuel tank, but pushing on the outer sort of frame of the rocket.
Exactly.
Which would be filled with fuel, pressure, yada, yada, yada. No kidding. And I just noticed that. They are disconnected. Those big fuel feed lines have like blinds on the end of them.
Yep.
With test, it literally looks like they have test nozzles. Like you can hook into that or something, the little drain valves or whatever.
Drain valves would probably be best work for it, yeah.
Kidding.
Because that fuel is not something you want to hang around.
Yeah, it's not really. No kidding. Chat, what do y'all think of this? Are there any questions that we have from chat for this? Again, we're at the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum. Mike, we have Mike, who was watching the stream upstairs and came down to give us some more information and show us that you could actually do the actuation on the, I guess, gimbal, we could call it. If there's any questions, put some questions in chat, because we're live right now. Like, we're on Twitch. We're touring the museum as one of our virtual field trips, and we'll see if y'all have it. I've got Twitch chat on my phone. Let's see if y'all can come up with any useful questions. It's a challenge, chat. Can you come up with anything that's like an actually good question?
One of the questions when I was watching the feed upstairs, we were asking about the launch that happened upstairs.
Okay.
It happened October 18th, 2003. It was a satellite launch for a weather satellite.
A weather satellite. So the audio that we listen to up in the control room
is real.
Is real audio.
And this particular weather satellite I thought was really neat because if you are out hiking in the Cascades here in Oregon or someplace and you get lost and you have one of those emergency locators, it will send a signal up to that satellite that launched.
No kidding.
That satellite will read it, send it back to the authorities to say, this is where they're at, go find them.
I've got one of the little emergency transponders, like the GPS transponder thing that sends up the satellite signal. I've got one of those with my backpack.
So
and that launch audio was from, no kidding. Questions?
TWR of this particular booster?
The TWR of this particular, the thrust to weight of this booster?
Yeah, for nominal.
I don't know off the top of my head. There's probably a plaque. So if you want to know the thrust to weight of this particular booster, come to the museum and read all the plaques around it. I don't know. Maybe somebody could look that up for me. I don't know that off the top of my head. See if there's any other questions. Hydrazine's tasty. Make sure to thank Mike for coming down.
When the fuel, when this is fully fueled, it's 340,000 pounds, and I told you that it burns fuel at 2,000 pounds per second. So there's about a 90,000 pound thrust differential at the start of the launch.
So you can compute it.
Every 2 seconds, or every second, it gets 2,000
Drop
pounds
away,
lighter.
it's like X number of cars. 2,000 pounds a second would be a little bit less than a car. Yeah, a little bit less than a car.
And the thrust, though, stays the same. So your thrust keeps getting higher and higher.
Yeah, the thrust stays the same, and the thrust to weight keeps getting higher and higher. So you could compute it. What was the fully fueled?
340.
340,000?
Yep.
And then the thrust was?
Well, actually, it's 430. I was mistaken.
Okay.
430.
It's 430. Okay. And the fully fueled was 340?
Yep.
So you could come up with the difference between the two, and you could figure out the thrust to weight. There you go.
I'm going to ask this in a little bit different way. Somebody asked about hydrogen circulating around the engine belt. Can you explain the fuel path for this engine belt?
Yeah, this doesn't use, it uses hydrazine and nitrous tetroxide as the oxidizer. So the fuel path, of course, right from the areas that are cut off there, straight down here. One side here is fuel. I think the outside one here is fuel. The inside one is the oxidizer. The oxidizer goes straight into the top of the engine.
Yeah.
The fuel actually goes down through these little tubes.
Yep.
And then back up again, and then into the side of the engine, so that everything comes together. The fuel is warmed up. The bell is kept cool.
The bell is cool. Yep.
And that's how the fuel gets into the engine. And then once it touches, because it is a hypergolic fuel, it will ignite.
No kidding.
Can the engine be throttled?
No.
This was just go.
It's just go.
It's just go. No kidding. And I'm not getting Twitch chat anymore. I'm not getting any chat updates on my phone. So Defiant Zombies back here is getting some questions for us, but my phone is no longer getting the live chat. So is there anything else that we want to see down here? I mean, the support structures here as well.
The support structures are actually designed for an outdoor launch.
Okay.
So if it's in a silo on an indoor launch, it sits on a ring, which we don't have. So when you get down here and you're looking at it, it's kind of a mix of being in a silo, which you did hear the sound effects and stuff, versus the outdoor
versus the outdoor setup. So this would be above ground.
Yeah, and you saw the pictures of the stand after launch.
Right. Okay. It's even got like this looks like a water system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like a suppression system or something.
Right,
like that
fire suppression.
Is that fire, or do they spray that when the rocket's going?
A little of both, actually.
A little bit of both. Okay.
Because the water that goes into the trench is to help suppress the noise and the vibration, so it doesn't feed back and damage the rocket before it gets off the pad.
And there's one other cool thing on the other side. If we walk over this way, it looks like there's one of the camera setups over here as well. Let's go this way right quick, y'all. Yes. Thank you.
Could somebody go grab the battery off the charger?
Let's see if we can go this way.
I have like 45 minutes, so you're good.
So this looks like we've seen these when we go to SOC-41 at Cape Canaveral, the sort of armored cameras. I'm going to guess that this is one of the camera sort of setups, because I guess it's painted the same color. Maybe it goes together, right? But it's got like the armored glass and all the insulation and stuff like that, so they could film the bottom of the rocket to review like engineering footage sort of thing.
Exactly.
I mean, nowadays they get cameras and we watch it and we're like, oh, it's amazing, because they use the camera to put it on YouTube, right? But it's like an engineering sort of camera back in the days when these things would sit and they wouldn't be broadcasting what was going on with the launch.
Right.
So even that sort of thing, like this would be, if it came with this, I guess it would be above ground setup.
It would be above ground setup. It would be probably not too far off from where it actually sits, because you just look at the deterioration of
it's
the
got
metal.
some battle damage on it. Like, no kidding. Well, I think in terms of time, we're about to have to start going up because we've got to go to the theater to get set up for a real rocket launch. Again, Mike, thank you so much for coming down and giving us more information. I really appreciate it. Chat, put some hearts in chat over there for Mike, who came down and gave us more information because they were watching us. I didn't know that y'all were watching us.
Oh yeah,
they're probably up there like, well, that's not right. I'm going to go down there and correct them.
No,
like,
no, you just felt like you were. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I want to make sure you guys get good information.
Excellent. That's the best thing. Like, I don't know everything, but I like to hang out with people who know about it. So it's good for me to sort of go and say, I don't know the answer to this, but let's talk to somebody who does.
There you go.
Thank you for coming and finding us.
Thank you, sir.
Nice.
You have a good day.
One more thing. Okay, so we're going to keep on going back up the stairs here, y'all. If you're wondering where we are, again, we're at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. We're in McMinnville, Oregon. We're doing a virtual field trip. You switch with me? Nice. Yeah. We're doing a virtual field trip. We have special access from the museum to go around and do the live stream, and I am reading chat as much as I can. There go the hearts. This is what I like to see, chat. When somebody comes over and gives us that sort of information and, gimbals the rocket engine for us, it's just fantastic. Again, I don't know all of the different things about this specific engine. I'm not an expert, and it's so cool that they were literally watching from the docent, like the docent command center upstairs, and sent somebody down to rescue me from my lack of exact knowledge about this thing. It's just so cool. We've got a couple more things that we want to see upstairs, so we're going to start walking back up the stairs here. And it's not like we go to an away screen or commercial or anything. We just walk, right? So let's get going and walk.
Sure.
Let's go through the engine.
Through the engine. In fact,
literally go through the engine, chat.
Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry about that.
No kidding.
So what do you think about X-38 and that capsule thingy that's in the dark room?
Wherever we want to walk to, let's go walk. Yeah. Let's go check it out.
I say capsule thingy, I'm trying to hide it.
The capsule thing. What time is the launch? The United Launch Alliance launch is scheduled for 4:17 p.m. Pacific time today, 4:17 p.m. And we're going to go and set up in the museum's IMAX-sized theater and put the ULA launch and Kerbal up on the IMAX. So we do have to get some time to set that up and make sure everything's working correctly. Elevator music, nice. People are still screaming for the A-10. Did you miss the SR-71? You did, Eagle. You did miss the SR-71. That was... Earlier, we spent almost 3 hours walking around the SR-71. God, no kidding. Julia is running around. Let's go over there and see what's happening over here really quick. Julia is taking pictures of Jeb. On just about every space artifact here. This looks like it says NASA McDonnell Douglas Airlock 0G trainer Skylab airlock module. Actual Skylab airlock module built for training purposes. Astronauts rehearsed in it before flying to the space station. No kidding.
Yeah, you had to go for it.
So we've got Jeb everywhere.
Jeb has been everywhere, yes.
No kidding. Where did we want to go next, Dion?
We might be interested in the X-38.
Let's go to the X-38?
The other side of there.
All right, we're going to go find the X-38.
Kinda like
Just go over this. I mean, even this thing. Like, as we walk past this, it's like the fueling station. Is this the fueling station for the Titan?
Let's keep the Jazz Julia.
It's for a Titan 4. Yeah, it's the fueling. Well, that says Titan 4. What does that say?
Nitrogen pressure controller, ground support console for Titan 4 vehicle.
You go, it's a
The
nitrogen, it's
nitrogen
not fuel,
pressure
it's
controller
nitrogen.
is used to control pressure and flow of gaseous nitrogen, GN2 in case you wondered, for pressurizing, purging, and blanketing of vehicles, piping, and associated propellant transfer equipment.
So just this
now
whole
you know.
console, that's an actual console, and I love how it has like the different lines and stuff sort of drawn on it, but just come to the museum and check it out. We gotta keep going though.
Yeah,
like,
we do. There's so many. Yeah.
That's not an exit, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, get you one to jump in that way. Jump to that.
Oh my gosh. What is the fin in the middle of everything?
Well,
If you would read.
I'm trying to read.
If we had time.
This is your other...
Saturn IV's first stage featured 8 fins like this one arrayed around the base of the rocket. They help stabilize the rocket.
That's the fin. That's fin number 3.
Is this
Okay.
an actual Saturn V fin?
It's like we can't talk about everything. There's so much stuff here. Oh no. I'm a little overwhelmed. It's got the milk stand on it. I see that, the Saturn 1B. Okay,
Oh, it's
continuing
so
on.
cute.
We're continuing on.
Did you just call that cute?
Yeah, it's so little bitty.
This one is so tiny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we have to go into the
We have to keep walking. Because we could probably spend 20 minutes just standing there talking about
reading
that.
that.
God, that was so cool. They came down and...
Aren't they fantastic?
That's so cool.
Well, it was so funny.
And they're
because they came
volunteers.
in- And they came in this morning, they had no idea what Twitch was.
Right?
Or
And now they're
anything else.
watching Twitch over the...
Right, hours later.
View count.
Yeah, and he came running down too.
Yeah.
It was so cute. He's like, I could tell, but I'm like, please do.
Yeah, no, I
So,
mean,
yeah.
really, that's fantastic.
We have to just go fly this capsule.
We're putting Jeb into the mock-up. That looks like a Mercury capsule.
That's a mock-up.
Oh, she wants to go out. You're facing him outside, is that it? You ready to join?
Okay. So we could actually go in here.
Uh-oh. Oh, there's a spoiler right at the door.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So we'll have to see how loud this is in here. It sounds a little echoey.
A little bit.
Yeah, this was Oh yeah, perfect.
So, all right.
This was research and testing.
Yeah, if you're wondering what we've got here, y'all, this is the Mercury 10 capsule. It says, and it wasn't launched. It was used for like research and testing. Is one of the modules that was made. I think there were 20 made. The science said. Let me make sure. 5 of the 20 were never flown. This is one of the 5. So there were 20 made, and then 15 of them were flown, and then this is one of the 5 that was not flown. It was used for like testing and training and research sort of stuff. But look at this. This is like gratuitous. I'm gonna like wipe off the glass there for you. Look at the inside of that thing. So of course Mercury is the first crewed launch where we would have one single person inside the capsule here. We'd put him on top of what was literally an intercontinental ballistic missile with an extra stage on top of it, and we would push him into orbit for the first sort of suborbital and orbital flights. So this, again, it's real hardware. We're not climbing in this one. There were only 5 of these that weren't flown, and this is one of the 5. God. No kidding, chat. Is it a spacesuit? There is.
Yeah.
We'll get the spacesuit next. Yeah, absolutely. And no, I'm not going to put the spacesuit on. It's not a thing. This is the glass. Like even Julia can't get past the glass here.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is the anti-Julia sort of setup. Like ropes and cables and stuff that say "Do not enter." It's like okay, but this is when they're really serious about not.
They're getting to the top.
Yeah, climb through the top of the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do we have a plaque on this or? No kidding.
So this is a great opportunity for chat to find stuff. All right, and actually, I think while we research this a little bit, I'm gonna have to swap out battery camera, but we'll just lose the visual feed. We'll be right back in like maybe 30 seconds.
Okay, you want to get the battery ready?
It's right here.
There's the battery. All right.
So
we're gonna do a camera battery change right quick. So
hot
the
swap.
stream will just hiccup right quick, and we'll be right back.
All
3,
right.
2, 1. probably in a box. Mark's kitchen. Oh, signal. Did we get it?
Okay.
All right, I got it back online.
Then I'm sorry for the very weird angle, guys. I'm just getting a drink.
That's when the camera comes back online.
Of course, right then.
That's when the camera
Here,
comes
could you
back
put this in my right pouch on the backpack? Yeah, right pouch right there. Thank you. Of course.
I like it. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool. So for future reference, I can actually intentionally put it on the Be Right Back screen, and then we can turn the camera off.
Okay.
And then we can, yeah. So everything's good to go now, chat. Everything looks good. We got the signal back up. The pack looks good.
Yep. Oh, sorry.
All right. Did we get any more information on the suit? Okay, we don't actually have a plaque here.
Look, guys, a shiny suit.
It is a shiny suit. It looks like one of the Mercury suits.
Yep.
But there's not actually a plaque.
So this is a prime opportunity for somebody in chat to figure anything out.
Absolutely.
And cite your source. That doesn't count.
So this is a good time, right? Let's talk about this right quick. Let's see if I can get in close enough to do this. So earlier at the beginning of the stream, we talked about there's some of the sort of artifacts at the museum that don't have descriptions on them, right? There's so many crazy space artifacts, they haven't had, I guess, the resources to go through and get everything lined out. So this Mercury spacesuit is an opportunity for someone in chat to try and do some research and maybe write up a little bit of a blurb that could be put on a sign. Now, we'll see if we can find a serial number or something like that on it. Like, we'll go over it with a fine-tooth comb on the camera.
When we go to collections, we can look.
When we go to collections, we can look as well. But we wanted to see if anybody in Twitch chat, and I'll remind you of this whenever I get back to the studio, wanted to take a stab at writing up a little blurb like you see on the on museum artifacts, right? Like if you come around this way, here's one for the Mercury spacecraft, right? Like this. And it says objects on loan from Smithsonian Institution, National Air and Space Museum, right? But this is a little blurb that was sort of talking about the pod. And if somebody who's a viewer wanted to take a shot at writing a blurb that would be fact-checked and verified and all that sort of stuff, if you have any information, make sure you cite your source and that sort of thing, you could get the museum to print out a piece like a placard like this to announce what the spacesuit is, if you come back over this way. That is literally an opportunity that we've talked about where the community can get involved. And we're going to look at this thing with a fine-tooth comb, maybe zoom in on the logo, the patch, like see if there's something that you can learn about it. If there's tape somewhere or a tear, we'll go over it with a fine-tooth comb and see if there's something we can find. And if you find something specific about this spacesuit, I mean, a sort of intro would be a generic thing about Mercury spacesuits. And a follow-up would be if we can get some sort of unique identifier for this specific spacesuit, you could submit that to the museum and they'll print out a placard that says, like, you know, with help of your name if you want that. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? I mean, I'm just saying. So let's take the camera all around this thing, and then up next, I think we're going to the archives next, right? I think we're going to the archives next. I guess I'm in charge. I guess we could just go to the archives. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my email, and then we can hook up. Yeah, that's perfect.
You can forward to me if you want.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
That way we got to, things are not just hitting lots of email.
Look at the back there.
No, it's got a little like battle damage on the back there or something. So what we were just saying, if one of the mods could put my email address in chat, if you want to take on that task and you want to sort of try to write a little bit of a blurb or something, just talking about a Mercury spacesuit, just a sentence or two, right? Not like a huge, massive paragraph. You could send it to my email address and I'll get it hooked up with the museum and that sort of thing. So mods could put that in chat right quick. God. Any labels on the suit? Thunderguard, that's a great question. No serial tag or something. I mean,
I haven't seen any yet.
There's a little bit of wear and tear in the upper left shoulder, kind of the middle of the back there, below the shoulder blade, I guess. I'll look around. Everybody look around and see if there's some sort of... It's only got one boot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, if we notice that, there's only one boot on it. Yeah. See? So it's got one of the booties and the other side doesn't seem to be there. There are two gloves, but they look like the gloves are on the side there. Yeah. There's no markings on the suit. So here was, oh here, look. What is that, 8944 on the arm? See the arm right there? Get that zoomed all the way in, the 8944.
Hold on, everybody, we're rolling over.
Yeah, there you go, chat. 8944 on the left arm of the suit. There's some
something.
Is there some wording above it?
Looks like it.
Yeah, God, I can't read what that says. It almost looks like it's zipped into the arm there. Like if you flatten it out, you can see what the text behind it says.
Gene is asking if there's a convex mirror anywhere on the chest.
A convex mirror?
On the chest,
I don't see a mirror anywhere on the chest.
The only unusual thing, which isn't probably specific to this suit, but like the right, it looks like a knee pad, but it's above that, but it's only on the right leg. Like the person's
Oh, you're right.
leg. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little right there on the, that would be the right leg.
Yeah.
So did I say left arm or did I get that wrong?
No, you said left. That's right.
The writing's on the left arm.
That's correct.
Is that like a hard spot for taking notes?
Yeah, like a notepad or something? Yeah, I wondered.
So chat, we get to investigate this together.
Even inside the helmet. Just trying to identify this thing. Earlier suits had an honor medal. How old is the suit? We don't know. I mean, Dunfield, we don't know. Yeah, I bet the tag would be inside KSPJT. That's a good point. Who was the designer? Build your own spacesuit? Wait, what? And there was the email. Good.
I'm just going to say I found out some information that I'm not allowed to tell you.
No, wait, what?
Because Leon said no. So, he wants to see the power of that. So...
No kidding. So there's some more information that we might have found about it. Nice. Did you get the, maybe get the logo, the patch on the front of it real close?
Yeah, that's the first thing I did.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm trying to see if there's any... You good to go?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay, John. Come here.
Ah!
Oh, hello, John.
Look at, do you love his light up sign? I mean, it's great, but, right.
This light up side.
This is a pressure suit, not a spacesuit.
It's a pressure suit, not a spacesuit.
That's all, okay? Which
there you
means
go.
It's a balloon.
Okay.
That didn't belong to any particular person, but every time they rode in the capsule,
right,
they had to have that, and that was there just in case they lost cabin pressure.
In the capsule?
In capsule while in orbit.
Okay.
But it's a balloon. Now, what do balloons do when they blow up? Right.
Yeah.
Now, you can't bend your arm.
Yeah, you'd be like the Stay Puft Marshmallow.
You're like this, you can't bend.
Yeah?
Doesn't have articulation around the elbows like you would with a regular spacesuit, okay? So, like I said, it's only designed to be pressurized if you lost cabin pressure.
Would it always be pressurized, or would it pressurize if they lost pressure?
Only when they lost pressure.
Only when they lost pressure. They'd like blow you up like...
Yeah, and they never had to use it.
No kidding. So do we know where this one specifically is from?
I think it's just an extra one, just like this is an extra capsule. This is capsule number 10.
No kidding. Also from the Smithsonian, I think, because it said this was from the
Probably
Smithsonian.
so.
Yeah, no kidding. So there was a pressure suit. It wouldn't normally, it's not a spacesuit, it's not going to protect you from being out in space.
That's correct.
It's probably missing insulation and stuff like that, right?
And articulation help around the elbow.
Yeah, so when it inflated, you wouldn't be able to...
Right. That's correct. You got it exactly.
No kidding. Do we know, it's missing a booty down there, like one of the boots? I wonder, is that a normal thing, or...
It's probably what we got.
It's what came in the crate.
Nice. It's what came in the crate.
I like it. So we were trying to look for clues on it to figure out, like, was it just an extra? Was it used for training or something?
I think it was just an extra.
Nice.
Just like the capsule we have here was an extra.
Was an extra one. This is one of the 5 remaining capsules that they didn't fly.
This is number 10.
It's number 10.
In the production scheme of things.
Right.
Okay, and that's it.
No kidding. Well, thank you for coming and giving us more information on it. It's the coolest thing. Again, they're like watching up at the front, and then they send somebody back, and I guess Eon came and talked to y'all about, does anybody know? Yeah, there you go. Julia went up there. All right. Good deal. No kidding. Is there anything else we want to say about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
go.
there is.
Sure.
If you go over here to this diagram, there's one feature of the Mercury capsule that is very, very important.
Right.
And that is if the rocket under here gets in trouble,
right,
then this rocket motor right here, which is a solid fuel rocket motor, will light off, pull this whole thing off to the side, and parachute to safety.
The escape system or whatever.
That's right. It's called the escape tower.
Nice.
Okay, now here's the interesting thing. Mercury used the escape tower. Okay. Gemini did not.
Right? Gemini didn't have a tower on top.
That's right. They were designed, that capsule was largely designed and influenced by the pilots.
Right.
Pilots know ejection seats.
Right.
Let's go to Apollo. It's got the escape tower.
It's got the escape tower again.
Let's go to the Soyuz today.
Right?
It's got the escape tower.
the escape tower too. So the interesting thing with Gemini is they sort of sat side by side like they were in the cockpit of a plane, and the tops would like hinge open because they thought about putting ejection seats in Gemini.
Correct.
No kidding.
And I would not like to be ejected into that fireball. Thank you very much.
I'd rather be pulled off the top of the fireball.
Right.
No kidding. And I know even SLS has the escape tower. So whatever you want to say about SLS, they have this sort of escape tower to pull the capsule off the top of it. And again, you don't try to kick it to the side. You don't try to push it down through the rocket. You get it away from the rocket forward to pull yourself to safety.
And the Dragon on SpaceX
doesn't have
it
one.
no, it doesn't. It has the rockets built into the side of the capsule.
built into the capsule, so that the capsule can actually throw itself off the top.
It's the same thing in concept as this. It just doesn't have the big.
It's like a propulsion that'll push it off the top of the.
Correct.
Now, what did you do? Did you work? You volunteer with the museum?
I taught him everything he knows.
You taught him everything he knows.
Yes, we've been working on it for a year now.
Oh, a year's worth of education from Julia.
Okay.
Or what did you really do?
I was a propulsion engineer.
You're a propulsion engineer.
I got to work on that engine that's right out there.
Which engine?
The engine that's right outside the store here. It's called an S3D, as in dog.
Right.
And it powered the Jupiter Intermediate Range Ballistic rocket.
Okay.
Okay. After that, I worked on the H1.
Okay.
We used 8 of those on the Saturn C1.
Right.
Then they transferred me out to Edwards Air Force Base to work on the F1, 1.5 pound thrust rocket.
No kidding. Do we want to walk around the corner and look at them? Can we do that? Is that cool?
Yeah,
Julie
absolutely.
says that's fine. I'm with you.
Is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
No kidding.
Well, and again, the amazing things that our docents do. So John worked with me on the NASA grant that we worked on, but then John comes to my office one day and goes, hey, so I can get us a rover model mock-up from JPL.
Really?
Yeah. So it was because of John that I got to drive down to California.
No kidding.
Because sometimes docents just come to you and they're like,
hey,
if you
I
wanna
know
go pick this up,
a
great.
guy,
If you
yeah.
want to go to JPL and pick this up, you can. That was all because of John that thing
I'm
is
used
here.
to making things happen.
Yeah, and he does.
I'm not static.
Like this.
Okay.
Not
So
at
you
all.
worked on this
Yes, I
engine
did.
design.
This was a very early engine at Rocketdyne.
Right.
We didn't know how to start and stop engines reliably then, so we had this little control panel here, which controlled the solenoids here, which controlled the main valves here.
Right.
For starting and stopping the engine reliably.
Okay.
And before every test, we'd sit down with a strip chart,
Right.
which showed the click, click, click of all the valves and their timing.
Right.
Okay, and I'd sign off on that. It's okay to go ahead.
That you'd like be testing them in advance to
That's
make sure
right.
everything was
That's right.
clicking in the right order, I guess,
That's right. That's right. And then that we were allowed to go into a test.
Yep.
Then after the test, we had these big rolls of oscillograph paper,
Okay.
which had to go and be developed.
Right.
It was a photographic process. And we had flow meters, and they had little pips that we counted the little pips.
And you'd
to
see how
calculate the
many.
flow rate. What our flow rate was.
Yeah, no kidding.
And from the flow rate, we get mixture ratio, which is important. You want to have a certain mixture ratio of oxidizer to fuel on this.
So it was literally, I mean, there's something in there that was spinning, I guess. Like the flow rate meter would have a little or something.
It's a
that
little,
would-
it's a little,
paddle
multi-bladed
wheel sort of thing.
propeller, yeah.
And every time it went past a sensor, it would like put a little pip, 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 and you would count those
yes,
over time to see
yes,
what the flow rate was.
on the oscillograph. Yes.
Before we had all the fancy, smancy,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
now
yeah.
we do it electronically. They just run a test and say, oh yeah, that's fine.
No kidding. So one of the things you did, you would look at the paper after it got developed, because it was a photograph
Yes.
sort of thing, and manually count the pips to see what the flow rate was.
That's correct. Both oxidizer and fuel.
No kidding.
Actually, both oxidizer and fuel for the engine, but also oxidizer and fuel for the gas generator.
For the gas generator. So what's the difference between the gas generator and the engine and that sort of
Let's
stuff?
come around this other side here.
All right. I'm not going to pass up the chance to ask you, you know?
Okay. This little device right here
Right.
is where we burned a little bit of the fuel and a little bit of the oxidizer, but we did very, very fuel rich.
Okay.
So that the gas coming out of here to go to the turbine
Right.
was only about 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Only 1,200 degrees
That's
Fahrenheit.
right. Whereas burning in the chamber at the right mixture ratio is like 6,500 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you burn a turbine up real fast, if you tried that. okay?
Yeah.
All right, so this turbine spins. This is the fuel side of the turbo pump.
Right.
A mirror image of this right on over here is for the oxidizer
It's for the
side.
oxidizer side. And this is the input, it looks like, right?
This goes to the
Go up to the
tank.
rest of the rocket, the
Yes.
tank, yeah.
Actually, at the facility, it goes to the pre-valve.
The pre-valve, okay.
Okay. So then you bring the fuel and oxidizer through these lines here. This is the oxidizer main valve.
Right.
The oxidizer goes right straight into what we call the lock stone.
Okay.
But the fuel, going on the other side, goes down that jacket.
Right.
In one tube, gets to the bottom, turns right around, and comes right back up.
So it's almost kind of like a car radiator, right? Where
Well,
you're pumping.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. It's just shaped like a rocket bell.
But it's keeping the metal cool.
Because you're flowing the colder fuel through it, and then you're bringing it back up before you burn it.
All rocket engines, high thrust rocket engines, do that regenerative cooling.
Yep.
Every one of them. I don't care whether it's an F1 at 1.5 million pounds of thrust, the J2 with 235,000 pounds of thrust, liquid hydrogen, they all go through that jacket.
No kidding.
And this is only 150,000 pounds of thrust.
This is like the combustion chamber right here.
Yes.
Is this part right here?
Yes.
So that's where you would mix the two things together.
There's
and
an injector right here.
Right.
Burns in here. The gas goes supersonic at the nozzle.
Right.
Throat right there. Then you expand it to accelerate the gas further to the exit plane.
And this was for a... What was the name of this engine?
Atlas. This was for the Jupiter Intermediate Range Ballistic Missile rocket.
Okay, so this is an ICBM rocket engine.
Intermediate range.
Intermediate range,
Not
sorry.
intercontinental.
Not intercontinental. I didn't even know that there were multiple types.
Oh, yeah.
An intermediate range.
Intermediate range, yeah.
Ballistic missile?
1,500 mile range.
1,500 mile range, okay.
Whereas you're talking about, 4,000 miles, 6,000 miles for an ICBM.
No kidding. So when did we work on this engine? Like when were we...
I worked on this engine in 1958, 59, 60.
58, 59, 60. No kidding. Looks like there was a question right quick.
Yeah, it's actually coming from me.
Okay.
So the cooling jacket that goes down the belt, is it a bunch of individual tubes or is it just one envelope that wraps around?
It's individual tubes.
Individual tubes that go from the top down.
It's a tube bundle. Yep.
Which way does it flow? Does it flow like that way and turn back around?
Yeah,
or?
It goes down, turns around, comes back up.
Does it come back up like another tube, or how does it come back up again?
It comes back up the adjacent tube.
Ah. So every one of these, one would be flowing this way, and then it would turn around.
And this is the manifold right here.
Right.
And it flows up to the injector.
Yep.
And if you look inside there, you can see all the holes of the injector.
It looks like a shower head, right?
Yes, it is.
It kind of looks like one of those fancy rain shower head things. Except you don't want to be around that shower head.
No.
Would the oxidizer and fuel come out of separate holes in there?
Yes.
Or would they would come out?
There are rings.
Yep.
Glands, okay? We'll have a ring for oxidizer, another ring for fuel.
To mix it up.
Yep.
So you wouldn't want like all the oxidizer on the outside and all the fuel on the inside. You alternate.
Were the holes for the two different fuels or different types of fuels different sizes?
One is for fuel.
Were they different sizes?
Yes.
Yeah, look at that.
You can see
tell
that.
They're different sizes.
Yeah.
Because the mixture ratio is like 2.25, which means you have twice as much oxidizer flowing as you do fuel.
Yeah. So was that something that you would calculate? Would you be like, well, we need 184 holes that are exactly this diameter, or would you just try it out?
Okay, the way we do it, the design group designs a rocket engine.
Right.
Those blueprints go to manufacturing.
Okay.
Manufacturing sends us up this engine. We put it in the test stand, and now we figure out how to make it work.
So it's already built, it's already designed.
That's right.
Now you got to figure out how to light the thing and
right.
see what it does.
And then we, give feedback to them what the performance is, any problems we encounter with it.
Yeah.
Sure.
No kidding.
Now from this engine, which has all of this control in it,
right?
We go to this engine over here, the H1 engine.
The next engine, the H1 engine.
Yes, and that's the one that powered the Saturn C1.
Okay.
And you'll see how much more simple it is.
Was that sort of like a design consideration? Like you wanted a simpler engine, it could launch more quickly with less maintenance? Or
when we learn how the proper sequence of events occurs,
right?
Then we could design this engine. This is called a pressure ladder engine.
Okay, a pressure ladder engine.
Yeah, and so instead of having solenoid valves opening and closing the main valves,
right?
This thing, when you spin this thing up, the turbo pump up, you get to a certain pressure, one valve opens. Get to another pressure, another valve opens.
Oh.
So it depends where you are as the pump is speeding up and getting greater pressure.
So it's just it's not a computer or something like that. It's
Not
just
at all.
something that would tick over another valve, like a simple system to make
Very
it.
simple.
No kidding. Yeah, bring the camera around this way so we can get in the background, sort of thing. So there you can see the big turbos again, the
big
turbo
turbo
pumps
pumps,
on top, and you can see like the inlet and that sort of thing. But it does. It looks. I'm going to be weird and just say that it looks like a simpler engine.
It is.
Just like sort of looking
Except
at it right
that
quick.
it's the same turbo pump we looked at over there.
The same turbo pump.
It's the same turbine. It's the same thrust chamber.
So you would reuse some of the parts that you knew were working.
Designed.
Designed.
Yeah. But we had to change materials.
Okay.
That's all we had to do.
Was it not high enough temperature, or would it deform?
The LOX dome was aluminum.
Right.
Okay. The aluminum we used originally had stress corrosion problems.
Right.
So we changed the alloy, and it's fine. Now we've gone from 150,000 pounds of thrust to 206,000 pounds of thrust. Same hardware.
Yeah.
Okay? The tubes on the chamber there.
Right.
Okay, that was originally just a nickel steel. We changed it to a stainless steel, and that was fine too at the higher pressures.
Yeah.
And there, voila, it's the cleanest, simplest engine you'll find.
There's another engine, and then it's running, what, 33% more thrust than the previous?
206 versus 150.
Yeah. So, was it hard? I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, and there's not like a robot in a factory that's just stamping out these pieces back then, right?
That's
when
correct.
you needed pieces, it was a welder going through to weld the stuff, or somebody to grind it down or lathe it or whatever. How was that process work? Like, if you needed to change, did you draw things up, or what did they do with that? Because we talk about this rapid prototyping, and just feed it into the computer and it'll print another copy these days. It didn't used to work that way, right?
No. Now the chamber is a tube bundle.
Right.
So we put the tube bundle together on a mandrel.
So just people like putting it together.
Assemble it together.
Right.
And we put it into a furnace. The furnace braise it.
Right.
Then bring it out and weld on the outer bands by hand with a torch. Okay.
If you wanted to change, you just like go back to the welder and be like, "Hey, you need to weld that differently," or this.
Get a different chamber if we have a problem.
Get a different chamber. No kidding. So this is the whole chamber, like back this way, right?
That's the whole thing right
you can
there.
see the injector, then the chamber, and then the nozzle,
Yep.
and it's the same sort of thing with
There's
the
a
cooling.
combustion chamber here.
Yep.
The nozzle expands to make the gas go faster. This is the turbo pump. We now have something new here.
Yeah,
called
what are
the accessory
those?
pad. You want hydraulic pressure for the gimbals, or you want electrical? For
It's like a
generator?
PTO on a tractor or something.
Okay. It's a power takeoff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
We call it the accessory pad.
You could bolt other things in there, and then would it be the turbine? It'd be the turbine that's driving that? The turbo?
Yeah, the turbine drives the pump.
No
Now,
kidding.
if you come around to this other side here,
Yep.
you will see the turbine. Okay.
Go around this way.
Okay. Now, can you see that flange right there? See the flange right
coming
there?
off the other way? Yeah.
Okay, we used to hook a little solid rocket motor to that.
Okay.
We called it the turbine spinner.
The turbine spinner.
Turbine spinner.
A solid rocket motor pointing inwards.
It's pointing to the turbine. So that's how we start the engine. We light off that little solid propellant charge.
Yeah.
Generates hot gas, starts the turbine going.
Right. Just
It also
spools
is
it up.
it's also an ignition source for
Yeah.
the other stuff coming in the gas generator.
No
as you
kidding.
build up your pressures, okay? So once you light that off, the thing's all automatic. No electrical stuff at all.
There's no electrical stuff. It's just all
Just pressure ladder.
No kidding. Are the valves? Are they someplace that you can see them from the outside, or
There's your fuel valve.
right?
There's your oxidizer valve.
Okay. So there'd be multiple valves inside of that, or would they open
Nope,
wider?
it's
or
just
one valve.
those. It's just one valve.
Yep.
It's a butterfly valve.
Yep.
Just turn it like that. See, there you go.
Lets it go through.
Yep.
No kidding. I've never heard that they would use little charges, like a little solid rocket motor, to pre-spin everything up.
It's so simple.
It is. And this engine was used for
the Saturn 1.
Saturn 1.
And there were 8 of them on the first stage.
There were 8 of these on the first stage. So when we went down to Kennedy Space Center and we see the back end of the rocket with the 8 engines sticking out, this is the internals of that
yes.
you can't see.
Yes.
No kidding.
But it's the Saturn 1, not the Saturn 5.
It's the Saturn 1, not the Saturn 5. Yeah, the 5 had 5.
Actually, Saturn
every hint I can use.
Saturn went in the design of the Saturn. It went through many phases of preliminary design.
Right.
And they finally arrived at what we know as the configuration 5
Right.
of the Saturn series, and that's the one that flew to the moon.
No kidding. Yep. Thank you so much for coming over and
You're welcome.
catching us inside with the pressure suit and then taking us over to show us engines that you actually worked on.
Now, would you like to see what put us to the moon?
Do we have time to go see what put us on the moon?
It's your time.
I mean,
Would you like to see what put us on the moon?
let's go check it
Let's
out.
go.
Absolutely.
So it is 2 o'clock.
It is 2 o'clock.
So we're not going to spend too long.
Right.
Because they're waiting
But
for
I'm
us
not
in the
gonna stop
theater. Right.
So right now they've closed the last show at the
They
theater.
closed the last show at the theater,
All
so
right.
they're just waiting for us to come over and set things up.
I love the whole sort of like, come with us, everyone.
Right, come
like,
on,
all
we're
right,
going
let's
this
go
way.
walk over here.
There's the K2 engine.
Yep.
And that's the one we went TLI, translunar insertion,
Yep.
and went to the moon.
This is an actual
liquid
J2
hydrogen.
engine?
Yes, this
Yeah.
is an actual engine. It burns liquid hydrogen with liquid oxygen.
Right.
It has 2 separate turbo pumps.
Right.
With 2 separate turbines, 1 gas generator.
Same sort of concept with the combustion chamber up there, then the jacket.
Yes, except this had one other problem.
Okay.
The fuel pump was an axial flow pump,
Okay.
just like a jet engine
Right.
compressor.
Just goes in a straight line instead of around a...
That's right.
Yeah.
That means you can only start it at a certain rate, or it will stall
Okay.
and stop propellant flow. So what we did is that we throttled the this side of the gas generator outlet. So we didn't bring up the oxygen as fast. So we brought up the turbo pump on the fuel side to up full flow.
Right.
And then we brought the oxidizer up.
It was like the exact start sequence of everything was important, or else the thing might just stall out not doing anything.
Stall out and not go.
Yeah, no kidding. And you're not going to space if one of your engines would.
No.
Well, at this point, by the time this would fire, this isn't the first stage of the Saturn.
This is the second stage.
Yeah.
There were 5 of these on the second stage.
Yep.
There was 1 of these on the third stage.
On the third stage, yep.
On the S4B. This is the engine that we got into orbit with this engine. It had to burn for about a minute to get us into low Earth orbit. Then when we went around the world, we said, aha, we're ready to go to the moon.
Right,
So
do all the checks and
that
stuff.
Engine,
yep.
And we went TLI, translunar insertion.
Yep, and that kicked us on the trajectory
and we're on
that
going.
took us out. Yep.
Only 235,000 pounds of thrust.
Only 230. So we went from the engine over there that started with 150, then we went to this one. Now, this one, I would guess that this engine would have like a different sort of efficiency than the first engine, like the F1 engine's down on the bottom. This one is better.
This has a higher performance.
Higher performance. Okay.
In other words, you get, in a sense, you get more miles per gallon.
More bounce for your ounce, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it burns liquid hydrogen, whereas the F1 burns gasoline.
The first stage burns gasoline.
It is. It's called kerosene.
Yeah.
Or otherwise known as RP1.
RP1, the space kerosene, right?
Yep.
No kidding. So 5 of these on the second stage, then 1 of those on the third stage. There was another different engine past that.
Yes, yes. When you get up to the service module engine, it's no longer an engine.
Right.
It's a motor because it has no turbopump.
Okay.
It just has pressurized tanks.
And they just combine
and a very big plastic rocket motor.
It's one of my buddies says it's just a valve, and they would open the valve and let the fuel into it. And there you go.
Because the fuel they used on that final stage, the service module stage, and the adjuvant control, is a mixture of 50% hydrazine, 50% unsymmetrical or methyl hydrazine. That's the fuel.
Yeah.
And then for the oxidizer, they use nitrogen tetroxide.
Right.
Bring the two together, voila, you got a rocket.
You just do your thing. You don't have to pump them or anything. You just let them.
No igniter or anything. They're called hypergolic.
Hypergolic.
And away they go.
Thank you so much for coming over and walking us around. I mean, we're doing our virtual field trip again.
Good. Okay.
Again, John, who's one of the docents at the museum, who came over and sort of caught us and said, "Oh, I know about the pressure suit and a lot more than that."
Oh,
Thank you
I
so
was a rocket
much.
engineer, so we can talk all day on rockets.
Chat has noticed the instrument module.
There's just, the instrument module over our head as well. That was another part that was like this was the guidance computer, right?
Yes.
And it's an actual one. It says right there.
It's an actual one. It says on the sign. This is an actual Saturn instrument unit.
Oh, this is an actual rocket.
This is an actual rocket one. This one didn't fly because we weren't recovering these, right?
That's right.
Clearly, because it's here, I guess you can't quite say that because you got the Museum of Flight
Now,
that has some
we're working on a
recovery.
variant of that today called the J2X.
Okay.
Which is supposed to be lower cost and more reliable. So.
Right. But it's the same sort of thing. I mean, this engine was built in the late 60s, right? Mid 60s. And we're doing the same sort of design. The basics of physics is still the same.
Physics is physics.
Physics is physics. It doesn't change over time. We
No,
just
it has
understand
no
it
excuses.
better.
That's a
It has
shirt.
no excuses.
Okay, we're just saying thank you because I'm moving us now.
We were saying thank you. Oh, we're going to the next thing. Thank you so much. I would shake your hand again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Chat, you know what to do. Put some thanks in chat for John. We've already got, so people watching live at home are pasting up all sorts of hearts and thanks in chat for us right
Wonderful.
now. So,
thank you.
so cool.
Hey, this is fun stuff.
It is fun stuff.
And hey, where are we going next? We're going back to the moon. The National Space Council that reports to the president says we're going to the moon, not Mars yet.
Yep.
We're going to the moon. I mean, it takes 3 days to go to the moon, and it takes 6 to 8 months to go to Mars.
Exactly.
Which trip would you like
It's
to
a
take?
good place to test out your equipment and learn some things.
The deep space operations, yes. And all that, you bet. You bet.
I like it. What's our next?
Probably talk planes.
We need to start going. What?
We need to start heading over there.
We need to start heading over.
We need to not do what we did yesterday and skip lunch completely.
Yeah, we shouldn't skip lunch. So how should we handle that, y'all? I mean, we
There's
could.
the Cargo Cafe right there.
Okay.
The best tater tots ever. I mean, I'm sure they sell something else too.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
I wonder if we shouldn't shut the stream down.
That might be.
So we could go eat.
Right.
And we also need to get the setup over.
And then we'll
in the
get over to
equipment.
the theater.
Yeah. If we're short on time with the collection,
Uh-huh.
when can we do the collection?
Well, we could either do the collection after
the launch.
or we could do it tomorrow.
Or tomorrow. Okay,
Yeah,
so
tomorrow.
we don't want to miss the collection.
No, we don't want to miss the
Okay, but we spent so much time with the SR-71.
Well,
Oh, wait,
right.
time out. We spent so much time. Follow me. all the way around.
Why'd you go around this way?
Because they were all standing
Oh,
over
that's a
there.
good point. All right.
See, with the SR-71,
And we haven't
right?
gotten out
But
there
yeah, we have the A-10 that we didn't go outside.
Which-
So outside, I don't know if y'all can see outside or not.
Only if I
we
focus on
did
that,
the
not you.
Titan silo out there, or in there, I guess. We just walked around the engines. That was so cool. Oh my gosh. That's the thing. Like I don't know. I mean, I know. I'm like, yes, that's a turbo pump.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and what's so amazing is, so John worked on these.
Yeah,
engines.
he actually
did
worked
this.
on the engines.
But the other docents, some of them never worked on this. They just have learned
He just
about
leaned
it,
over
so
to
they
it.
can tell.
I saw his
people about it.
patches. He had like 5 of the red.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And they come in here just so they can teach people about it.
Just so they can
Again,
teach people.
All volunteers.
That was so cool.
They all do it on their own time and just dedicate a tremendous amount of time.
So that's probably what we're gonna do. Quick question.
A couple of times when people are asking me about the streaming rig.
The streaming rig. We'll talk about the streaming rig another time in terms of like how the live view is set up and the Bond modems and that sort of thing. I'll explain that when we're not at the museum because I can explain that like at home. Here's the plan for now. If you're wondering what we're doing, like why are we walking around all this stuff, we're at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. It's in McMinnville, Oregon. We've got Julia here, who's the director of development at the museum, who's given us all this sort of special access, sort of hooking us up with the docents and getting us into the cockpit of the SR-71 and the Spruce Goose. We were in the wing and all the different things that we did. We're doing what we call a virtual field trip. So we walk around and we sort of check things out, and then the docents will come and give us some. Julia gives us information. She was telling stories in the DC-3 yesterday, but we did this all day yesterday if you're looking for the VOD, and then we've been doing it since 10 o'clock this morning. We're going to shut the stream down for now so that our crew can get some lunch. We skipped lunch yesterday. Don't skip lunch.
Don't skip lunch. It's not good.
That's not fantastic.
Not
Yeah. We're going to get ourselves, we're going to get ourselves some lunch right quick. So we are going to shut the stream down. Maybe what we could do is just replay the SR-71 from earlier. If one of the mods has editor, I'll get in Discord with you and we'll replay part of the earlier stream or something along those lines. So y'all can stay in the channel and keep watching while we go on our little break here.
And then we'll pick
At
it up in the theater.
about, I'd say probably at about 3:30, we'll be over back in the theater. So the next live thing that we're going to do, we're going to move our rig over into their IMAX size, like 4 or 5 story tall screen. We're going to hook up our gaming laptop to it, and we're going to put Kerbal up on the IMAX screen. We're going to stream that as well. So we're going to launch some rockets in Kerbal on the literally 4 or 5 story tall screen, and then we're going to watch the United Launch Alliance launch that's currently scheduled to go at 4:17. I'm not going to reach-chat. Don't tell me that it's been pushed because it needs to go at 4:17 today because we have the screen.
That works best.
It needs to
It
just,
really
just for everyone involved. It's best if it goes.
Yeah, it was
Right, exactly. That's what we
text
need to do.
Tori right quick and be like, "Hey Tori, if you could
Hey,
really."
here's the thing. Yeah.
Tori knows we're here.
Yeah. So this is going to be the idea. We're going to shut down the live stream right now. We're going to roll the SR-71 and the intro from earlier, and we'll let that play until we get through here. There's no way that it's going to play all of it because we're going to have to be live again. But we will keep the channel going. Give us about 5 minutes to get that video running. You can watch our tour of the, again,
Yep, there it is.
SR-71. We walked around it. We literally spent almost 3 hours walking around that earlier. But we will shut it down. If you're interested in what we did earlier at the museum, keep watching, and then we will be back live in just a little bit playing Kerbal on the museum's IMAX screen. I mean, really, what? I do appreciate everybody for hanging out. Again, last time, massive thanks to the museum here, the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. They set us up, they flew us out here, they got accommodations for us, so hashtag like sponsored sort of deal, making this sort of live content possible to share it with y'all. For now, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. We're going to get our lunch, and we'll be back in just a bit. Look for the SR-71 in just a few minutes here. That's all I have to say. There's no fancy screen or anything. Later, nerds.
Yeah, I get it.